The story begins in a city. With pouring rain. Inside a certain house. A sleeping girl softly groans, "Ugh, it's so hot." She sits up, holds her forehead, and tells herself she has a fever. Then she walks to the window and opens it. I am a member of the fox tribe. Even though the fox tribe's blood flows through us, we still live like normal humans. I usually get a rash once a year. Each person in the aristocracy has their own special power. And my special power is... Suddenly she exclaims, "It's raining so much." Her eyes gently close and then suddenly open wide. Suddenly, everyone and everything seems to freeze. She lets out a sigh of relief. Finally, I can breathe a little. My power is the ability to freeze time in the entire world. Except for me. I feel better now. Because I used my power earlier. When I was little, my rash could last for a whole month. Suddenly, now it only lasts for 3 days. Because as I get older, time passes faster. She turns to look at the clock on the wall. How many hours have passed? Even though the clock has stopped ticking, I'll deal with it later. She continues to look outside and sighs, still the same. This atmosphere is always relaxing. Suddenly, she pauses as if seeing someone. Huh, that's Kwon Sunjian's house. How strange. Who is that? That's not Kwon Sunjian. She remembers Sunjian saying, "Hello, this is Lee Do-hoon. He's going to move in with me for about 8 days. Oh, nice to meet you." Oh, didn't he say that was his friend? The last time we ran into each other. But that was 7 days ago already, maybe. Why is he so handsome, I wonder? You sure know how to pick friends. You haven't even introduced him to me yet. Suddenly, he brings a cigarette to his mouth. That action leaves her wide-eyed in shock. She wonders how he can move. At this moment, he smiles and asks, "Hey, you're a fox, right?" As if hit the nail on the head. She is even more stunned and stands frozen. In her mind, she can't help but wonder. I used my power to freeze time. So why can he move? Suddenly, he jumps off the balcony. Before her bewildered eyes. And the place he is heading is the window, where she is standing. She instinctively steps back. This guy is really dangerous. He must definitely be an Aimee. She remembers her mother's warning words. Listen closely, my daughter. If you encounter an Aimee, you must stay as far away as possible because an Aimee is the sworn enemy of our tribe. Aimee used to possess a body structure and a face that can turn into a goblin mask. Mom, your precious daughter's life is being threatened. And I think there's some kind of huge misunderstanding in your explanation, Mom. Seeing is believing. They are like monsters. The man standing before me is the most handsome man I have ever seen in my life. He grabs her hand and speaks up, interrupting her train of thought. Hey Fox, where's your seal? His hand gently touches her face. Answer me. She replies, I can't. My body is getting weaker because of the rash. He looks surprised. What? You have the rash? She silently sighs in helplessness. I feel dizzy. Am I going to die in vain like this because of that power? Suddenly he asks, do you need my help? She thinks, help me with what? Is he going to grant me a painless death? What is he rushing into someone's house for? I can't even die in peace. Thinking that, she pushes his hand away and demands, clean up your rainwater and leave. You idiot. Finishing her words, she falls onto him and faints. He quickly picks her up, muttering to himself, what a spoiled fox. He places her on the bed and reaches out to touch her flushed face, due to the fever. Then he looks at her intently, presses his hand on the bed, and suddenly leans in to place a kiss on her lips. A moment later he pulls away, her complexion has gradually improved. A moment later, she opens her eyes and wakes up. Huh, I feel better. I didn't even use much power. But the rash has completely healed. This has never happened before. What did this Aimee do to me? But why isn't he leaving? Suddenly he turns around, and she immediately shuts her eyes tight. But he says, I know you're awake, so get up. She thinks helplessly. He's really sharp. Hey, what did you do when I was sleeping? He stays silent for a long time. Then looks at her and says, something much more expensive than filtering rainwater. She secretly hopes. I just hope that he is not the master of my seal. The fox family often describes an Aimee as, do you know what an Aimee is? From ancient times in the northern forest, strange creatures and humans with mystical powers lived together. Among them, one species possessed the strongest ability and stood at the very top. None other than the Aimee. Because they were so strong, every year many Aimee had to die. Because they couldn't withstand their own power. After careful discussion, the Aimee leader decided to share the power with the fox family, the weakest family, and established a blood pact. Through the pact with the fox family, the Aimee found a way to control their powers, and the foxes gained the power to help them fight the rash that occurs every year. And so, Aimee and foxes shared a common seal. Both sides established a master-servant relationship or became mates, choosing one of the two ways. Changing or destroying the pact is entirely up to the Aimi. My mother also had to endure the rash fever. For the first time when she was 18. And the seal also appeared after that. Both of them disappeared when my mother turned 23. That means the Aimi with the seal, like hers, couldn't bear it and died. That's why you don't need to worry too much about it, Ungu. That cursed pact will disappear on its own after a few years. Before that, you must remember one thing. If you have no other choice but to use your power, absolutely do not use it in front of an Aimi. Was really confident that I hid my power very carefully. Until that day. And now, after all, a foolish person used the power blatantly in front of this guy. She holds her head and mutters, "This is really bad." At this moment, Do-hoon asks, "You clearly know what an Aimi is. But you still keep an Aimi by your side? Why, don't say anymore, Kwon Sunjian, this child. So you really are an Aimi?" He answers, "That's right. It's so unreasonable. There's no way my mom wouldn't recognize you as an Aimi. That's because you can't recognize an Aimi just by their outward appearance. And I'm the weakest among the Aimi. When I was little, I was bullied too. Maybe that's why she couldn't tell. What about you? Did you know I was a fox?" Sung Yeep, at first, I didn't realize. If I had known that, maybe I wouldn't have befriended you. She asks again, "Then since when did you know?" He searches through his memories and replies, "During the summer vacation when we were in second year of middle school. At that time, you took a month off from school. And didn't even attend any cram school classes. I came to visit you because I was worried. And then I found out that you had the rash fever. Which means you've known I belong to the fox family for 12 years. And you pretended not to know anything? That's because it would have been awkward if I knew about it first. We've known each other since we were 7. So you don't think it matters whether you're a fox or a monster? Is there no problem?" She silently thinks, this child. He's even very good at lying. Because he is an Aimi. And another Aimi I met for the first time is also in my living room. Anyway, why is this guy staring at me so intently? My face is about to be pierced through. The one who made my house a mess, you bastard. She completely ignores Do-hoon and asks Sung Yi, "You went to school fully during the school years?" You? He puts down his glass of water and says, "I'm a half-blood. I was born from a human and an Aimi. Maybe that's the reason why I don't have a destined person or uncontrolled power. And of course, I don't need the fox family." Sunjian's mother was like, "Oh my, Ungu is from the fox family? Mom should have kept her." She asks, "So your aunt is also?" "Haha, no. My father is the Aimi. And I don't even remember his face. I was left with other Aimi since I was little. But finally, I lived with my mom after I turned 7. And then I completely cut ties with the Aimi." She curses inwardly, crazy guy. How can he say that so calmly? Wait for Sung-yeon to say. "But Do-hoon recognized you immediately. Even before I introduced you to him. He already thought you looked like a fox." Ungu is surprised, thinking to herself, "As always, he is really too sharp. I used to be certain that no one could recognize me as a fox by my appearance." Suddenly Do-hoon speaks up, making her jump. "Let's end this conversation." He frowns, looking straight at her, the seal. "Where is it?" She digs her fingers into her clothes and hesitates. "I don't have it." Do-hoon becomes gloomy. "I'm asking you for the last time, where's the seal?" Suddenly she yells, "I told you, I don't have it. I have the rash fever. I can't show it to you for at least the next month." He grabs Ungu's arm. "You have a fever for a whole month? That's a lie. Because my body is very weak, but I'll be locked up as soon as he discovers the seal." Suddenly Do-hoon stands up and says, "I'll go out for a moment." He quickly returns with a small piece of paper in his hand. "Then draw it out, your seal. Draw it on this piece of paper." She inwardly cries out, "What the hell is this? Are you satisfied now? The seal belongs to my missing mother." But he probably doesn't know, right? Do-hoon looks for a moment then suspiciously asks, "You said this is your seal?" She immediately answers, "Yes," but in her heart she says, "Do you think I'd gladly draw it for you to see?" "If you're sure I'm not the master of the seal you are looking for, then get lost right now." But unexpectedly Do-hoon says, just as expected. She is startled. "What?" He slams the piece of paper on the table. "Seal in just a short amount of time. I guess that's the reason your parents ran away. After betraying us, huh?" She wonders to herself, what the hell is wrong with him? While the two are glaring at each other, Sunjian reaches out his hand to intervene. "Lee Do-hoon, don't bully Ungu. We had an agreement, remember?" "Understood. Why didn't I think of this sooner? You must have seen that seal. Since you value her so much." Sunjian hastily says, "I have never seen it once." "How can I believe that? You've always lived next to a member of the fox family for a long time, but never said a word." Ungu helplessly thinks, "Because of me. Are they arguing now? Suddenly Sunjian smiles and says, but sorry. To me, go. Ungu is much more important than those of my kind that I don't even know. Look. She hears that and is moved, silently calling, Kwon Sunjian. Lee Do-hoon, Ungu's seal might be different from yours. I think the chances of your seals being different is much higher than being the same. Do-hoon firmly states, I still think I am right, and the reason is intuition. How many Aimi do you think still exist in this world? Now the number of Aimi is less than 200. Ungu hears that and can't help but be shocked. It's fewer than I thought. That's right. Most of them die because they can't control their power, and all of that is because the cowardly Fox family betrayed us and ran away. Isn't that right? She retorts. How can you blame us? The Fox family was used by the Aimi. Didn't we obviously not run away from you? If you want to blame someone, blame your own ancestors who treated us like tools. Go. Do-hoon replies, anyway. It is true that very few Aimi survive in this world, so what? Foxes only have one superpower. But Aimi possess many. And they share a common seal. Always having identical or opposite abilities. And I am the one with the ability to continue the time that you stopped. That means you are likely my fox. Ungu widens her eyes, motionless. She thinks it's as if I'm turned to stone by his gaze. I can't move. Sunjian speaks up to stop it. That's enough, Lee Do-hoon. You don't need to worry too much. Because Lee Do-hoon possesses many superpowers. So you shouldn't be too stressed when one of your superpowers matches. That's because he is a pureblood. She is secretly surprised. Does he have other superpowers too? That's right, now I remember. He was completely fine. After jumping down from the 3rd floor, Sung-hee smiles calmly and says, haha, is that so? She just cries inwardly. Does he not care at all? What will happen if in the end my seal matches his? Are friends like this? Anyway, it's best if you keep your promise. Lee Do-hoon. 1 month isn't long, right, with this devil? Do-hoon scoffs. Coldly, 1 month. Ungu can't help but worry inside. I need to tell my parents about this, but why did my parents go traveling right at this time? Their only daughter is about to lose her life at the hands of an Aimi. Suddenly Do-hoon raises his hand to touch her face. I'll wait, little fox. Don't think about playing any tricks in front of me. She quickly turns away. Don't let his appearance dazzle you. He says again, if you intentionally run away, then don't even think about the next month. He threatens gloomily. Because you will die by my hands right after that. Got it? She trembles with fear. This crazy bastard. Trash. Handsome bastard. Is too carefree. Kwon Sunjian. Even when this man is threatening me. That means he won't be able to kill me easily. Anyway, he has been acting as if he couldn't kill me. But why? Thinking carefully. He said this bastard is a pureblood. Then he must be stronger than other Aimi. And he's also Kwon Sunjian's friend. So we must be the same age. Wait a minute. How long can an Aimi live without the Fox family? The more they grow, the stronger the Aimi becomes, and the pain comes along with the uncontrollable power. Thinking this, she speaks up and asks, you are reaching your limit, aren't you? Hearing that, Do-hoon doesn't answer. She secretly guesses he didn't react at all. So that means he hasn't reached his limit yet? Suddenly Do-hoon laughs and replies, that's right. I need a fox right now. Moreover, I need a fox with a seal identical to mine. She is inwardly certain that she was right. He can't kill me for at least a month. Thinking so, she suddenly becomes gloomy and calls out. Hey, if you're done talking, let me ask you a few things. I couldn't see earlier because I was unconscious. Were you the one who wiped the rainwater? In my room. Right? Her question leaves the two men bewildered. She continues. I guess you don't know the basic manners. Since you live in the mountains. But because I am a very kind person, I will teach you thoroughly, okay? Do-hoon is dumbfounded. What? Listen carefully. You shouldn't visit someone's house so suddenly like that. And you definitely shouldn't enter through the window. You must enter through that door. Oh hey. Maybe you don't know this. Because there are no doors in the mountains. You ring the doorbell, introduce yourself, and enter the house only when the owner opens the door. Also, who taught you to step into the house barefoot while still soaking wet with rainwater? Do you understand now, huh? You socially isolated thing. As soon as Ungu finishes her sentence, the room falls into silence. Hearing her sarcastic remarks directed at Do-hoon, Sunjian can't hold back and bursts into tears of laughter. Ha ha ha. Do-hoon smirks and asks, you're bolder than you look. Do you have an extra life or something? Anyway, you won't kill me without checking my seal. So what if you harass me more? I can't kill you within a month either. No matter how arrogant you are, right? She answers loudly. That's right. He steps closer, his whole body exuding a thick killing intent. Then do it. Do you think I won't do it if you say that? Maybe you think that. I will blindly indulge you for a month. How ridiculous. Since when does keeping someone alive mean blindly indulging them? How funny, name. She is speaking but suddenly stops because of his killing intent. I told you to keep harassing me. Sensing the tense situation, Kwon Yi speaks up to stop them. Stop it. I think you should stop, Eun-gu. I can't fight against Do-hoon either. So annoying. I was both annoyed and scared. This makes me really uncomfortable. Do-hoon walks towards the door. Hey. I guess you're not very vigilant. Because I am in human form. We are monsters. We are ruthless and show no mercy. It would be better if next time you should know who you are talking to. Finishing his words, Do-hoon leaves. Sunjin smiles, thinking, I guess she's angry. Haha. Eun-gu irritatedly says, everything that happened is your fault. Why are you still laughing? Is that guy strong? Of course he's strong, because he was born with the purest. I need blood. Purest? Aren't there many other pure blood Aimi besides him? There are. But pure blood Aimi are very rare. Do-hoon is even more special among them. Do-hoon is. He is the only son of the current head of the Aimi and the successor. Eun-gu freezes immediately. The guy who just threatened me is the successor? I shouldn't have harassed him. Basically, my life is ruined now. I'll die if my seal is the same as his. The gates to the underworld will open from that day. She asks, do you know what his seal looks like? I know. Draw it here. Do-hoon will be angry if he finds out about this. She yells, just draw it without letting him know. Does he have the ability to read other people's minds? He doesn't do that. Haha. He draws on the paper and hands it to her. I think I am very gifted at drawing. As soon as Eun-gu sees it, she immediately turns to stone. Her mouth wide open in shock. Sunjin asks, why are you staring at it so intently? Do you recognize this seal? She breaks out in a sweat and answers, no. If so, it's fine, because he promised to keep your existence a secret. If your seal doesn't match his, he always keeps his promises no matter what. Suddenly Eun-gu asks, what if our seals are the same? He thinks for a moment then smiles and says, haha, things would get quite tough. Even if I wanted to help you, I couldn't beat Do-hoon. Her trembling hands crumple the piece of paper. This is absurd, she silently screams. This is my seal. But why did you ask that? You just said you had never seen that seal before. It's just because maybe someone unlucky among the people I know in the Fox tribe has the same seal as him. She silently thinks, that person is me. He will tell Do-hoon. If he finds out I have the same seal as him. Right? Sunjin is curious. You know someone from the Fox tribe? Of course. She mutters to herself. Now I should keep it a secret from him. No matter what happens. You won't tell me even if I ask, will you? Right? Thinking that, she steps over and sits down on the chair. You don't really need a fox, do you? Sung-yi only replies to her with a smile. After he arrived home. I'm back. Do-hoon answers briefly. You're late. Young-yi sees the suitcase and asks, now I found the fox. You're going home? Yes. So you will come back here after a month. To check, right? No way. Does he think Eun-gu won't run away? Thinking so, Sunjin says, aren't you going to come back? You plan to recheck the seal after a month. How? Do you think Eun-gu will come looking for you herself? What are you talking about? You said you would wait for her for a month. That's right. That's why I will bring her with me to my home. Sung Ji screams in shock. What? He's saying he'll bring Eun-gu to a hometown surrounded by Aimi? In Sunjin's imagination. She is a newly arrived fox. She's such a crybaby, haha, is she crying already? Hey, she's crying. Haha, in that tiger's den? Over here. Eun-gu puts down the glass and thinks to herself, Lee Do-hoon is the head of the Aimi. I'll be doomed if he finds out we have the same seal. If I sign a pact with that bastard, my entire life will be controlled by that psychopath. Maybe he'll lock me in a room without even a drop of water to drink. Currently I'm unemployed because I'm being monitored by another company. My first day of work is in 3 months. So I'll have some free time until then. Should I travel abroad? Or something. My passport is probably in a house in Seoul, where her parents live. That's right, I will go to Seoul to pack my bags and escape to another country. Hee hee, my break time will be spent on a trip abroad. She is extremely excited when suddenly she stops in amazement, because Do-hoon suddenly appears in front of her. Eun-gu yells, what the hell? Since when have you been standing here? I've been standing here since you were showing off your weak power. With that, Glass. He's been here that long. But I didn't even notice his presence at all. I could hear you plotting from way over here. She laughs evasively, ha ha ha. What wind brought you here? I wasn't loud, was I? Could he read my mind? Do-hoon demands, pack your bags. We are going to Seoul right now. Huh? Why should I go? Do you think I have any reason to speak? Of course, and follow you like a puppy just because you say. Come with me, huh? Do-hoon picks up the glass. Do you think there's no reason? I told you I will wait for a month. Must I cater well to your needs? Saying that, he tosses the glass up, watching it slowly fall. Ungu shuts her eyes tight, the glass will break. But what surprises her is that there is no sound. Seeing the floating glass makes her dumbfounded. What? Do-hoon sits down and says, I am a guest, yet you didn't even offer me a glass of water. There are countless ways I can take you with me. Right now. The easiest way is to tie you up and throw you into my car. In human society, we call that committing a crime. Don't worry, there won't be any witnesses. And in a rural place like this, there are no surveillance cameras at all. In human society, I believe they call it a perfect crime. She breaks out in a sweat, thinking he's probably just joking. If I disappear, my parents will report to the police. You know that. Like half a year from now, huh? Suddenly the door opens. With a click, along with CEO Jay's voice. I have no reason to do that. You promised that if her seal doesn't match, you would hide her from other Aimee. But now, you're planning to take her back and expose her face to everyone? Why? I'm not taking her to my place in Seoul. Did you really think I'd bring a fox? Whose seal I haven't even seen yet? To that place? Just taking a quick glance. She's so frail she wouldn't survive a single day there. If you're going to your house then, isn't that the safest place to keep Ungu? There are only about 3 Aimee going in and out of there. Ungu forces a smile because she was labeled frail. Do-hoon replies, one of them is you. And the other 2 are abroad. So they can be ruled out of the list. She thinks to herself. If that's the case, he's saying that in that house. No Aimee will visit except Kwon. Sunji and that bastard? So that's how it is. Do-hoon says. You can't imagine how long it takes to be able to find a fox. As long as you are not the one I am looking for, I will let you go. But otherwise, instead of worrying about a missing person report, you should prepare to pay the price for deceiving me. She secretly reassures herself to stay calm. Anyway, I need to go to Seoul to run away from this guy. Going to his house is safer than being found by another Aimee and dragged to their lair. This is my chance to escape. Thinking so, she pushes him away. All right. I will go with you. But only if Kwon Sung-yi is with us. Did I say you could add conditions to my orders? Can't you be a little more easygoing? How can I trust you? Enough to live in the same house? He replies, what's the benefit for me if I trust you? Right, I need to stay away from this guy. I need to escape at all costs. I can't back down again this time. What if I bite my tongue and die? Wouldn't you be the one suffering a loss? Do-hoon ponders. I think there's no harm in having an extra pair of eyes watching this girl. So you also know how to threaten me. I thought you were a stupid fox. But you're smarter than I thought. CEO Jay asks in confusion, what do you mean by fine? What about my opinion? You won't abandon me, right, Sunji? He only forces a smile at her sudden question. She yells, are you going to leave me behind with that guy? In a house. Completely disregarding the difference between men and women? And whose fault do you think this is? Huh? Sunji, what kind of friend are you? What do you think your mother would say if she knew? Hearing that makes Sunji feel pangs of conscience. Morals and guilt. All right, I'll go with you. She cheers, yes. I will go pack my bags and head out. So you guys get out of my house. Then she wearily asks herself. Why is it so heavy? Did I pack too many things? Suddenly Do-hoon speaks up and asks. Do you want me to carry the suitcase for you? It looks heavy. What's wrong with you? Why are you suddenly being so nice? Why? Do you want to stuff me into the trunk or something? Are you still mad about that stupid joke? As if you were joking. And finally I came to Seoul with these 2 scumbags. A monster listening to classical music. He will drive me crazy. Outside on the street, traffic is bustling. Ungu wonders. Why is he looking at me with that scrutinizing look? Do I look like I want to run away? She gently closes her eyes. I'm exhausted. Before leaving, I managed to leave a message for my parents. In the messages from Mom. Darling, have you had dinner yet? I was taken away by an Aimee. I'll figure out a way to escape. So you two please hide when you read this. Ungu hopes her parents will see her message before she can escape. And now I have to live with this bastard for the next month. How can I sleep well? Wait, he said he would return to his house earlier than planned. I'm sure it's not a small apartment. Or something like that, right? If he lives alone, then there's only one bed? She immediately speaks up. I have a question. You said you live alone. Are there enough rooms for us there? Why isn't he answering? Don't tell me the three of us will share one room. And there's only one bed. Hearing that, Do-hoon scoffs. He steers into a turn and then says, why can't we sleep together? It's not just you and me. There's also CEO J. Are you kidding me? Of course not. I can stay in a hotel. We're almost there, so prepare yourself a bit. Ungu asks in surprise, you live here? But this is a high-end apartment that only serves celebrities and politicians. We can even see the Han River from here. Come to think of it, all the belongings of this guy are from luxury brands. Standing in front of the elevator, Do-hoon says it's only for a month. So you'll have to start getting used to it from now. As I promised Kwon Sunjian, I brought you here because I can't take you to my parents' house until I get your seal. She thinks it's really unfair but waits to say, you two go in first. What? Where are you going? I have a phone call. She calls Kwon Sung-yi helplessly. You promised not to leave me behind with this bastard. A moment later the elevator stops at the 40th floor. He says, go in. She secretly marvels, the top floor? Just how rich is he? I'm telling you beforehand. Except for the bathroom and the bedroom. Every corner of this house has a camera. You know what that means, right? What? Cameras? What's with that expression? Are you disappointed that we are not in a cramped apartment? Don't look at me with those eyes. This is still better than being imprisoned, isn't it? Finishing his words, he smiles and walks away. She secretly curses. Is he a psychopath? The only room without cameras is right next to his room. I don't want to be right next to him at all. But at least it's better than being monitored. At night. I'm going to die. Kidnapped. My life is so turbulent. After waking up in the middle of the night, my childhood friend suddenly became an IME. And now I'm under house arrest in a home with cameras everywhere. I am physically and mentally exhausted. Now I don't even feel like moving. Suddenly there's a knock on the door along with a calling voice. Ungu, are you hungry? You haven't eaten anything today, right? Get up and eat something. I just made some ramen. A hot, full pot of ramen. Ungu happily says, thank you for the meal. Just then Do-hoon comes over and asks, where did you dig up the ramen? I bought it on the way back. Do you want to try? Sit down. Let me see help a bit. Does he completely not remember anything? Do-hoon replies, I'm not hungry. He tosses the towel into the basket. Then sits down across from her. She curses inwardly, damn it. It seems I can't even eat ramen comfortably now. I was quite worried about you since we were on the way to Seoul. But you look fine while having the rash fever. She jumps. I'm doomed. If he finds out I was lying about having the rash fever for a whole month, I'll definitely be done for. She criticizes, that's because of your weird actions. Sunjian asks in surprise. Weird actions? What did he do? Ungu lowers her head in silence and doesn't answer. Do-hoon admits, that's true. Anyway, it was my first time doing that with a fox. So I didn't know if it could help your fever go down. Or even cure the rash fever. Ungu silently thinks, it's really strange. I should have completely recovered by now, shouldn't I? Yet why is it that every time he looks at me, I feel an indescribable churning inside? In the end, my stomach is still uncomfortable. Even though I didn't eat much. Do you have digestion medicine? Digestion medicine? Do-hoon, I don't have things like that. I'll probably have to go out and buy it. What's wrong? Are you feeling uncomfortable? It would be weird if someone like me didn't eat and still be fine. He pats her head and asks, you mean me or Do-hoon? Of course it's him. Don't you see him staring at me? Let me go out and buy medicine. He turns back and says, Do-hoon, give me a room card. I'll be here for a month anyway. I can't just call the reception all the time. Where are you going? To buy some things. Do-hoon is about to hand it to CEO when Ungu's hand quickly reaches out, leaving both men dumbfounded. The atmosphere falls silent for a moment. She says, give me the room card too. Do-hoon turns to go into his room. He says, wait there. I can't give it to you without a guarantee. Great, it seems he's going to give me the card. It would be good to find the camera locations too. Where are they? While looking around to search, a large figure catches her eye. She silently thinks, a fox's senses are sharper than a human's. But not until he was standing right in front of me. Did I realize his presence? Is it because he's too strong or because I was too off guard? Why did you get close without saying anything? Suddenly, he grabs her hand. Before she can react, she notices a bracelet with his seal on it. What is this thing? Suddenly, he presses the bracelet on her hand. What are you doing? Nothing. The bracelet gradually turns red and slowly disappears strangely. He only leaves a small mark on her wrist. She asks in surprise, wait, what did you just do to me? He wonders, what's this? She is clearly afraid of me. But now this fox can look straight into my eyes without hesitation. So annoying. It's better if you don't know. Whether it's good or not is my business. Frankly, it's like a GPS tracker. I will be able to reach your location within a certain range of me. Like teleportation? He turns like a pinwheel. There's something like that too? He grabs her hand and replies, yeah, within the range of Seoul. +5 kilometers outside of that range. It's best that you don't try to escape Seoul for no reason. After speaking, he places the access card in her hand. She angrily questions, you narrow-minded guy. Hey, why do you have to be like this? I clearly agreed to live here for a month according to your wishes. Now you want to control where I go. What is this? He replies indifferently, that's right. He slowly approaches. If the fox I caught with great difficulty suddenly disappears, I'm not sure I could let it slide. She silently thinks, the place where the seal is carved proving that Lee Do-hoon is its owner. She returns to her room, cursing that damn bastard angrily. How dare he carve something like that on me? Sign a pact with a psychopath like that? I'd rather die. No matter what, I will run away. Cruel beast. Suddenly Sunjin comes in and asks, what are you doing? Alone here? Did something happen again? She lifts her hand, look. He carved something weird on me. He silently recognizes a temporary seal. She says, you had a stomach ache but you're fine now. He bought digestion medicine. There are also my favorite cheese snacks. By the way, what does he do? He's so rich, his job must not be ordinary, right? Don't tell me he robs banks. Or something like that. No. How can you say that? With his behavior today, it's very possible. Do-hoon really knows how to follow the rules. He might not know how to speak well. But don't you see he cares a lot about others? Ah, he is better than you think. Because you are his friend only. And you know the NG company, right? Of course. The employees of the communication department there are terribly strict. When I was at my old company, getting an advertising contract with them was like plucking a star from the sky. You know that company is Do-hoon's father's company. He's also a director there. She gasps in shock. What? NG Group. Leading in the food and restaurant business. Industry. Famous for consolidating power through public welfare activities. Even the piece of cheese I'm eating is from that company. Why is everything getting worse? That guy was obviously born miles ahead of the finish line. Not to mention being the IME leader in the human world. He's also at the top. What's up with that? It's too unfair. Does he not have any weaknesses or what? Hearing that, CEO J can't help but chuckle. He said there is one. Which is the fox with the same seal as him. He still hasn't got the fox he needs most. That is Do-hoon's biggest weakness. Eun-gu's face darkens, silently saying that damn bastard doesn't have any weaknesses left. Because the fox he is looking for is already in the palm of his hand. He stands up and says, then I'll go back to my room. She asks, but rest up. Lee Do-hoon finds another fox with the same seal as him? What if he lets the fox in his hand slip away? It's meaningless. It only works within your hand. It's only temporary. And a certain period of time. There's only one way to break a temporary seal. Before it expires. But signing a pact with a fox is another story. There will be no limits. In other words, no matter where you go, it's still in Do-hoon's hands. Besides Do-hoon, no one can break it. Once he finds the fox with the same seal, no matter what the situation is then, he will make a pact with it. Only then can he completely possess his fox? She thinks, in other words, getting caught is the end, if the seal is discovered, and I'm forced to sign a pact with him, what will become of me? I don't understand anything about those pacts at all. What is that pact? I never thought I'd get involved in it one day. And Sunjin wonders, why do you care so much about it? There are two types of pacts, master-servant and mate. Aimee will use the fox's blood when signing a master-servant pact, like a vampire sucking blood. The problem is that Aimee breed likes to tear and drink fox blood. That's why the fox tribe has to hide and sneak around. Eun-gu asks, so what about the mate pact? It means exactly what it says. What will you do with him? Love him? Love? Dream on. You'll stabilize energy by merging with the mate who signed the pact. And besides, do you really think that? Signing that pact, people will hold a ceremony and exchange rings like humans? You'll have to choose one of the two. Be drained of blood or dedicate your body to your mate. I'm going to my room. Get some rest. CEO J steps out of the room. What's with that reaction? Their seals are completely different anyway. The next day, NG Group's donation to the Children's Fund is becoming a hot topic of discussion. Mr. Lee Tae-hwan, chairman of the board of directors of NG Group, has donated over 10 billion won to children in need and continues to affirm his positive influence through charity activities. Eun-gu lies on the couch watching the news and complains. In the end, I still couldn't sleep a wink. That man is the IME leader. He looks so much like Lee Do-hoon walks in dressed neatly. Both are silent without saying a word. Suddenly Do-hoon notices the news bulletin she's watching. He says, he seems to be taking a census, huh? If you want to ask something, just ask. She turns off the TV and replies, ask? If I answer one question, you'll ask 10 more. Why should I beat around the bush? Why? Didn't you already investigate me from A to Z? The atmosphere in the room falls silent again. After a while, Do-hoon finally speaks. Go Eun-gu, only daughter of Go Jung-hwan and Lee Hee-young, after graduating from university, went to study abroad for 2 years. Used to work in content creation at Donghae Communications office. However, resigned. And will transfer to a company named Mai in the next 3 months. She hears that and can only gape in amazement. May I continue? You investigated that place in just 1 day? That's all. It wasn't too difficult. Now I have something to say. Hearing that, Eun-gu ignores him and walks into her room, but Do-hoon stops her. She asks in annoyance, what? If you want to say something, starting today, say it. The housekeeper will come here. I'm telling you beforehand. In case you slip up and curse or say something stupid because you're startled. No need to open the door or do anything. She will do everything, you don't need to worry. Saying that, he lets out a sigh. Eun-gu silently thinks. He looks exhausted. As if he hasn't rested in a long time. Did he really go to such great lengths to find that fox? I never wondered if IME are affected. But seeing him, I feel a little. She secretly mutters, calm down now. Now who knows who should sympathize with whom? Suddenly Do-hoon hands her the card. I don't know what might happen. But if anyone other than her comes here. Don't open the door, call me. She takes it, thinking. As if I would easily open the door. And I don't intend to call you either. She reads the content on the card. CEO of NG Group. A director at the headquarters but hasn't gone to work at this hour? Suddenly he touches her forehead and asks. You don't plan to use your ability like last time. When things get worse. What? Your forehead is very hot. You didn't really rest when you said the rash hadn't fully healed, right? She secretly curses. Idiot. Such an obvious lie, yet he still asks. Catching a cold in this weather, even you could think of that. Hey, are you really going to let me go? If our seals are different? I swore to Kwon. Sung-yi. So of course I will let you go if that is the truth. She asks again, hearing about you after that. He silently concludes. Indeed, these foxes are really quite stupid. So soft-hearted that a little threat makes them tremble. Yet now, who is worrying for whom? He turns around and says. I don't know. Do you think I will survive for the next 3 years? You said it yourself, the lifespan of a fox is very short. She looks a bit stunned. What kind of expression did he just show? Later, at a cafe, the girl asks in surprise, oh? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Were you really caught by that IME? This cafe belongs to Hae-jang, my cousin of the same age. Compared to me, Hae-jang is much more interested in the relationship between IME and the fox tribe. So I'm sure she'll be able to help with something. What's this? You already signed a pact? No, it's just a temporary seal. You know how to break it, right? You know more about pacts than I do. So that's why the seal is on the wrist instead of the back of the hand. I do have a way, but it's also very difficult. What way is it? You will need the blood of the person who created that seal. Blood? You mean of the IME? The seal is established with IME blood. So of course you'll have to use blood to break it. She asks, how long does it take for it to disappear on its own? I think it's 1 month. She silently cries in her heart. He really knows how to calculate the time. If I can't forcefully break the seal, I'll have to run away as soon as it disappears on its own. She asks, how did that IME catch you? At home? What? I was caught while using my power. Incredible, wait. Is that guy the one who established the seal? Don't cry. If that IME is the one who established the seal, why didn't he just sign a pact with you? He doesn't know yet. I said I had the rash fever so I couldn't reveal my seal. You outsmarted that IME? No way. Yeah. He said he wouldn't harm me until he saw the seal. Anyway, I still have to run away. So please take my parents to a safe place when they return to Korea, okay? Hae-jang is silent and doesn't answer. Eun-gu waves goodbye, I'm leaving. Suddenly she asks. You know what, Eun-gu? If you run away and then get caught again, things will be even worse. Although not every IME treats foxes like commodities. If that IME treats you well, it's best to just sign a pact with him. For a moment, that man's face flashes through her mind again. It's not that I haven't thought about signing a pact. But after witnessing what happened in those 2 days, I have completely lost faith in Lee Do-hoon. Moreover, not only me, but also those from the fox tribe around me will also be in danger. Thinking this, she smiles and says, "First of all, I should do what I can." "If you really think so. Good luck. If you need help, just call me. Your safety comes first, remember?" She sighs dejectedly. "I don't want to go back to that guy's house at all. Maybe I should take a walk until Kwon Sung-yi gets back." When the sun is about to set, she finally returns to the 40th floor of the building. "Did I walk that much? So tired. If I lie down on the bed now, I'll probably fall right asleep." Suddenly she sees someone standing in front of the door. She wonders, who is that? I thought no one would come to this place. She remembers Do-hoon's warning. "If any outsider comes, don't open the door, call me. He told me not to open the door. And call him." But he didn't say anything about meeting someone outside like this. Should I ignore him? But Lee Do-hoon's house is the only one on this entire floor. At this moment, the person turns towards her and slowly approaches. Now Eun-gu is worried. This guy looks too scary. A temporary seal prevents me from hiding my fox identity. Suddenly, he flashes a sinister smile. Haha, she realizes in shock, and eye me. She quickly turns around, run. He reaches his hand forward. Eun-gu is stopped by some kind of energetic force. When his hand clenches tight, she is immediately yanked backwards by a strong pulling force. She crashes into the wall and cries out in pain. Ouch. He laughs with amusement. Haha, so lucky. Didn't expect to meet a fox tribe member here. It's just a temporary seal. So there shouldn't be any problem if I play some tricks with you. At this moment, Eun-gu remembers her cousins of Aimee are bad, so just sign a pact. Isn't it safer? She silently affirms, right, not every Aimee is bad. But most of them are like this. So I have to run away. But before she can stand up, he approaches and stomps hard on her hand, making her cry out in pain. The seal on her hand emits a strange light. She squints up and sees that someone has stopped that bastard. She is inwardly surprised when that voice rings out. What's the matter? Do-hoon asks darkly, what is going on here? At the same time, his hand tightly grips the guy's neck. Eun-gu silently thinks. If I had to choose the most dangerous man in the world, it would be Lee Do-hoon. Unless my seal miraculously disappears. That fact won't change, but at this moment, I feel relieved to see him. So much so that I want to cry. The guy lets out groans, breaking Eun-gu out of her thoughts. His face is red because he's about to suffocate. Do-hoon's hand still shows no intention of stopping. The atmosphere looks incredibly gloomy. Eun-gu hurriedly speaks up to advise, stop it. He will die. Do-hoon presses his lips tight and then finally lets him go. He falls to his knees, desperately gasping for air. Eun-gu painfully thinks to herself, I can't move my hand. Do-hoon's legs coldly step towards him, her eyes widen with worry. Only then does that guy fearfully speak up. Professor Ji-young. He bows and continues. I came here because I was sent by Professor Ji-young. Lee Ji-young sent you? He hurriedly answers, yes. Isn't he abroad right now? He is scheduled to return tomorrow. So he asked me to relay a message, to come meet him at your parents' house, because he has something. He instructed me to come meet you directly. Because this is a very important matter. So that's why I came here. After speaking, he inwardly thinks. I must have lost my mind. To touch a fox with that seal. Important matter, you say. He steps closer. And then what? Excuse me? He glares and asks. He must have given you more instructions, right? Did he tell you to harm the fox? Bearing my seal right in front of my door? No. I must have lost my mind for a moment. When I saw the fox. With a temporary seal on it. I had no intention of harming or killing her. If it were a formal contract, I would never lay a hand on her. He smirks gloomily. Maybe you didn't mean to. But you still hurt her. He inwardly says. I only stepped on her hand so she couldn't run away. But such a small wound wouldn't even be enough to hurt someone, especially with a man like him. Thinking that, he bows his head and explains. I only intended to take a little of her blood. I swear. He laughs and says, blood? I remember there are some stupid rumors about how, if you drink fox blood, which shares the same seal as an Aimee, that person's abilities will develop strongly. There are always one or two fools who believe in such nonsense. You wait here. He approaches and pulls Eun-gu up. How long are you going to stay like this? Let's go inside. She asks softly, what are you going to do with him? How is that related? Oh, look at him changing the subject. Don't be angry, he just saved me. After all. She hides her injured hand behind her back, I'm fine. He immediately says, your expression doesn't look like it. It hurts a bit, but I'm fine. What are you covering up for him for? Are you worried for the person who just threatened your life a few seconds ago? That's not it, I'm not worried about him. What I care about is the peace in my daily life being shattered. I don't want to get involved in things like what just happened, okay? Do you think I'd kill one of the surviving over such a trivial matter like this? Over an insignificant matter? If an Aimee harms a fox without a pact, we cannot punish them. It's rare for an Aimee to attack a fox without a pact. She thinks to herself. His words and actions don't match. And according to him, there is no reason for him to be upset about that at all. But he is definitely angry. He says, and one more thing. Your peaceful life is already over. She purses her lips. Yes. It shattered into pieces the moment we met. I will talk to him, so you should go inside. Suddenly she asks. Do you even know what a conversation is? Making the atmosphere tense, her words make this man afraid. Secretly saying, is that fox crazy? The next leader of the Aimee. He is so strong that no one would dare oppose him. If he became the leader now. How dare a fox talk on an equal level? With him? What a pity. It looks like a fox will die today. However, Do-hoon just pats her head and smiles, replying. I'll consider what you said. You should go inside now. She goes inside the room, presses her ear against the door, and thinks. He said he would take care of him with words. But what if he gets out there and his arm gets broken? Or his leg gets broken? At least this sound suggests he's not using any violent actions. She starts to tremble, reassuring herself everything is fine now. It's okay. Then to Eungu. Then she goes over and sits down on the chair. With swollen, red, and trembling hands. A moment later Do-hoon comes in. She secretly guesses, his clothes are clean. It seems like nothing serious happened. She speaks up and asks. Is everything okay? Has that man left? I thought you said my being here is a secret. Answer me. I said I know. Why aren't you saying anything? He grabs Eungu's hand. You talk too much. I erased his memory before letting him go. So don't worry about anything. Oh my god. He even has this power? Will I ever be able to escape from him? You're really stupid. Follow me, we're going to the hospital. What's wrong with me? I don't have enough strength to walk anymore. He calls her name, Go Eungu, then he grabs her hand and pulls her away. But he bumps into her wound, making her cry out in pain. And says, you didn't even care about my threats before. So why are you scared now? Don't you find it strange if I wasn't afraid of anything? I'm not an Aimee. I've never experienced, or even seen this kind of violent incident. So of course I am scared. I really didn't want to cry in front of an idiot. At all. Aimee are at the top of the food chain. So they have no empathy for fear. PHHT. He says, I didn't want what happened today either, so I promise you. This won't happen again. No wonder why he wasn't worried about what happened earlier. He just looked straight into my eyes, as if trying to engrave it into his memory. He reaches out his hand. I won't hurt you, so come with me. She is a bit surprised and also agrees to hold his hand. Afterwards, she was examined at the hospital. It's a sprain because it's swollen, so you have to have a half cast. And not move it for a while. I thank heavens it was only my left hand. You drove a different car today. Is something wrong with your other car? That one is currently at the company. You have 2 cars? He stays silent and doesn't answer. She secretly praises sarcastically. Good job, I want to get out here. You have to go to work and need the car. It's an emergency that suddenly happened. But it can be handled tomorrow. Even so, you didn't even. He interrupts. I don't need anyone's permission to take a day off from work. Oh, is that so? That's right. He said he's worrying about man's memory. Why didn't he do that to me? It would be much more convenient to have the seal and track me down. I guess it only works on an Aimee for a while. Later, the two arrived at the parking garage. She silently guesses he has no reaction at all. So it means he hasn't reached his limit yet? Suddenly Do-hoon smiles and replies, that's right. I need a fox right now. Moreover, I need a fox with the same seal as mine. She silently confirms that she was right. He can't kill me for at least a month. Thinking that, she suddenly turns gloomy and calls out. Hey, if you're done talking, let me ask you a few more things. Earlier I couldn't see because I was unconscious, but were you the one who mopped up the rainwater? In my room? Right? Her question leaves the two men bewildered. She continues. I guess you don't know the basic manners. Since you lived on a mountain. But because I am a very kind person, I will teach you thoroughly, okay? Do-hoon looks dumbfounded, asking what, listen carefully. You shouldn't visit someone's house so suddenly like that. And of course you shouldn't enter through the window like this. You have to enter through that door, hey. Maybe you don't know this. Because there aren't any doors on the mountain. You ring the bell, introduce yourself. And only enter the house when the host opens the door. Moreover, who taught you to step into the house barefoot? And soaking wet with rainwater at that? Do you understand now, huh? You socially awkward guy. As soon as Eun-gu finishes her sentence, the whole room falls silent. Hearing her sarcastic remarks towards Do-hoon, Sunjin can't help but burst into tears of laughter. Ha ha ha, while Do-hoon smirks and asks, "You are bolder than you look. Do you have an extra life or what? Anyway, you won't kill me before checking my seal. Keep bothering me. I still can't kill you within a month, no matter how arrogant you are. Right?" She replies boldly. That's right. He steps closer, his whole body emitting a dense killing aura. Then do it. Do you think I won't if you say so? Maybe you think that I will blindly indulge your wishes for a month. How ridiculous. Since when did letting someone live become blindly indulging them? How funny, you. She stops mid-sentence because of his killing aura. I told you to keep bothering me. Noticing the tense situation, Sung Jae speaks up to intervene. Stop it. I think you should stop, Eun-gu. I can't defeat Do-hoon either. How troublesome. I'm both annoyed and scared. This makes me so uncomfortable. Do-hoon walks towards the door. Hey, I guess you're not very cautious. Because I am in human form. We are monsters. We are cruel and show no mercy. It would be better if next time you think before you speak. You should know who you are talking to. After finishing his words, Sunjin smiles and thinks, I guess she's angry. Haha. Eun-gu annoyedly says, everything that happened is your fault. Why are you still smiling? Is that guy strong? Of course he is strong, because he was born with the purest IME bloodline, the purest? Aren't there many other pure-blooded IMs besides him? There are. But IMs with a pure bloodline are very rare. Moreover, Do-hoon is even more special among them. Do-hoon, he is the only son of the current leader of the IMs and the successor. Eun-gu immediately freezes. The person, the guy who just threatened me is the successor? I shouldn't have provoked him. Basically, my life is doomed now. I will die if my seal matches his. The door to the underworld will open from that day on. She asks, do you know what his seal looks like? I know, draw it on here. Do-hoon will get mad if he finds out about this. She screams, just draw it without letting him know. Does he have the ability to read other people's minds? He doesn't do that. Haha, he draws it on the paper and hands it to her. I think I have a talent for drawing. As soon as Eun-gu sees it, she immediately turns to stone. Her mouth agape in shock. Sunjin asks, why are you staring at it so intently? Do you recognize this seal? She breaks into a sweat and replies, because no, if so, then it's fine. To keep your existence a secret. If your seal does not match his. He always keeps his promises no matter what. Suddenly, Eun-gu asks, what if our seals are the same? He thinks for a moment then smiles and says, haha, things will get pretty tough. Even if I wanted to help you. I couldn't beat Do-hoon. Her trembling hands crumple the piece of paper. This is ridiculous, she silently screams. This is my seal. But why did you ask that? You just said you had never seen that seal before. Just because there might be someone unlucky among the people I know in the Fox tribe who has a seal like his. She silently says, that person is me. He will tell Do-hoon. If he knows I have the same seal as him, right? Sunjin is curious. Do you know someone from the Fox tribe? Of course, she says to herself. Now I should keep it a secret from him. No matter what happens. You won't tell me even if I ask. Sunjin spoke up, I have something to say. Eun-gu paused, secretly guessing. Is it about yesterday? I wonder what happened. Well, I should hear him out first. In Hung Sunjin Libo. I'm going on a business trip today. To Hong Kong for about a week. At this moment, Do-hoon stood up and left. Eun-gu was dumbfounded, wondering what that was. I have to be alone with Lee. Do-hoon for a whole week? You're going on a business trip to Hong Kong for a week? Hey. If you're gone for a whole week, then I have to live alone with that bastard. Even when I'm here, the three of us rarely meet. And Do-hoon is always away all day because of his work. But are you really going to leave me here alone? You promised to stay by my side. I really can't do anything else. It's my job. Besides, all you need to do is not run away. She thought. Basically, that bastard said he doesn't care. I have the same mark as Lee Do-hoon. Sunjin warned, there is one thing you must remember. When Do-hoon gets angry, he is really scary. Actually, it could be delayed for 3 weeks. But I'm afraid it might coincide with Do-hoon's madness period. What madness period? The initial cycle was scheduled a month later. After your agreement. But who knows? It might start a week or so earlier. Why are you only bringing up such an important matter to me now? You didn't ask. She repeatedly punched Sunjian's shoulder in anger. I didn't tell you because I thought you'd be scared. And I even changed my schedule because of you. What are you talking about? It might be difficult if Do-hun's power goes out of control when I'm not here. During this phase, an IME is very dangerous because they can't control it. Is it that scary? Yes, I think it's similar to lupus erythema. It seems an IME won't die from that pain. It's just a week. It will all end if you reveal the mark. She thought to herself. Why is he so sure my mark is different from Lee Do-hun's? Should I tell him the truth? And ask for his help? No, he is also an IME. I can't completely trust him. Suddenly Sunjian said, actually I've seen your mark before. Since when? During the summer break of our last year in middle school. But you said you'd never seen it. It seemed like you were intentionally hiding it. So I pretended not to know anything. Do-hun doesn't know anything about your mark. So you drew another one out of anxiety. Actually, I was the one who revealed your whereabouts to Do-hun. She asked in shock. Why? The IMAs have started the fox hunt. This is truly an emergency for the IMAs. Because Do-hun is the candidate for the next leader position of IME. I heard they found 12 foxes. Within a year. They will find you no matter what. Since Do-hun carries pure blood, it's highly likely that the fox with his mark also carries pure blood. So I made a deal with him. I told him I would let him know where the pure-blooded fox was. And if their mark was different from his, he would protect them from other IMAs. I'm sorry for not telling you sooner. Suddenly she asked, what did my mark look like when you saw it? Sunjian recalled in his mind and replied. It looked like a two-headed snake, coiled around a semicircle. She recalled during the summer break of her last year in middle school, when Haidang stayed at my house for 15 days. Ungu. I am very happy that our lupus erythema happened on the same day. What a coincidence. I know, it would be terrible if I was sick alone. And so she and Haidang slept on the same bed. That was the last day I was sick with lupus erythema. At that time Sunjian came. Her mother exclaimed, oh my, Sunjian. You're here? Ungu is still sleeping in the room. And Kwon Sunjian entered my house. The mark he saw was probably Haidang's. She suddenly cried out in her mind in surprise. No, that's not my mark. Kwon Sunjian mistook that mark for mine. When he saw it that day. Sunjian asked, are you okay? Are you hurting somewhere? Ko Koi Gwang Noi. It's nothing. Have a good business trip. Of course, remember to go to the hospital if you get sick. Okay. After saying that, Sunjian left. She was sitting deep in thought when Do-hun came over. She turned to look at him but said nothing. He asked, why are you looking at me like that? Hesitating. For a moment, she finally asked, the fox hunt, are you still doing it? It seems you're having a meaningless conversation. So, what did you do with the number of foxes you found? Did you kill them all? What are you talking about? They are useless to me. But it doesn't mean they are useless to others. He talks as if they are just objects. Our fox tribe is not something for you to chew and discard. As you please, whatever you say. Whether you become useful. Or something that can be used. And as you know, the right to decide is not yours but mine. Hearing that, she pursed her lips in extreme hatred. Suddenly he touched Ungu's forehead. You have 28 days left. You should have said at least 3 months. If you were going to lie about it. With that, he left, leaving her frozen. At this moment, someone called Do-hun. Come home for lunch today. I brought a gift for you. Very quickly, Do-hun arrived. What is this person complaining about? Long time no see, and you don't even greet me? Do-hun questioned. Who told you to send someone to my house without permission? Ly Jessie Katakoi Noi. Sorry, I just thought you'd ignore the calls. Along with my messages. Out of respect for you, that guy was let go. But I remember when I let him go. He didn't look like he had been in an accident. You don't usually say that. Are you saying that to make him laugh? Suddenly the atmosphere became quiet. What? You really don't know why he ended up like that. It's because of that half-blood. Kwon Sunjian came and made him like that. I thought you were the one who sent him. Do you really not know anything? Strange, anyway. Exactly what are you hiding at home? That made him lose his memory completely? Seems like you forgot that useless. Curiosity will only shorten your life. Are you chewing on that again? I know about it so you can keep quiet. If you're really hiding something at home, then I will make sure that no one's shadow will appear right in front of you much. I feel fine about those things. Do-hun stayed silent for a moment then told the truth. I found a fox. It seems you found your fox. I really made a mistake. Not necessarily, I still haven't checked. Then can I see her just once? So curious, stay quiet. If you keep acting senselessly, I won't let you off. Is that so? How is it? How is that fox? Do-hun rubbed his eyes, thinking. She always looks at me with hatred. She is fragile and weak. But she always says what she wants to say. Without hesitation. Ji-young pressed, you're not answering me. Is she hard to deal with? She's not bad. In what way? In every way, then that's good. That's the problem. Ji-young couldn't help but be surprised hearing that. Du-hun lai bao tua ti lai muon doi su te bac voi ko ta. At night, Do-hun returned to the building. Seeing no Eun-gu in the house. He frustratedly thought, did she go out? I told her not to go out today. You can't even stay put for a day. And ignoring my words too. When Lee Ji-young was asking like that. I should have said she is very hard to control. Suddenly a loud scream rang out. Do-hun immediately ran to open the bathroom door. Because the scream came from there. He asked what happened. Just as he finished, he froze. Eun-gu had fallen to the ground. The shower head was flailing around, pouring water on her. He quickly stepped forward and turned off the water. She asked, when did you get back? He helped her up. What are you doing? I wanted to soak in the tub, but due to this situation. Suddenly she noticed his soaking wet shirt. She blushed, thinking, too close. She looked up and asked, what's wrong with you? Suddenly Do-hun leaned closer to her face. He grabbed and held Eun-gu's shoulders. Their bodies drew close together. She awkwardly called out Lee Do-hun, then used force to push him away. She backed away. But once again, he stepped forward and grabbed both of Eun-gu's hands. Leaving her bewildered, not understanding what was happening. You can let me go now. I can stand on my own, Lee Do-hun. But he still didn't let her go. His hand even gently brushed over her lips. His face darkened, recalling what Ji-young had said earlier. If you weren't the one who sent him, then things after that would be different. Do-hun admitted, I did send him. Don't provoke anything with. Kwon Sunjian, you seem very close to him, huh? Get straight to the point. Why are you here? All right, I found a fox. Not long ago. Her mark has been verified, surprisingly. She is not your fox. Sorry for making all this a waste of effort. I heard she had pure blood. So I really thought she was the one. At this point, Do-hun looked at her intently, from her face. Then gradually looked down her body. Then down to her legs carefully. She asked bewilderedly, what are you suddenly doing? Do-hun remained silent and didn't answer. He went to open the cabinet, grabbed a towel, and draped it over Eun-gu's head. Once you're done, go outside. Watching her run away, he thought. I approached her without even realizing it. As if something was controlling me. There have been times when I felt the intent to kill the fox species. But this feeling of craving is a first. I felt like I was going to swallow her whole. If I didn't restrain myself. He told himself, it's not the time yet, go Eun-gu. Even if I tried to run away. This doesn't seem like a place for a fox like her to hide over here. Eun-gu shivered from the cold. It's really cold, the water is cold again. My clothes are sticking all over my body. I tried to take it off with one hand but it didn't work. Suddenly a hand reached out and grabbed her shirt. It was quickly taken off and thrown to the ground. She stood frozen in shock for a few seconds. Why did you take off my shirt? Were you going to continue like that? Who needs your help? Who else is here besides me for you to need help from? Why is he acting like that today? All right, thanks for helping. Now please get out of here, okay? He immediately turned his back, while she quickly put on a shirt. A moment later he said, put the bandage on. Looking at the bandage, she wondered why. Am I hurt somewhere? What, since when? Anyway, he really is a devil. He acted really strange earlier. Or was it just my imagination? He even bought me a new phone. Is he acting kind? Could he be drugging me? Suddenly he said, if you think I'm going to kill you, just try. Anyway, you seem quite tight-lipped today. Who was the one who threatened me to stay quiet if I didn't want trouble? From tomorrow, you can go out. She immediately replied, moving with this arm is very hard. Do-hun looked at her in her fox form. Either way, she doesn't like it. What should I do with her? Now that Sunjian isn't here. Aren't you worried? Ka-I-N-O-I. Everything will be fine if I don't try to run away. Since when did you start trusting me? I don't trust you. The person I trust is Kwon Sunjian. He smirked slightly. Ha, is that so? Right, you trust him but you don't trust me. Because I don't trust you at all either. He thought deeply. The Aimi species is sensitive to fox blood. If the blood of a fox shares the same mark as mine, it will be so sweet that it makes my whole body feel burning hot. Even just the faint smell of her blood made my whole body heat up for a moment. And I almost swallowed her whole. It's very sweet. Come to think of it, the possibility that Eun-gu is my fox has increased. It's been a day since Kwon Sunjian left. I want to check her mark. Before he comes back. He heard rumbling noises coming from Eun-gu's room. It seems she has gotten sick. After soaking in cold water yesterday. Walk slowly, first of all, I'll have to act like a friendly host. He walked in and asked, do you need my help? She held out her hand, signaling don't bother me. Go away, I'm saying do you need any help? And I reply, get lost, don't bother me. Suddenly Lee Do-hun stepped forward, pulling the blanket away, then unexpectedly picked her up. She asked in surprise, what are you doing? You called for me to help you. Damn it, why did I wave my hand? And he misunderstood like that? Her tired eyes slowly closed. The atmosphere became quiet. He looked at her, confused, thinking to himself, are foxes really this weak? Even when I threatened her. She didn't flinch at all. But seeing her clinging tightly to me like this isn't bad. After getting in 4 drip, my fever went down. Then I was brought back home. I really thought I was going to die. I hope I didn't slip up and say anything wrong then. That's not possible, is it? Maybe he just answered perfunctorily. Because it was chaotic then. As soon as she closed her eyes, Do-hun spoke up and asked. Can't sleep? She glanced at him and thought. Anyway, he is just like a devil. Ongoi suong Reibo. Are you foxes always this weak? Your body is as hard as a rock. Maybe due to the effects of the medicine, sleepiness kept rushing in. I can't sleep while in. Aimee is right next to me like this. He used his hand to cover her eyes. Stop being stubborn and just sleep. The cool temperature pressed against my face. Felt really comfortable. A moment later she also fell asleep. Do-hun thought to himself. A fox sleeping peacefully with an Aimee. Right next to her. Truly no sense of caution or vigilance at all. Suddenly he paused, noticing Eungu's phone. On the screen appeared a call from Kwon Sunjian. Do-hun hung up while thinking to himself. He called after just one day. You thought being with me was the safest. But the fox hunt has begun. Maybe leaving her here doesn't make you feel at ease either, does it? Maybe Sunjian will come back and take her with him. He stepped closer, gently lifting her injured hand. And carefully observed it. There should be a mark here. Just then, Eungu opened her eyes, startling awake. She just looked at him without saying anything. Probably because she was too tired. He wondered, should I check it now? No, now is not the time to be absolutely sure. Thinking about it, she probably hasn't eaten anything all day. Maybe that's better than dying. He went down to the garage. Just as his hand grabbed the steering wheel, he froze. What is this feeling? Since we were together all day, did the fever spread to me? Not knowing how much time had passed, Eungu woke up. She turned her eyes to look beside her. Seeing Do-hun sitting there with his eyes closed tight. She wondered to herself, has he always been here? What about work? If I collapsed from pain or not? It would be better if he just ignored it. Or he could take me to the hospital and leave. Still handsome but doesn't look very human. Suddenly he opened his eyes and immediately looked towards Eungu. So she quickly turned her face away to avoid his gaze. Suddenly she felt tired and dizzy, using her hand to support her forehead. Do-hun hurriedly stepped forward to help her lie down. She slightly looked up at him and embarrassedly said. Ah, sorry, he reached out his hand to check her temperature. The fever has gone down, I cooked porridge, come out and eat. She thought, unexpected indeed, is he taking care of me? The bowl of porridge was brought to the table. He said, sit down, what else are you doing? Why don't you eat? You said the same thing last time. If you're going to kill me, just do it. Why pretend to be nice to me like this? She asked, suddenly you're so kind? So should I be rude to a sick person? I can do that if you want. That's not what I meant. From now until then, I need to try to convince you. Eungu inwardly marveled. So delicious, I should say thank you, right? Seeing him rubbing his forehead tiredly, she asked, is something wrong? Who is worrying about whom here? A few hours ago, it seems someone looked like they were about to die, huh? She didn't answer but stood up. I'm done eating. It seems something is bothering him. I had planned to go on a business trip, coinciding with when Do-hun's power goes out of control. It's natural to be worried. Suddenly she spoke up and asked. That time you lost control. When was the first time it happened to you? Saying such things to an Aimee should be fine, right? I could ignore him and leave, after all. Do-hun replied, 18 years old, 58 years old. I also got lupus erythema around that time. It hurts a lot, right? Let's see, it's more appropriate to say traumatic than painful. That was also the moment I realized I would die. If I didn't find my fox. After that, she thought to herself, I'm still alive. Honestly, it feels like I just died and came back to life. Lee Do-hun, she recalled his words. That was also the moment I realized I would die. If I didn't find my fox. Why when seeing that expression of his? Does it make me so worried? I can't believe I'm worrying about this. Each of us is only 3 inches. She called out, Lee Do-hun. She brought him a glass of water. What are you doing here? Why won't you answer me? Those humans basically cannot live alone, without help from others. But I am not human. Even if you don't have those emotions, it doesn't mean you don't feel pain. Like them, sometimes. You even look like a person who needs help. At least in my eyes. With that said, she returned to her room, leaving Do-hun in deep thought. Truly meaningless, cold and tasteless. He also went into the dressing room. Suddenly he held his head with his hand. Forehead, a sudden dizzy spell washed over him. No way, did I catch a cold? How ridiculous. I've never heard of an Aimee catching a cold. Even now, it's still too early to come. The next day, it was pouring rain outside. Do-hun came out of the bathroom. She immediately yelled. How many times have I told you not to walk around the house naked? I think you should get used to this. Why should I get used to seeing you naked? He put on his shirt and walked over. He sat down next to her and said, Why can't you be quiet for a moment? Why are you sitting here? I don't feel comfortable with you here. Go sit somewhere else. You won't get fired for leaving. Work early without notice. Or being absent from work. Right? Eun-gu was baffled by her own question. Because he is the chairman's son. You're saying that again, why don't you leave? I'm afraid you'll do something foolish while Sunjian and I are away. Oh wow. Do you have no conscience? When I'm surrounded by a house full of cameras. And a temporary Mark II. And now you don't even go to the company. But stay here to monitor me? Both immediately fell into silence for a moment. Later, she went into her room in frustration. Good lord, what is he thinking? His condition these past few days is not good at all. Is he hiding something bad? Or is he just too free with nothing to do? He keeps quietly hovering around me. Does he want something from me? If I think about it, I might actually figure out what is deep inside this guy's mind. Should I prepare dinner? So much food on rainy days like this. My mom and I often make cold noodles together. Thinking so, she popped her head out and asked, Do you want to eat cold noodles with eggs? I mean, I'm going to prepare it anyway. So if you want to eat, let me make some more. Do-hun looked at her and asked, You want to cook with that arm? Why don't you eat the ready-made food? It's just my left arm anyway, I'm fine. Suddenly Do-hun snatched the knife from her hand. Then put on the apron. She asked, What are you doing? Do you even know how to cook? What is there that I can't do? She inwardly doubted, Does this guy really know how to do it? Who would have thought I'd be eating a dinner made by Lee? Do-hun? Somehow I feel a little proud. A moment later he said, Done, you can eat now. Looks so grand. She praised, It's quite delicious too. Why don't you eat? My head aches a bit. Suddenly Eun-gu reached out and touched his forehead. Do you have a fever? I think I might have caught a cold. Here is cold medicine. You should take medicine or you'll be like me, having a fever. He thought to himself. This is just ordinary cold medicine. Did she use it when she had a fever? Suddenly he smirked, leaving her confused. What is he laughing at? Since that day, the fever kept appearing and disappearing constantly. So annoying. I hope my worries are wrong. If it really happens. What if my power erupts when it's just me and Jong-woo? The person at most risk here is Jong-woo. I could lose control at any moment. And destroy everything around me. At this moment, a voice from the phone rang out. Oh. How is everything going? Brother, you actually called me. Missed me? What's the matter that you're calling me in the middle of the night? Do-hun asked, Is uncle there? What? You need to talk to dad and not me? Ah, a bit disappointing, isn't it? He thought. Uncle is responsible for recording and managing IME history. Even if Lee Young-jae doesn't know. Asking uncle carelessly might reveal that I'm hiding Do Eun-gu. If this happens, I will break my promise to Kwon Sunjian. Seeing Do-hun remain silent, Jiang irritably called out, Hey you. Is this matter that hard to talk about? I will check for you. Is something wrong? Why are you so hesitant right now? Do-hun spoke up. Find out if there are any errors in the timing. When powers go out of control. In about 3 weeks. What? My dear brother. As far as I know, it takes at least a week for both sides. I will look into it to be sure about this. And will get back to you. So please wait. Because it seems quite urgent, I will get straight to the point. This case seems rare. But specifically, the blood of a fox with the same mark can be a catalyst that makes powers surge. It will be more stimulating if the IME cycle is approaching. Can't smell the blood, can only smell that scent. But why are you asking about this? It probably doesn't have anything to do with you. Right, Do-hun? Shocked, he inwardly concluded, now it's clear. Do Eun-gu is indeed my fox. What's wrong? Why aren't you answering me? However, to form a contract, the fox tribe must reveal their mark themselves. I am sure the marks are the same. I have to find a way for her to reveal it. But Ji Young on the other end of the line said. I am not qualified to do it right now. But at this moment, Do-hun was already feeling dizzy. With this situation, I will harm Do Eun-gu. He growled, calling out, Lee Ji-young, come here right away. Right now? I am busy having dinner with Dad. He shouted, I said right now. With that, his phone dropped. Meanwhile, in Eun-gu's room. She was sitting when her phone notified of an incoming message. Earlier she had sent a message asking, Are Mom and Dad okay? Lee Haijang has now replied that. Aunt and Uncle are frantically looking for you. Are you really okay? Through Haijang. I can contact my parents. I'm fine, I will find a way to escape somehow. Please take good care of my parents. Alright, take care of yourself too. After texting, she blocked the contact to ensure safety. Now all I need to do is release this mark. How should I release it? Should I pretend? To pick a fight and make his nose bleed? My best bet is Kwon Sunjian, but... Just then, Kwon Sunjian called. She thought, he isn't very trustworthy either. He is a tiger, after all. She picked up and said, "Hi, you look tired." Did Do-hun bother you? Bother me? No, he actually looks like he is sick. Do-hun is sick? Impossible. It's true. Do-hun has been home for 4 days and hasn't even gone to work. Do-hun? That's right, he doesn't look well at all. It seems he has a severe headache. Ah, he also has a slight fever. I think it's a cold. But I think I've gotten used to living with him. After these 4 days. He isn't as scary as I thought. Hearing that, Sunjian remained silent. Eun-gu spoke up, "Hello? Did you hang up?" Sunjian then replied, "Oh no, I'm still listening." There's this thing I want to tell you. What is it? You can tell me right now if you want. This isn't something to say over the phone. When you return to Korea, we will talk in person. All right then. In the end, I have no other choice. I have to turn to Kwon Sunjian. Even though he was the one who revealed my location to Lee Do-hun. He did that because he was certain the 2 marks were different. Those Aimee bastards have started hunting Fox tribe members. He did that to protect me. She told herself, let's trust Kwon Sunjian for now. She went out to the living room. I'm so thirsty. Suddenly she paused. Seeing Do-hun standing in the dark room. She asked, why are you standing there? Not getting an answer. She stepped forward and called loudly, Lee Do-hun. Only then did he slowly turn around. Eun-gu suddenly changed her expression, eyes wide with terror. Do-hun's entire body was bulging with black veins. Sung Kwon on mot luong sak kai vio hin to ra du doi nongani. As if it could crush anything that got close. She backed away in fear, her voice trembling hesitantly. Hey, your eyes. Do-hun's usually calm eyes were now bloodshot, glinting with an uncontrollable madness. His feet slowly stepped forward. Do-hun was no longer himself. Ready to explode at any moment. Eun-gu thought to herself. An out-of-control Aimee is right in front of me. Ka-I-N-O-I. The loss of control could happen after 3 weeks. So why now? What should I do? Can I run? Suddenly Do-hun clutched his chest, crying out in pain. Immediately after, he spat out red blood from his mouth and both eyes. Eun-gu, both terrified and worried, asked, Lee Do-hun, you. Are you okay? Don't come closer. Do-hun opened his lifeless eyes wide, looking towards her. His feet also moved closer. Eun-gu wondered, am I going to die? At this moment he reached his hand out. Eun-gu fearfully shut her eyes tight. Tears uncontrollably streamed down. But she didn't feel any attack from him. She slightly opened her eyes to observe. Before her eyes were shards of glass. Shattered and dyed red with blood. His hand was still tightly gripping the glass shards. She could only call out, Lee Do-hun. He used both hands to clutch his head tightly. His mouth managed to say, run away, Eun-gu. His whole body trembled. Hurry up, get out of here, parking lot, run away. Wait, Lee Jiang and all of them, they will. Before finishing his sentence, he continuously coughed up blood. She hesitated, no. What are you talking about? He shouted, urging her before losing consciousness. Hurry up. With that, he turned and headed straight into his room. A trail of dark red blood followed his footsteps. Eun-gu thought to herself. If it's Lee Jiang, then I have heard this name before. At that moment she calmed herself down, snap out of it. Her feet took trembling steps, suddenly she paused. It's Lee Do-hun's blood. She remembered Hai Jiang's words, this. You can temporarily remove the mark. She grabbed the scissors and sliced into the mark on her arm. Then took Do-hun's blood and smeared it on. She wondered to herself. If I do this, will it work? At this moment, the mark on her arm glowed, then slowly faded away. A string appeared on the ground, she rejoiced inwardly. The mark has disappeared. Now before Lee Jiang arrives. All I need to do is run away from here as fast as possible, but the painful screams of Do-hun echoed continuously, making her pause. She looked back towards the door. She told herself to pretend she heard nothing. Try to control my emotions. I will cover my ears and try to escape. Do-hun's screams continued to ring out. Go Eun-gu, get out of here and run away. Wait there because Lee Jiang is coming. Tears involuntarily fell from her eyes. She laughed at herself. Ha ha ha. Losing control could cost this person their life. Turns out he bleeds when injured. Lee Do-hun also screams in pain too. She remembered the words he had said. Because I am not human. I think the Fox tribe is naturally weak, right? Even though he said some not so nice things. When I was sick. But Lee Do-hun, someone who secretly worries. Do-hun. He has learned a lot over the past few days. This is crazy, Jang Eun-gu. You're crazy, is this the time for you to hesitate? I will surely regret this. She decided to step up to the door and fling it open. Simultaneously asking, what are you doing? Why do you look like this? Seeing her approaching, he yelled out to stop her. Don't come closer. She thought to herself, this pain cannot be compared to lupus erythema. He has had to endure this pain every year. Alone for 12 years. Eungu walked up to him. Suddenly she extended her hand. The mark appeared on the back of her hand. Then she proposed. If we form a contract, will everything be okay? If possible, please form a contract with me. Establish a master-servant contract with me. As she spoke, her tears kept pouring down. Do-hun tightly grasped her hand and pulled her into a tight embrace. Next, he bit his own arm. A drop of blood fell onto Eungu's mark. The mark on her hand glowed. He softly reassured, it might hurt a little. He aimed for Eungu's neck and suddenly bit down. Eungu silently thought. Those who provide blood for the Aimi family. Thinking about him sucking my blood like a vampire. At this point, she leaned against him and fainted. After that, Do-hun laid her on the bed, wondering. She knew how to temporarily unseal it. But why did she come back? She said that. Did she think I deserved all this? No, you will be my little fox. Don't worry, he gently touched Eungu's face. Suddenly, a loud crash rang out. Along with a voice. What is this mess? I thought you wouldn't open the door, so I opened it myself. Did you buy fake goods? It broke with just a little force. How have you been doing lately? Who is that beside you? Do-hun stood up and answered him, a fox. She is my fox. Jiang thought to himself. I had thought that one would die of exhaustion. But it seems that Fox Lady has the same mark as him. Congratulations, finally free from that damn curse. Are you planning to return to the family? Right now, that's the safest place for the next few days. When the contract is not completely stable yet. Brother, you better go to the hospital and get treated. For your wounds first. I will take this fox back to help you. Do-hun immediately grabbed his arm. No need, get lost. Ji-young smiled slightly at his action. Do-hun picked Eungu up to carry her back to his room. Even though his arm was bleeding non-stop. All right, I know. It's hard to believe that a mother fox is willing to hand her child over to someone else. I know, you would never hand your fox over to me. And from the start, I never expected you to agree. He looked at Eungu and silently thought, this isn't the first time. I think we will meet again in the future. Fox. Jiang also followed into the room, reassuring him. She will recover quickly. Rest assured, it won't take too long. The person from the Fox tribe who formed a contract with me only took 5 days to recover. Downstairs, a group of people arrived. Bon Ho Bao rang. This looks interesting. I'm very much looking forward to meeting the one who formed a contract with Li Du. Hun, anyway. Chavako kwatako vi rat vui mung truok thong tin nai. On this side, Jiang spoke again. You know you have to drink blood. Even if that fox doesn't want to wake up today. Isn't that so? For the next 40 days, you still have to do this. To maintain the stability of the contract. But I will take care of her. So stop your nonsense and get out. Alright, I'll go out so you two can have private space. But as for you, at least go. Greet your family, shouldn't you? Do-hun remained silent, giving no answer. He gently lifted Eungu's hand. Why didn't you run away? Suddenly Jiang said, Brother, you have a guest. Do-hun immediately objected, telling him to leave. I wanted to. But he's as persistent as a leech. If you just ignore it like this, the other siblings will be in trouble. He frowned and asked, What? Kwon Sunjian is here? I will go meet him. Don't do anything stupid and remember to always guard the door. A moment later, Do-hun went out and told the bodyguard. He is my guest. Step aside and let him in. La Kok Tiat not Tua Kung Ninwa Motly Tra Chu Nhi. The atmosphere seems a bit tense, huh? Sunjian asked coldly, Where is Eungu? She is in my room. Yen Tong Tua Dam Bao Se Bao Vi Ko I Koi In Hung in my cock. Sunjian demanded. Why did you bring her back here? Without my presence? I promised you. But that was only if our marks were different. So the reason you wanted the three of us to live together was just to confirm that? But why did you bring her back there? Do-hun stated, I have found my fox. Sunjian was shocked and asked, What? Do-hun thought to himself, no matter what he says. There is only one way to confirm his words. He firmly stated once again, Do Eungu is my fox. And I have formed a contract with a fox. To gain a period of stability. In the room, Jiang complained. Are people of the Fox tribe always this weak? Why do they stay unconscious for so long after forming a contract? Anyway, the strangest thing is that the person would return after leaving for a while. There must be something special about this. Fox, this is so pointless, talking to someone who is unconscious. I should have followed and observed him instead. Right then, she opened her eyes and woke up. Oh, you're awake. Are you fully alert yet? You've slept through the whole day today. Hey, why did my brother find you? I heard you formed a contract with him when he lost control. Did I propose to establish a master-servant contract first? Ko tam gia ka nu chuyen kwade. It's giving me a headache. She spoke up, You're really noisy. That made Jiang pause. He smirked and said, How interesting. I've never heard of a fox afafter forming a contract, having a personality exactly like its master. You should feel lucky because your master is Lee Do-hun. She sat up and asked, "Where's this?" Jiang said, "The main house, also known as the Lee Imi base." The Lee Imi base? Where is Lee Do-hun? He is entertaining guests. Aren't you curious about who I am? Ko tam gi nuoi dan ong nai kung la nuoi kwa liami. He doesn't look safe. Gi roi ko bao. Why should I be curious? Pfft, you're really interesting. Ungo thought again. I've been sleeping all day. Kwon Sunjian must have arrived back in Korea. He will surely be surprised to see the state of the house, so messy and ruined like it is now. At this point she asked, "That guest came looking for me, right?" His face darkened as he complained, "So annoying." He reached his hand out and continued, "Just sleep obediently until my brother returns." Ungu couldn't help but be shocked. "My vision is blurring. The person Lee Do-hun went to meet. I must find out who that is." Outside, Sunjian asked in surprise, "You really formed a contract with Ungu?" Ka kung bi kon dao kwa kak ton vien trong tok cao. Cannot be discovered, unless they reveal it themselves. It was Du Ungu who wanted to form a contract with me. Take me to see her. I want to confirm her condition myself. Currently. Do-hun immediately put his hand out to stop him. "Didn't I already tell you? If the marks are the same, you'd better go back. Even if I view Go Ungu as a disposable product, you still have no right to interfere." Sunjian's fists clenched until they trembled from the room above. Ji Young observed the situation below. He seems really angry. The atmosphere looks quite concerning. Suddenly Do-hun turned around. He glanced upstairs. "You're like a ghost." That's enough nonsense. Lee Ji-young dared to ignore his warning and went into the room. Why was I so reckless to leave Lee Ji-young and go? Ungu alone? I must quickly go back. He turned back and told Sunjian, "We have already reached the pre-stabilization period. If you don't believe me, I will let you two meet after she gets better." Don't tell me you formed a mate contract. For an Aimee, a mate is someone with a strong bond with them, and the family maintains stability by becoming one with their partner. Do-hun thought to himself, why did I even bother telling him that? Do-hun didn't answer but stepped inside. Sunjian slowly followed behind, not getting an answer. Sunjian angrily lunged forward and grabbed Do-hun's collar tightly. "You. What did you do to Ungu?" Do-hun raised his hand and removed Sung Yun's hand. "Why should I explain myself to you?" He shouted, "Lee Do-hun. You know this, Go Ungu is mine. And there's nothing you can do to me. If you want to meet Go Ungu, come back after the pre-stabilization period in the room." Jiang sighed in boredom. This is exactly the reason I didn't want to return to the main house at all. I'm going to die of boredom. Suddenly the phone rang. He thought, I wonder if the news that brother Do-hun has formed a contract leaks out. That child who grew up abroad. The fox that he had such a hard time finding. Now is not the time. It's still too early to announce it to the outside. Ungu's phone displayed a notification, Lee Ji-young, missed call. Not knowing how much time had passed, Ungu woke up once again. She thought to herself, did that devil force me to fall asleep? She slowly sat up. With a slightly surprised look. She called out, Lee Do-hun, come on. You looked like you were going to die and now you're fine. Your recovery ability is really formidable. Hearing her words, he opened his eyes and woke up. He asked, Go Ungu. After the temporary mark disappeared. Why did you come back? I felt sorry for you. Though I don't know who should pity whom anymore. She thought, gambling my life to save Lee Do-hun is truly regrettable. On bao toi de thiet lap ki uoc chu de theo mong muon qua ko. If you want anything else, just say it. Not even a single thank you. Ensure the safety of my family. That's all. I can't say for sure, he thought to himself, while Go Ungu slept, to ensure the contract's effectiveness. I sucked her blood. But it's not enough. The reaction is too strong. At this rate, I will lose control. With that, he opened the wardrobe and grabbed a shirt, throwing it over her. He suggested going outside and then continued. She asked, isn't it weird? Having tea this early? Do-hun didn't answer but pondered. The servants in the main house are all Imas. They work in 3 shifts and are on duty 24 hours a day. Leaving Lee Ji-young here is too risky. But it's also convenient to know where Go Ungu is. It's best not to let her know. There are eyes and ears around. Gi Royon Bao. From now on, the contract between the Aimee and the Fox tribe needs 40 days to be perfected. During that time to ensure the contract is effective, you have to replenish blood every day. If I am not by your side, you cannot step out of here, not even a single step. She gasped in shock. You mean? He continued. By the way, there are 6 cases of foxes and Imas separating before those 40 days ended. All those foxes vomited blood and died. If you don't want to die, it's best not to go anywhere. She was stunned and asked, vomited blood and died just because of separating? Cannot leave here? You mean I will have to stick by you all day? This is Aimee territory. As long as it's still within my area of management, you can walk around in this area. After 40 days, the mark will be engraved on your arm. It will be powerful enough to protect you. However, during this time, that bond is not strong enough. You will be very vulnerable to attacks. Once the mark is engraved, you can return to your normal life. Although now I need to suck blood once a day. Later it will decrease to once a year. And eventually, there will come a time when securing the contract isn't necessary anymore. Ko vui ve bao. What a relief indeed. So I won't be tied down for life. This contract is not eternal. Suddenly Do-hun said, I only said there would be that time. I didn't say the contract would be cancelled. Does he mean me saving him is to be expected? The main house is the safest place. So it's best you stay there during this time. Wait, isn't this the Imi base? Even if I don't have to worry about vomiting blood and dying, I could still be attacked and killed by other Imas, right? Do-hun asked, what's with that expression? When I woke up earlier I saw a man. Who was that? He didn't look much like a servant. Do-hun thought to himself, Go-un-goose. Senses have gotten sharper when I wasn't here. She deliberately didn't mention it. He stated, that was Lee Ji-young. Is he the Imi who stepped on my wrist before? Not surprising. The way he talks isn't pleasing to the ears at all. Wait. She remembered earlier Do-hun said, stop there, wait. Lee Ji-young, he will come. She looked at him with a probing gaze, he called him like that. If they are not close, then what is it? Do-hun smiled and said, it's a pity Lee Ji-young isn't here. Are you telling me to live alone for 40 days? In a place full of Imas like this? I will take a few days off, after finishing some remaining tasks at the company. It will probably take about 4 days, so just stay obediently in your room. I don't want to have to go explain to clients. After that, I will accompany your schedule. He paused and lit a cigarette. She listened to him attentively. Also, don't be alone with Lee Young, he doesn't know how to control himself around foxes. She replied, I know. What's this? You're so obedient today. Does this bastard think of me as a dog or something? He stood up, well then, let's go. She followed behind him, silently thinking, anyway, I didn't expect the Imi to control everything about the contract. Lee Do-hun has nothing left to lose. I thought he would be even more selfish and dictatorial. He led her to a room. This will be your room. While you live in this house. She walked over and sat on the bed. Seeing that Do-hun still hadn't left, she asked, why are you still here? Do you have something you want to say to me? He looked at her without answering, making her flustered, thinking. Is something wrong? What big matter is it? Wait. Do-hun reached out and rubbed her head, reassuring, calm down. She stared blankly, huh? No one here can touch you. Without permission from me. Ah. Why are you suddenly so kind? Sao du nuoi lam di den noi. The master sent these gifts for you. For you to use while living here. I think he sent these things because he saw you had nothing to wear. Wait, aren't all my things at Lee Do-hun's house? Why? I don't need these things. All you need to do is bring my belongings from Lee Do-hun's house over here. The master has ordered me to throw all of that away. She thought angrily, who allowed him to do that? Be patient now. Because this isn't her fault anyway. How does he know my size? Anyway, it's not important. I can't go out alone. So what is the purpose of all this? Is there anything important besides my clothes at Lee Do-hun's house? My phone. Maybe right now, my parents are waiting for a phone call from me. She remembered the words Sunjian had said. Because you are my childhood friend. I tried asking Do-hun when he found out my mark was different from yours. To protect you from other Imas. He must know everything by now. When Lee Do-hun comes, first, I will ask him to bring my phone over. She lay longingly on the bed, sighing. It's only been half a day. Ah, so boring. All that good is all day. Watching movies, eating, drinking tea on the balcony, reading books, napping. It used to be very comfortable and beautiful. But there's a limit to playing alone. I want to go outside. She went out and called Hyunju. I'm going for a walk in the park over there. Hyunju, 25 years old, Ungo's maid. Where did everyone go? There's no one here. She thought to herself, let's take a turn and walk. It's nice to enjoy the fresh air. This park is really huge. Suddenly someone spoke up. Hello. She paused, thinking, that voice. He suddenly appeared right behind her. Have we met before? She recognized that person was Lee Ji-young. She quickly backed away, frowned and said, get out of the way. Are you mad at me? Oh. Are you mad at me because I forced you to sleep earlier? Why? Didn't I tell you to get out of the way? Would you like to have a cup of tea with me? He's not even listening to me. They say you're Lee Do-hun's younger brother, right? Aren't you younger than me? Why are you speaking to me so informally? That's right, I'm younger than you. So I think it's quite okay to speak informally. Because I'm younger. You really have a talent for making people angry. I'm leaving. Suddenly he asked. Don't you have some questions about my brother? I will tell you what you want to know. Instead, let's have a give and take. I also have a few questions for you. Eungu agreed, replying, I will go first. After that, both entered the room. Only allowed to ask 3 questions, okay? Alright, you ask first. How did my brother find you? He asked a very hard question right at the start, huh? I used my ability in front of Lee Do-hun. When I had a high fever. Huh? You're really foolish, she cursed inwardly, bastard, he's so annoying. Now it's your turn to ask. What is the relationship between you and Lee Do-hun? Oh. It's quite special. Eungu, full of annoyance at his non-answer. She stood up. I'm leaving. He pulled her hand back. Don't be in such a rush. Making her a bit startled. This bastard is too strong. Ah, sorry. I still haven't learned to control my own strength. We are cousins. His father is my uncle. On I va toi la mot trong in hung nuoi ko dong mouth wong kiet. Leftover. Now that I think about it. We are a little bit alike. Now it's my turn to ask, right? Why did Do-hun form a master-servant relationship with you, huh? What kind of question is this? Because I requested it of him. You requested it? Do-hun noi rang on I se hin tan wakwan he dong han. If he found a member of the clan. If he had a child. Carrying pure blood on them. That child would have to endure the same pain as him. Instead, he thought of taking a member of the clan. As his companion. To take care of his assets. But you mean, Do-hun changed his mind because of your request? How novel, just because you requested it. Why? She irritably replied. How would I know what Lee Do-hun is thinking? It's your turn, ask away. This guy. He is completely different from Lee Do-hun. Do you feel your powers beyond control? For someone carrying pure blood. Without a contract, you'd think they would be quite sensitive. Why don't you seem worried? Jiang replied. The day my power suddenly surged. I immediately found that there was a fox with a mark. Just like mine, maybe I was just lucky, huh? She thought to herself, heaven is so unfair. Why did luck come to someone like him? Jiang continued. That fox cried and confessed that she liked me. Coincidentally, it was my fox. That fox said she would do anything I wanted. Probably would follow me to the death without hesitation. Eungu found it strange seeing his expression. This phrasing. Then suddenly he asked. So why did you sign a contract with Do-hun? You could have run away then, right? She recalled that time and answered him. I felt pity for Lee Do-hun's pain, huh? Lee Do-hun. Pitiful? He couldn't hold back and burst out laughing. I knew it would be like this. Now it's my turn again. The person who came to see Lee Do-hun yesterday is... it Kwon Sunjian? Ah. Do-hun told me not to talk about this. If I hear it here again, honestly. He brought it up again this morning. Not allowed to talk about Kwon Sunjian. Thinking so, he asked. What is the relationship between you and that guy? She looked bewildered. That guy? You haven't answered my question. He laughed and replied, that's right, Kwon Sunjian came over. Kodung de Noi. All 3 questions have been asked. I'll be going now. You're very patient. See you later, take care. Upon returning, she saw Hyunju pacing back and forth with a worried look. She stopped when she saw Eungu. She asked, where did you go? I just went for a walk. You said as long as I don't leave the house, it's fine. Right? That's not it, but there are still guests here. I thought you were in your room at this time. Did you meet any foxes? No, I was a bit tired because of the walk, so I came in here. She thought to herself, it's so stuffy here. Then opened the door and stepped out onto the balcony, thinking that I have to live in a place like this for 40 days. It's so suffocating. At night, she went into the room and saw Do-hun. She asked in surprise, what? Since when did you get here? He didn't answer but asked her back. How was your dinner? None of your concern. Did you tell the servants to throw all my stuff away? That needed to be done, but do you think throwing other people's stuff away without asking for their opinion is wrong? Isn't that wrong? My phone is in the desk drawer. Get it for me. But Do-hun turned around without answering. He slowly took off his tie, then his outer shirt. He slowly walked over and sat on the bed. She asked, why suddenly like this? You're too close. He looked at her for a while before saying, you should have done the once-a-day ritual, right? All right, it's blood-sucking. You should have told me beforehand. You always ignore the things I say. Do-hun grabbed her hand and pulled her in. His mouth slowly pressed closely to Eungu's neck. After a moment, there was no movement. Making her eyes widen in surprise. Do-hun was still hesitating. A moment later, he bit her neck. He let her go and worriedly asked, hey, does it hurt a lot? She teared up, wondering to herself, is it done? Then he bit her neck once again. She closed her eyes and helplessly said, again? He gently licked the bite mark, making her a bit bewildered. Only then did Do-hun start sucking the blood flowing from the wound. Finally, Do-hun let go. She touched her neck and inwardly thought, I'm exhausted. Imagine having to do this every day for 40 days. Suddenly he grabbed her hand and said, come here. She asked in confusion, but does this ritual really have to be done this way? Can't you draw the blood out and drink it like a blood donation? He replied, if you're not comfortable, Next time we will do it that way. She immediately questioned. If there was that way, why didn't you do it from the start? Why bother biting my neck, so troublesome? That way you can drink directly, right? What kind of person is this? How unreasonable. Do-hun requested her to follow him for a while. Then both went to the dining room. She said, I wasn't planning on having dinner anyway. If you have to lose such an amount of blood every day, you shouldn't skip meals. Nonsense. Aren't you just fattening me up to eat me? In the morning there were even tonics. It seems we didn't come here just to eat dinner. The atmosphere became quiet. She thought, what is he planning to say? Suddenly he spoke up. What did you say when you met Lee Ji-young today? She was startled and dropped the fork in her hand. How did he know? Did Lee Ji-young tell him? Didn't you hear what I said? I didn't go to see him. He approached me first. I clearly told him to get out of the way, huh? What are you talking about? She said angrily, you're being too controlling over me. Relax a little. We just came and chatted a bit. Do I have to report these little things to you? Do-hun frowned. Then unexpectedly ordered, bring Lee Ji-young here. Eun-gu looked at him and asked. We didn't say anything special anyway. He said he would tell me more about you. So I asked. That's all. So what have you learned? She cursed inwardly, you're so shameless. Because he dared to hide the fact that Kwon Sunjian came, pushing me into a corner, just because I left for a moment. That arrogant look on his face. Thinking about this, she snapped, hey you. Initially, you weren't going to do that. But you established a master-servant relationship, just because of my request. Right? His face turned dark. Just to find out this trivial thing. You ignored my words to follow that Lee Ji-young? I want to see you uncomfortable even just a little because of me. One more thing, Kwon Sunjian came here last night. Why didn't you tell me? Please let me meet Kwon Sunjian. Because he has already left. It's not because he's a threat to you. I have to explain to him that forming the contract was my choice. He must be very worried. A gloomy aura emanated around Do-hun. He tapped his hand on the table and asked, do you really have to explain about the contract? He seems very special to you. Her answer surprised him, of course. To me, he is very special. Do-hun glared at her in anger. The heavy killing intent shattered the vase, making Eun-gu shudder in fear at Do-hun's wrath. When hearing her say those words, she spoke up and asked, what is it? Suddenly Do-hun said, go, if you want to stop, get up and go. She wondered to herself, why is he getting angry? Please, just let me meet Kwon Sunjian privately. I won't agree until the contract is completely stable. I'm sure he thinks I was forced to form the contract. And thinks it was his mistake. This is very typical of his personality. He frowned. Said, you are not allowed to go see Kwon Sunjian. She thought, will he accept our contract? Kwon Sunjian. Although we're not too close. But after this incident, I'm sure. If he knows the two marks are the same, he should have hidden Eun-gu's presence. Until the end. Even if I lost my life in front of him. Eun-gu still thinks it will be okay. If I explained that situation to him. Because Kwon Sunjian is that kind of person. You said you two have known each other since childhood. But it seems you don't know anything about him at all, right? Do-hun lowered his eyes, retorting. You're the one who doesn't know anything about him. Suddenly someone walked in and said, Master. Here's what you requested. Do-hun took the phone and handed it to Eun-gu. If you want to contact Sunjian, I will allow it. Why not add something else? Like I can only call him in front of you. Or something similar. She thought to herself, he is always like that. Even though he has fulfilled all my requests. But in the end, I really can't do anything. Without Lee Do-hun's permission. While she was thinking, she was startled to hear Do-hun knocking on the table. Along with his cold voice. You're crossing the line. And I am tolerating you as much as I can. You also know that most foxes and imas don't just simply obey what they are ordered. I have ignored his warnings too many times. Even now, I am intentionally provoking him. Since that night, somehow, I have kindled an uncertain belief. But at least for the present moment, I trust Lee Do-hun. He won't gamble with his own life. At this moment, come to think of it, the other imas wouldn't let his fox do whatever she wants. Thinking that, she said, I will go to my room to make a phone call. A moment later in Eun-gu's room, on the other end of the line. Sunjian spoke up, Eun-gu. She thought, his voice sounds so sad. He said again, are you okay? Is it because of me? Just as I thought, he is blaming himself. She spoke up to explain. It's not your fault. You thought my mark was different. It was me who wasn't trusting enough. To tell you the truth. Sunjian interrupted her and said, you should have told me first. You know, at that time, I said we would meet privately when you returned. I wanted to meet you face to face to talk to you. Let's meet first and then talk more. Kwon Sunjian asked, you were forced to form a contract, right? She happily replied. No way. I requested it from him as a master-servant relationship. How did he verify the mark? Did Lee Do-hun threaten you? I was really worried about you. Actually, I could have escaped. But I was the one who revealed the mark first. What? She thought to herself. Maybe now he thinks I am really stupid. But I am like him. I was also trying to get Lee Do-hun away, just like how he is doing now. I just wanted to save this selfish guy at that time. She explained. Do-hun's power was out of control then. And I felt like he could die at any moment. If you were there, before she finished, Sunjian raised his voice. Why did you do that? Surprising her, she asked, huh? Sunjian's tone gradually became cold. What exactly did he say to you? I will find out. Luko catch now cham dat ki nuak kong. She asked, what about Lee Do-hun then? If the contract is terminated, what will happen to him? I know this better than anyone. What happens to an Aimee without a fox? Hearing those words, Eun-gu involuntarily remembered Do-hun's words earlier. You don't know anything about that guy. Her eyes widened in shock. Sunjian continued speaking. Eun-gu, you are more important to me than Do-hun. Or are you saying that your life, being in someone else's hands, is perfectly fine? She replied, it's really much better than I thought. Lee Do-hun is still selfish. But he's also very nice. Sunjian asked, how long do you think this will last? Eun-gu silently wondered. It's strange that I thought I understood you better than anyone. But what are you thinking right now? I can't even guess it. Dende Kobao. It would be better if we talked face to face. Let's meet and talk more later. Eun-gu, I'm sorry. With that, she hung up. Sunjian, on his side, held his forehead, silently calculating. A moment later, he called someone. The voice on the other side rang out. What's the matter? It's rare for you to call me. Sunjian's eyes emitted a dangerous look. He spoke up and replied. I need your help over here. Eun-gu stood in front of Do-hun's room door. She hesitated for a moment, then reached out to knock on the door. His voice rang out, come in. He was still looking at the document and asked, what is it? I want to ask you a favor. Before the stabilization phase ends, you shouldn't meet Kwon Sunjian privately. She replied in confusion, I didn't come here for this. He took off his glasses and said, speak. My parents have returned from their trip. They only know that I was taken by you. But they don't know anything about the contract between us. Act like a good master, just this once. They will be very worried if they know about the contract. My mother thinks all Aimas are bad people, we are the bad guys, right? Especially to someone like you. That will happen to you too. I used to think so too, but from now on, I will only believe what I see. So what have you seen? Earlier you hurt me to save me. Right. Her words made him surprised. Seeing him not responding, she thought to herself she might have asked too much. I'll just ask him to let me visit my parents for 4 days. She turned to leave when suddenly Hun spoke up. Don't skip meals when I'm not around. I will clear my schedule on Saturday. She smiled slightly upon hearing that. The next morning, the young master told us to draw blood from now on. Has he bought all the tools yet? Please go to your room. I will prepare dessert for you. Eun-gu secretly admired the delicate treatment. After finishing, Hyunjo left to rest. Eun-gu rubbed her eyes wondering, by the way. Why am I feeling so sleepy lately? Suddenly she saw a large shadow cast on the table. We meet again. What is on your neck? Did my brother do it? Where did this bastard come from? Jae Rang curiously lifted the patch. Wow, he bit you that hard. You are the same, aren't you? I heard you made a contract with a fox. I changed from a master-servant contract to a partner one a long time ago. She cried and confessed her feelings to me. She felt happy to be my fox. Well, if you two like each other, then a partner relationship isn't bad. So are you married yet? With her? No need to get married. This is a contract. So it can be broken at any time. If the guarantor is no longer needed. By the way, let's have a meal together later. You must be lonely these days. Because there's no fox around. If you are so special, why not cancel the contract? She doesn't seem to want to leave me. I think you are the one who doesn't want her to go. Then why not take responsibility and marry her? Jae Rang gritted his teeth and asked. Who would marry a fox? Eun-gu was surprised seeing his expression. Even though this guy is with someone who likes him. And even though they have advanced to a partner relationship. And have a connection. Physically, but just mentioning marriage. He seems very displeased. This bastard treats foxes like tools. One day I will cancel the contract with her. When the time is right. You don't have to worry. Unrequited love, huh? You said she likes you, but he hesitated then. Eun-gu continued. If you keep looking down on others' feelings. And hurt them. Then one day you will get your karma. Who said that, God? I don't believe it. Eun-gu secretly wondered. Why does that girl like this twisted guy? I don't know her name, age, or face. But this really makes me uncomfortable. She asked, all right then. Have a meal with your fox later. Changed my mind, I won't introduce you to her. Why not? I think you will say useless things to her. You scammer, I am curious about one thing. You seem close to Kwon Se-young-jae. By the way, have you ever seen his mark? She replied never, then thought to herself. Should I go inside? So the mark has appeared. Just finishing his sentence, Jae Rang immediately froze because Do-hun appeared behind him menacingly. He put both hands on the table and said coldly, "Why are you so curious?" Lee Ji-yun. Eun-gu was also awkward, remembering that she said, "I'm sure I told you. I have never been alone with him." Then she hurriedly explained, "I was just on the rooftop." He suddenly barged in like that. Do-hun, don't be angry. Do-hun, do you think I want to harm her just because she's a fox? If you're done, please leave. Actually, I came here to visit Do-hun. Wait, let's talk a little more. I have a few things to say, you get out of here. Isn't this my room? You two should be the ones leaving. Hearing that, he froze for a few seconds. Isn't it because you take care of Do-hun? Why is your personality so bad? She angrily asked who was talking. Suddenly Do-hun spoke up. What about your dinner? Hey, since when did you start caring about those things, huh? Answer me, I had dinner with dessert. And took the nutritional supplements you gave me. Take good care of your neck. Actually, I wasn't injured. That seriously. It's all because of you. Jae Rang interjected, you really know nothing. This is the time when the smell of foxes makes the IMEI become more aggressive. You guys are a naturally aggressive species. It's not to that extent. Like an unstable IMEI. There is no special torture towards the fox clan with the same seal. But there will be a time when he becomes ferocious. And there's also a time he wants to leave a mark on you. Of course, there's also a time when he has sexual desires and wants you. She asked in a daze. What? So there are many Imays and foxes forming master-servant relationships, but still intertwining with each other. Do you understand what I'm saying? Actually, I don't necessarily hold back. But it seems Do-hun cares about you a lot. Do-hun dragged him away. Stop talking nonsense and get out of here. Before leaving the room, Do-hun glanced at her one more time. At this time, Eun-go sat down shaking her head vigorously. Of course, there's also a time when he has sexual desires and wants you. Thinking about that made her face flush red. In the room, Do-hun asked what's wrong. Jang replied, about Kwon Se-young-jae. Did you know my uncle supported his family? Tuition fees and living expenses. As for that child, cutting ties with IMEI himself and leaving alone. So what? An IMEI with zero empathy for his own bloodline. Do-hun calmly sipped his tea and asked, so what? Do-hun, do you know something? Why are you asking about Kwon Se-young-jae's seal? It's weird. He has power but the seal still hasn't appeared. Have you seen his seal yet? It hasn't appeared yet, so of course no one has seen it. Jae Rang replied disappointedly. Is that so? He stood up saying it's boring, I'm leaving. Early the next morning in Eun-go's room. She was still fast asleep. Do-hun stood by the bed looking at her thoughtfully. Lately it seems she wants to get out of here. So I need to return as soon as possible. A fox will usually donate blood to an IMEI. That is a matter of course when taste increases in sleepiness. My heart suddenly feels comfortable with that breathing sound. Is that a reaction of stability? He gently lifted her hand with the mark. And remembered Jae Rang asked. Have you seen his mark? He muttered the name Kwon Sung-jae. That day, on a rainy day, Do-hun stood looking outside and thought. Has it finally appeared? At that time Sung-yeon was browsing his phone. And Do-hun stood out on the balcony. It was when he saw Eun-gu. When she was using her power. Making everyone as well as the scenery freeze. Do-hun stood there secretly marveling, how quiet. Clearly, even Eun-gu's power. He looked over at Sung-yeon. Is also affected by that power. Scene transition, Sung-yeon is calling someone on the other end of the line. Well then see you next time. Lee Se-young. Remember to contact me when I come to Korea. He held his forehead and thought. Eun-gu said she is fine. But the possessiveness of an IMEI towards foxes is truly reckless. Of course it is very dangerous. Even if I treat her very well. I don't know what she will do. If he feels desperate. To be honest. Do-hun, tell them your position depends on me. You say those words in front of me. I will save you. Eun-gu returned to Eun-gu's side. She said you only slept for 4 hours. He replied it's normal. Because your blood is drawn a little every day. If you feel sleepy then just sleep enough. We're going out so get ready. You came here early because of doing something for me, right? You should have woken me up. He thought to himself. I don't like wasting time. And I'm not used to waiting either. But the strange thing is, I kind of like this feeling of waiting. Seeing her step out, he looked intently for a while, then came over to adjust her clothes. While instructing now after Lee Ji-yun left. You can walk freely in the house. What if we happen to bump into each other? It's fine, it depends on your limits. No one will dare to speak disrespectfully to you. What does that mean? Lee Se-young is an exception, right? If I do something wrong, the leader will be Lee Se-young. So he will be the one in power. She asked. Anyway, aren't you the one in charge? He chuckled. Seems like you understand. You understand my position? He flicked Eun-go's ear. Why do you have to act like that when you know it? She was surprised, thinking, why is he like this? Sometimes he doesn't look so scary. He even has this expression? Somehow. I feel like we've become closer. A moment later she asked, but where are we going? The shopping mall. I see I need to buy a gift. What gift? Do you want me to choose with you? Who are you giving the gift to? Your parents. She exclaimed in surprise. Huh? He explained. We can't go empty-handed. You told me I must behave like a good person. So let's go Eun-gu. After all I owe you. You risked yourself to save me. I understand that clearly. Hurry up, we will go there after dinner. So she quickly followed him. And both of them didn't say anything more. After that they arrived at a restaurant. She said this place is expensive. Have you ever been here? Oh, my birthday. Kwansei OM. Treated me to a meal here. Oh, mentioning Kwansei OM. The attitude shows up immediately. What's wrong between you and Kwansei OM? Aren't you two friends? Are you mad at each other? Suddenly he asked, what did he say to you? She recalled, I will look more. To see if there's a way to terminate this contract. With Lee Do-hun, the contract will directly affect his life. I can't tell the truth, she stammered. Well, she hurriedly changed the subject. Ah, well, do you mind if I ask about your parents? I don't mind. My father doesn't care much about me. As long as I signed the contract with my fox. So he probably won't pay attention to you either. My mother is resting abroad due to health issues. Really? Then I should come greet her when she returns. Does your mother hate foxes or anything similar? I'm a little nervous, thinking about meeting her for the first time. Hearing this, Do-hun turned his face in silence. She wondered, does she really hate foxes? Maybe I don't need to make a good impression on her then. But... Of course, being disliked by someone you meet for the first time. At this time, Do-hun spoke up. My mother used to be desperate. Looking for people who have the same seal as me. She said, even if that kid wants to take away everything I have, bring them to me. So don't make that face. You are the only one who saved her son's life. How could she hate you? Look at this man. Yet he knows how to comfort others. Suddenly she asked, but what should I do about my mother? You are the scoundrel who ruined her daughter's life. Right? He burst out laughing upon hearing that. I know, she thought to herself. I said I would introduce Lee Do-hun to my parents. But what if my mom doesn't like him? What should I do? Lee Do-hun in Eun-go's imagination. We signed the contract, so we don't need a matchmaker anymore. You should be grateful that I personally came to visit you. What do you want? What do you want? Eun-gu couldn't help but worry thinking about this chaos. Later in the car. Eun-gu said you can't treat them the way you treat me, understand? He asked, how do I treat you? Are you still asking? You talk as if people have offended you. Do-hun leaned over and carefully took off the seatbelt for Eun-gu. He reassured her. I will try so you don't have to worry anymore, okay? His actions and words made her a little fluttery. A moment later the bell rang. He rang, called out Eun-gu in surprise. Her mother unexpectedly stopped her father and he rang. She sternly called her daughter's name. Lee Do-hun, she sweated and softly cried out, "Ah." Suddenly Do-hun stepped forward to face them. She hurriedly spoke up, Mom, this is," before she could finish. He unexpectedly bowed politely and said, "Nice to meet you." I am Lee Do-hun. She looked at him with a scrutinizing gaze. We are bad guys, right? Mom, let's go up to the living room to talk. Haha. Afterwards, the atmosphere in the room was extremely suffocating. She secretly cried out, I can't breathe." She looked down and stammered. "Mom, it's just," she immediately said coldly. "Explain everything properly. First of all, this is Lee Do-hun." She hesitated for a moment. He is Kwon Sung-yeol's friend. Oh my. So he is Sung-yeol's friend. Yes, I know him through CEOJ. And we have the same mark. How did he know about your mark? How did he know you belong to the Fox clan? I had a high fever and used my power then. And was caught by him. Oh my. How many times have I told you? So unlucky. She whispered to ask. You aren't being threatened or anything, right? No such thing exists. But in her heart she thought there are a lot. Too many to even count. Then why did you send a message? Saying you were running away. Recently you even told me I had to hide. I was so worried. It was just a little misunderstanding at the time. I thought all Amaze were bad guys. But Lee Do-hun is not like that. After I knew more about him. I see he is very kind. So I requested to make a contract, a master-servant contract. What contract? She put her hand on her daughter's hand. You proposed that. Both your parents and grandparents have never met an IMEI before. Suddenly Du-hun spoke up. Imays do not hunt ruthlessly. But Imays are still actively looking for the Fox clan. Just this year they have found quite a few, all members of the Fox clan. They found have formed contracts. Of course through legal methods. The days of contracts forced by threats are long gone. Eungu's parents both shared the same thought. He has a very trustworthy face. She asked anyway. How long does Eungu have to stay at the Imay's main house? She can return to a normal life when the 40-day stabilization cycle ends. If you two are worried, I will buy you a house to live together in Seoul. A house. That's right, because she formed an unconditional contract. I intend to support whatever you two need. Eungu felt helpless thinking he could be an actor already. Look at Mom's face softening. Suddenly she asked, are you the heir to a chaebol? Family. He replied pretty much so. Eungu looked down and sighed, secretly thinking, I can't just say he's the next leader of IMEI. At this time Du-hun handed over a card. This is my business card. If anything happens or you have any requests, feel free to contact me. Looking at the information on the business card, both of them were extremely shocked with their mouths open, especially to someone like you. Please take good care of Eungu. We feel very assured in trusting our daughter to you. There's nothing to worry about. Please stay and have a meal with our family. Ho ho ho, it's fine, I will come to eat next time. Today must have been a busy day for you too, Eungu secretly cried out. If his true nature was like this, then I would have signed the contract a long time ago. After that the two of them also returned. He said, take this, sweets. Did he Rang pack this for you? I bought it. Why did you buy so much? I heard you like eating it. Who said that? He turned to look at her without answering. Her face suddenly flushed red. She walked behind and said softly, thanks. You did better than I expected. So I had a pretty good time. Thank you for saying those words to my parents. But don't you think you went a bit overboard? What if my mom really demands a house? He was silent for a while then said. Those weren't empty words. What? My mother said if I found the fox with the same mark as me, I should bring that person back and give them whatever they want. Eungu thought to herself, but that was before making the contract. Now the contract has been made. No need to try to be liked anymore. At this point she asked, so what? Now are you trying to fulfill that promise? Maybe so, although not really in the right order. Eungu fell silent, looking at him attentively. Du-hun found it hard to understand seeing that. Suddenly a gentle smile appeared on his lips, making her face blush all over. I must be crazy, who am I facing right now? Who are you trying to enchant? Thinking so, she suddenly told him to stop smiling like that. She thought that face was very harmful to her heart. Too dangerous. A few days later Du-hun asked Hyunjo how Eungu was doing. He thought to himself. She kept insisting on taking a walk at dawn. It's been a while. I was busy running around these past few days. Walk faster, Lee Du-hun. He was in a state of just being dragged out by her. What do you find delicious about this thing? So do you want to try it right now? Drinking sweet beverages doesn't suit your taste. Afterwards on the walk he asked, if you like the park, why not come jog with me? No thanks. That's an exercise. I prefer walking. Can we go in after dinner? If you want, whatever. I even walked in the park without doing anything else. What a surprise. If you want to have dinner with me, should we book a table in advance? Du-hun told Hyunjo never mind, just leave her be. A moment later Lee Ji-young called. He asked what happened at this hour. Next week she and Sejang will return to Korea. They're back. But why are you informing me of that news? They told me to do so. Because they want to know Sung's reaction beforehand. But there's bad news. It seems Kwon Sung-yeon is probing about the contract. Apart from removing the contract directly by the mark owner. Normally. They say he is looking for other ways too. Du-hun laughed saying there can't be such a thing. We never know. Considering there are Imays whose mark hasn't appeared yet, even at the age of 30. Maybe there's another way to remove the contract, right? Suddenly at this moment Eungu's voice outside echoed. Lee Du-hun, can I come in? He told Jae Rang. You observe the situation and report back to me. He hung up and went to open the door. What is it? Are you busy today? There's a place I want to go to. I have to go to the company today. Oh really? Okay. What's wrong? His face didn't look good. Suddenly he asked. Your power also doesn't work on Kwon Seung-jae. Did you know about this? No, didn't the Fox clan's power have no effect on Imays from the beginning. So even before, I never even thought of using my power. Moreover, until I met him, I didn't know Kwon Sung-yeon was an IMEI. He thought to himself. Ungu knows absolutely nothing. He let her know there are two cases. When a Fox clan's power doesn't work on an IMEI. The first case is pure resonance. The second case is the mark owner. Kwon Sung-yeon does not have pure blood. Nor is he the mark owner. But your power has no effect on him. She asked, is there a problem? Depends on the situation. If Kwon Sung-ri takes any excessive actions, and you follow his will, that would be the worst situation. She was surprised remembering what Sung-ri had said. You heard clearly right. I will find a way to remove the contract. She looked down and explained. Kwon Sung-yi only worries about me, that's all. There's no way I will side with him, so don't worry. He thought that's right. Ungu is my fox, with the same mark as me. She and I signed the contract, she added. Instead, if Sung-yeon is in danger, please help him. I am worried because he is a person who doesn't know how to take care of himself at all. Do-hun's face darkened and asked, but why him? Is he very important to you? She casually replied, of course. Kwon Sung-yeon is my oldest friend. Hearing these words of hers, he secretly became certain that. Now I feel like she could be stolen away from me. That will happen to you too. Don't think about returning today. She was surprised and asked what. Just as he finished speaking, Do-hun hugged her tightly. Then decisively bit into Ungu's neck. She was bitten unexpectedly and cried out, stop it. Her body trembled and gradually backed towards the wall. Lee Do-hun, wait, please stop. He tightened his grip on her even more, making her moan in pain. Do-hun enthusiastically licked the drops of blood on her neck. Ungu panted as her whole body was exhausted. Only then did he let her go. Her eyes welled up. Tears could burst out at any moment. Do-hun's gaze became venomous again with glowing red pupils. Once again he grabbed her waist and pulled her close. She screamed his name, Lee Do-hun. Then pushed him away and asked, what crazy fit are you having? Her tears fell profusely. Do-hun was silent for a moment. I used to think so too. That's right, exactly. If it weren't for the matter of Kwon Sung-yeon coming out of your mouth, would I be this angry? The next day she frustratingly swore at the bastard, no wonder. These past few days he was suddenly so nice. Just to see what I would do in the future. At this time Do-hun returned. She saw him. He just stepped out of the car and immediately turned around to go inside. The next day, go Ungu. The place we are going to first. Before he could finish, she cut him off. I'm not going anywhere today. I don't want to go out today. And don't just enter my room as you please anymore. The next day, what about your meal? She replied coldly. I ate, so Do-hun just stayed silent and said nothing more. I've been avoiding Lee Do-hun for a while now. So annoying. I want to go out and eat something sweet. No matter how good he gets. Violence is still his true nature. So I must never let my guard down. Suddenly an unfamiliar voice rang out. Would you like me to make some tea for you? Ungu was surprised, wondering what. This is the first time I've seen this face. Where did Hyunjo go? Suddenly Do-hun approached. He immediately asked, who are you? I started working here 2 days ago. Called Jun Hyunjo here. Ungu stood aside watching blankly. Hyunjo bowed. I apologize, I should have informed you first. This is the kid who started working yesterday. What is her identity? I thoroughly checked the recommendation letter. Give me the file. And don't let her stick to go Ungu. Afterwards Ungu asked, are you always this sensitive? I can't help but be sensitive right now. Why? Because you are here. He's just speaking nonsense, right? That's just a way of saying that if I am in danger, he won't be able to drink blood anymore. I shouldn't let my guard down, yet I keep. Suddenly he handed her a box of pastries. She asked blankly. What's this? No way did you buy it for me. He didn't answer but gave a faint smile. A moment later. She enjoyed the pastry in joy. Do-hun watched her intently. Where did such a big piece go? Is she that hungry? If you want to eat anything, just tell Jun Hyunjo, You should try this too. He stood up saying, right now I want to eat something else. Seeing him approach with a serious face, she involuntarily put her hand on her neck. This guy again? What a dangerous person. He gently removed her hand from her neck and reassured her, I won't hurt you. What is he talking about? Do you even know what gentle is? This time that won't happen. Thinking so, she threatened him, stay away from me, or else I will bite you. He grabbed her leg back. You are too naughty, then pushed her down on the sofa. What are you doing to your master, huh? Saying that he bit into Ungu's neck. She thought to herself how strange. Every time he directly sucks blood like this, the pain quickly spreads into pleasure. Haha, whenever in bed, I always feel our bodies merge together. The heat did not diminish when he let her go. She unexpectedly grabbed Do-hun's arm, then immediately brought it up and bit his hand. She quickly ran away. I said I would bite you. I am still a fox. Du-hun looked at the red mark on his hand. Involuntarily, a smile bloomed on his face. After that, she demanded that. You are punished and not allowed to cross the line. Don't come closer than 5 m. I will return in an hour. Being stuck at home these days is boring to death. If you keep quiet, I will spend time with you as you wish this weekend. Since when have I not been quiet? Since you kicked your master and bit him. And whose fault is that, huh? But I really want to go out. But from now on. Yes, sir. Please be careful. I will keep quiet. So please keep your promise, sir. If you break your promise, I will be very sad. I mean it. Du-hun was speechless, seeing her turn 180 degrees. Sitting in the car, he smiled and said, there is no fox harder to tame than this one. So the car gradually left the building. Sat enjoying tea in the garden with the warm sun rays when suddenly someone approached. In that person's hand were gardening shears, along with a bag. Eun-gu secretly wondered who is that. Maybe because the garden is big. But such people should be invited separately. The gardener dresses like that. Anyway, rich people usually have their own paths, right? But do they prune trees before winter? Suddenly she grabbed her phone and said happily, oh, it's he rang. She picked up and said, I'm fine. Is this girl in a pitiful situation or what? So let's meet after everything is settled. Good luck. Suddenly she paused and thought about it. It's unusually quiet today. Suddenly a drop of water fell on her hand. I think everyone left because it's about to rain. I also need to go inside and wait. Suddenly her eyes became terrified. The gardener suddenly appeared behind her. His eyes exuded danger. With sharp glowing red pupils. Looking at the mark on Eun-gu's hand. He spoke up, are you Lee Du-hun's fox? Eun-gu secretly realized danger. She put both hands up to block. Drops of blood fell patter. Eun-gu was attacked by him and fell to the ground. The large shears continued to thrust forward, tearing her hand open. Her tears flowed out of fear. She cried out then quickly stood up and ran away. While running she called out loudly, help me. Why help me? Why is no one showing up? On another side, Hyunjo and the new maid are chatting happily. Eun-gu panicked, wondering it's like no one. It's like no one can see me. That man smiled sinisterly. Haha, hunting foxes is always fun. At this time, Eun-gu has run to the door. She hurriedly grasped the handle. No, please open the door. But responding to her was just a terrifying silence. He slowly walked over. He called out, hey fox, it's nothing personal. This is just what my master wants. She trembled and reassured herself, it will be fine, calm down, go. Eun-gu just needs to use her power. I can stop him. Immediately the surroundings froze. And he stood motionless. She thought to herself, now thank goodness. I can take the chance to escape through another gate. But contrary to her expectations. He spoke softly, making her extremely shocked. I was wondering what you would do. You are reckless. Fox clan's power. I don't think they work on me. She was amazed, thinking that only purebloods like Lee Du-hun could do that. In her eyes right now, she only saw the sharp shears rushing forward. Fox clan cannot. She screamed in fear, Lee Du-hun. Drops of red blood fell. Along with a reassuring voice, it's fine now. Du-hun gently held her hand, breathe. His other hand was tightly gripping the shears. He continued to reassure, slow down. That's right, he sighed in relief inwardly. Lucky there are no serious injuries. He squeezed the shears tightly. How dare you? His voice was cold, carrying lethality. Touch my fox. You dared to attack a fox who has formed a contract with an IMEI. You know you have to pay the price. With your life, right? Having said that, he used force to snap the shears and threw them aside. Next he punched him in the face, making him spit out blood. Not only that, he kicked him straight in the face, sending him flying a few meters away. Du-hun slowly approached him and interrogated. How did you get into the main house? He calmly replied, young master. Now is not the time to worry about that. He looked over at Eun-gu sitting there. Then suddenly burst out laughing in satisfaction. Right after that, blood gushed from his mouth and nose. He collapsed to the ground motionless. Du-hun suspected in his heart. He departed from life without a hint of regret. Like his purpose of coming here has been fulfilled. Eun-gu stood up, her whole body still trembling. She wondered, is he dead yet? What happened? Is your hand okay? Her eyes became shocked. My throat. She raised her hand to gently touch her neck. Suddenly she spat out a mouthful of dark red blood. She looked at her two hands trembling and called out blood. She looked up at Du-hun with a face that couldn't be worse. Du-hun stood there like a soulless person, seeing that. She wondered, is this a dream? Why am I? She collapsed to the ground, holding her neck. Impossible, Lee Du-hun has that kind of expression when she collapsed. Du-hun was startled and rushed over, calling loudly Eun-gu.
After that, the doctor stated,
"It seems like a type of poison mixed with an amaze's blood. She will have to endure for a full 10 days. Until the poison completely dissipates, she will continue to vomit blood. And her fever will not subside. There's no other way but to inject painkillers to soothe the pain." Du-hun called with a dark face.
She
Hyunjo Jun,
replied,
submit your report. The intruder was an IMEI who was reported missing. 15 years ago, he was able to enter and exit the main house by using the power of the IMEI
Pure
bloodline. He disabled the camera surveillance in the garden. He blocked the presence of the young lady and hid himself. They said that even the servants couldn't help the young lady. Hearing this, Du-hun thought to himself. He knew exactly that I was not next to Eun-gu. He could even enter and exit the main house. Someone masterminded the assassination of the Fox clan who formed a contract with an IMEI.
Who has pure blood? Who could do such a thing?
He ordered to set up enhanced security and check all the newly arrived gardeners. Yes, not every IMEI knows
that I am the leader.
Yet breaking the rules even at the cost of their own lives. There must be a crazy person doing things beyond common sense behind the scenes.
Is it that easy?
Are the outside buildings safe? In case I miss something.
He sighed exhaustedly. Suddenly the phone rang. Ali.
Jang I told him to investigate Kwon Se-eung-jae.
What did Kwon Se-eung-jae do?
Thinking so, he answered the phone. On the other end, Jae rang said, "Brother, I heard there's trouble at home. Is Eun-gu severely injured?"
He thought in surprise.
It's only been a few hours since the incident happened. He coldly asked, How do you know?
You're worrying.
I'll be immersed in love or something, right?
You are so cruel.
Is uncle there? Can you talk? Kwon Sung-yeon met your father. This seems special. Like a guest has arrived. I heard uncle's secretary himself personally escorted Kwon Sung-yeon.
Do you know anything about this?
He gritted his teeth and warned, calm down.
Don't cause trouble.
Du-hun lowered his head, pondering. Kwon Sung-yeon met father. He recalled the message he left for Eun-gu. I'm sorry for getting angry last time. I will call you back soon. Take care of your health.
I only believe what I see.
Young master, let me change the bedsheets. Du-hun still sat there. Initially, this makes me go crazy.
He silently called his name, Lee Du-hun.
Suddenly at this time, Eun-gu woke up. She immediately complained. You said I would be safe, bastard, what is this? It hurts, it really hurts.
He looked at her with sad eyes. His hand gently reached out to rub her face.
She closed her eyes and fell asleep, her mouth still mumbling. It hurts very much. Du-hun just sat there looking at her without taking his eyes off. Before midnight.
I need to perform blood drawing. If
the ritual is not performed within a certain time. Not only me, but it also affects
Go Eun-gu watching me cough up blood. Was that how you felt?
That is why kind-hearted Go Eun-gu couldn't run away. My fingertips tingle, my throat hurts.
Feels like I'm doing a bad thing. Reaching this point, he bit into Eun-gu's neck. Just like that, he hugged her while sucking her blood.
Eun-gu softly cried out, it hurts, it really hurts a lot. I know. He carefully taped the wound on her neck.
This condition will last for 10 days.
According to what the doctor said, I won't die. But suddenly he bit his own finger. If an
IMEI voluntarily donates blood, it is like they are transferring their power.
Hyunjo was surprised seeing that and asked young master to endure for 10 days with painkillers.
To this extent.
It's fine, but during this dangerous time. He said, I will stay here, you go out. After that, the doctor came to check on Eun-gu again. She is very lucky, recovery will only take a few days. Du-hun asked, she is fine, right?
She's fine, the fever has dropped and the poison is gone. So don't worry.
For the next few years, there will be no problem for blood drawing.
The doctor's words made his face darken.
Young master, did I do something wrong or what? That's right, if Go Eun-gu dies, then I also die. Surely God also considered that.
I am just Go Eun-gu. I was angry.
Thinking that something had happened to Go Eun-gu. My blood has not been my life anymore. It is only for her. I have been worried about her all this time.
The next day, Eun-gu woke up,
feeling like I have fully recovered. As if pretending to be about to die was a lie. Why am I still in Lee Du-hun's room? She asked, why are we sleeping together?
If you are not in my sight, then what's the use of me being here?
I do that to protect you, don't be stubborn. Reason to go, so you and I have to sleep together.
Is there a problem?
What? What are you worried about? A moment later she sat huddled on the bed. In the end it turned out like this.
She hesitantly asked about that guy.
Why did he want to kill me? Attacking a fox who has made a contract is a taboo. Anyone who goes against that will be considered an enemy to all Amaze.
And will have to pay with their life.
She thinks that is what happened. That man right after seeing the mark. He tried to kill me.
The reason is probably because if I die, Lee Do-hun will also die.
With the contract made, the possibility of running away is almost zero,
and directly killing him entails too many risks.
It's a backup plan I am too familiar with, Do-hun said, because intruders have blended in. I have sent everyone else to another place. Except the servants of the private building. I need time to arrange everything.
So stay in the room with me for 2 days.
Going to the private building, is it okay? What if there is any accomplice
They
among
are
them?
all from my mother's side. Don't worry.
Their identities are clearer than any other servants. By the way, he put his hand on her shoulder. I still haven't drank any blood today. She looked at him in surprise with wide eyes.
Do-hun started pushing her to lie down. His hand grabbed her leg. Bastard, he is so sudden.
Do you think I am easy to lure, hey? Blood transfusion is possible. I am still a patient.
Just sucking blood, what's the problem?
Just lie still. Didn't you say you are a patient? So I will take care of everything. She thought to herself, that's right. Resisting is just a waste of energy.
I can't win with strength anyway.
I also can't defeat him with power. What are you doing, sir? Master, hurry up and drink. It's 30 minutes until midnight.
She winked playfully and asked.
Don't you like things like this?
He smiled, thinking a fox like you. You don't know what I will do.
How brave with this temperature and breath on the skin. He found it funny that she is so calm at this.
So what have you seen?
I've been thinking about this since you woke up. He kissed her neck lightly, then continued. Not the master-servant bond from the beginning.
I should have established a partner contract. She secretly asked what?
Her face turned red. He gently licked her neck. After a while, he bit down, causing blood. He thought to himself, I really like this face.
A face that can only be seen.
After directly sucking her blood. He looked at her for a moment, then let her go and said, sit down. I will go get the first aid kit. Then he gently cleaned the wound.
And carefully bandaged it.
He reassured, no need to be afraid. I won't force you to change the contract, go to sleep. In the end, I lost sleep all night. I'm so glad Lee Do-hun left early. Do you even know what you are talking about? What does being your partner mean,
The expression at the moment I fell. I thought he would never show such an expression. Maybe I was hallucinating then.
But maybe I won't be able to stop this heart anymore. At this time, Hyunjo came in and called, Miss. You are called to the young master's office. He has something to say. She was a little surprised but said nothing.
A moment later in Do-hun's room.
He informed my mother has returned to the country. She came here secretly to meet you, she thought to herself. I'm still not ready to meet your mother, I'm scared. Do-hun said again, my mother also has pure blood. She is the youngest among 5 siblings. But now they are all dead. My mother is left alone. People with pure blood. Who cannot find a fox?
How will they die? She knows best. Because she witnessed everything first.
Such a person will not treat you badly or despise you. When you yourself saved her son's life. She will not let anyone despise you. Just because you are a fox.
Anyway, don't worry too much.
You previously hurt me to save me. She will come to see you after the stabilization process ends.
Due to the accident.
I only know that. There are many things to deal with today.
So I will have to go out. I sent all the servants to another place. So you can walk freely in the main house. Tell Jun Hyunjo anything you want.
She was scared, thinking, what? Is he leaving? She gently tugged his shirt and asked, can't you stay? Do-hun was a bit surprised by her sudden action. At this moment she looked dejected, acting coy. But quickly let go of her hand.
Sorry, I need to be stronger.
They say the main house is safe now. I know I shouldn't get involved with those people. But my heart is still uneasy.
Memories of that day keep flooding back.
As if sensing her anxiety. He said, right here, right now, I am the only one who will stay by your side and protect you. If you have something to say, just say it.
I feel like I myself have changed.
When we first met,
I
didn't seem to care about others' feelings.
She stammered and replied.
Because I'm still a little scared. You can postpone the work to another day. He thought to himself, now she trusts me a lot. I would be very happy if you stayed with me. He looked at her without answering. Then suddenly turned to his assistant and said,
cancel all schedules for today.
So the two sat in the room talking. You usually read a lot of books, right? If you're bored, take some time to go to the library.
There is a library. Yes, it's just right next door. Besides Jun Hyunjo.
No other IMEI is allowed to enter. So you can feel free to use it. She thought it strange that I feel so warm, almost like a comforting word. A dangerous person like Do-hun
can bring peace of mind.
Just having him present is enough. Suddenly he asked, is it hard drawing blood?
I saw you bleeding right after you woke up.
Why mention this all of a sudden? Could it be?
From the beginning I should have established a partner contract.
That again, huh?
I'm still not ready.
Suddenly he asked again, "Are you hungry?" She answered blankly, "Huh." I asked if you are hungry. You must be very hungry after having your blood drawn. All the accumulated stress has been completely dispelled just by his very natural and normal question. That makes me happy. I can't control my emotions anymore. Thinking so, she burst into a radiant smile. To the bewilderment of Du-hun. The expression when bullied by me. I like seeing that face. And this expression right now is also quite beautiful. I have changed because of that little fox. This will definitely become trouble. After that, the two of them walked together. She secretly said today he didn't go to work, but even went out together. It's really strange, but I like it very much. Suddenly someone in a black shirt walked past. She was scared and snuggled into Du-hun. The attack that day still lingers like a haunting memory. I feel terrified when seeing people dressed similarly. But thanks to Du-hun, I quickly regained stability. He worriedly asked, "Are you okay?" After that, she returned to her room. It's been a long time since I had such a good sleep. Master has urgent business to attend to. So he went to the office. I still don't want to go out to the garden alone. What should I do? How about going to the library? As soon as she entered, she exclaimed, "There are so many books. Why is there a desk here? Does he also work here?" How is Lee Du-hun's mother? How is she? So he also loves his mother very much. He even hugged her. Is there anything else? Suddenly she noticed some volumes high up. She reached up and took it. This is an album. If there's something I shouldn't see, it's probably fine to leave it here so there are no secrets, right? She opened it and exclaimed, "Wow, what is this?" His face has so many stories. Even though he is the head of IMEI. But at least he had a happy childhood. Suddenly her eyes widened, seeing a picture of Du-hun smiling very brightly. She just stared intently. The next morning, Du-hun was still sleeping. Then the phone rang. He picked up and asked what's up. A voice on the other end said, "Kwon Sung-yeon has started to take action. Don't lose track of him. Follow carefully. Find out who he met and see what they said." Understood. Du-hun quickly put on his clothes. He thought it would be a bit inconvenient to visit at this hour. I think it would be better to act immediately. Suddenly at this time, Eun-gu walked up and asked, "Are you leaving?" He turned back and hesitated for a moment before answering yes. There's an important matter at the company. Right? There's still time. Eat breakfast before you go. Suddenly he noticed something. He was silent for a while, then reached out and asked, "What medicine is this?" She hastily hid it. It's just mild cold medicine. Really, I don't think you have a cold. You were fine yesterday, unless it's a serious illness. You rarely go to the hospital. He secretly wondered what was wrong. She is a little different than usual. I need to check what kind of medicine this is. He smiled and said, "Wait, why are you like this? Aren't you going to work anymore?" Of course I have to go. But first I have to find out what my fox is hiding. His hand was about to touch the paper on the table, when suddenly the phone rang, making him stop. He answered and asked, "What's the matter?" The voice on the phone echoed, "Young Master Kwon Sung-yeon." Kwon Sung-yeon met Miss Sung on another side. "What is it? You never bother to pay attention to me. What's this? Looks like you want something from me, huh?" At Director Lee Du-hun's office. "There are many rumors surrounding you. You are too obsessed with her. To the point that you sent all the servants away and are determined to hide the identity of the fox who formed a contract with you from other IMEIs. They said a new servant accidentally opened the gate. And that servant was fired. Looks like everything has ended. Or does anyone have any other suspicions? You seem quite free these days. What are you saying? I am very busy here. Hee, you gave me a few instructions related to the company's work. Du-hun said, "Go and work. Don't loiter around here anymore." Jae-rang secretly thought, "What's this? There's no additional work scheduled." Then he asked, "Is there a problem?" "No way. Could it be because of that fox? I heard he has been by that fox's side for these 4 days. I heard her body has fully recovered. But her mental state is still not stable yet." "I guess right. So he doesn't know how much you are caring for her right now. Wouldn't it be better to change the contract to a partner contract?" "What? You plan to do that from the beginning, right? Or does that go Eun-gu not like you? But if that is what he wants, we can't do anything about it either." Du-hun growled. Lee Jae-rang, "What do you mean? Have you talked to uncle yet? Why did he meet Kwon Sung-jae?" "That's my father's business. Has nothing to do with me. Don't you think we should find out? Considering the things that insolent kid has done to us. That foolish guy. What conversation did he have with the head family?" Du-hun warned, "Don't cross the line. Stop investigating Kwon CEO Jae immediately. I will handle the rest." Jae-rang informed. Kwon Sung-yeon sold the house where he used to live with his mother. It seems he needs money. Anyway, that house was empty. Money, huh? Wouldn't everything end if he asked for uncle's help? Lee Jae-rang. I told you. not to interfere in what he is doing. But you can't distinguish what you should and shouldn't do. I did it because it's right in front of my brother. If not to you, who would I tell? It wouldn't be a big deal if he just sold the house. But he also sold the house he's living in. Sold too. He even submitted his resignation where she is staying. It seems they heard about what I was going to do, and so finding out was very difficult. Are you even listening? That guy is arranging everything around here right now. Is that all you need to say? It's late, go home. What are you going to do now? The hunt is not over yet. So are you talking about catching and eating the hunting dog? Both you and I know that. A dog that bites its master doesn't deserve to live anymore. Or do you think I'm involved in Ungu's case, huh? You suspect me. Let me ask you one thing. Kwon Sung-yeon sold the house and resigned, while he asked for my father's help? Why is it impossible? You haven't even mentioned his meeting with Lee Se-jang. Ha, damn it, like an idiot. I thought that as long as I tried to hide it, Hyung wouldn't have any way to find out the truth. Jae Rang continued. It hasn't even been a few days since that day. I want to hear the most detailed account of how they met. Lee Se-jang comes from a pure-blood family. She had a strong impression of Kwon Sung-yeon. He's a half-blood, a mud abandoned in the human world. Lee Seo-jang is hanging out with that half-blood kid again. Everyone is mocking you for being a half-blood. At least you weren't born to a fox. Kwon Sung-yeon said don't talk to me. Kwon Sung-yeon didn't even pay attention to Lee Seo-jang. The problem is Kwon Sung-yeon met Lee Seo-jang before. Lee Seo-jang's twin sister Lee Seo-jang, the only daughter pampered by her father, who records and builds the family history. Back to Jae at this time Seum asked. So what do you want? Without family approval. I want to know how to erase a contract with a fox. I hope you will tell me. I think I will need to search for it in my father's study. But why should I tell you that? I wonder what benefit I'd get from that. He touched Seom's hand because I have what you want. I am, then whispered something, making her ask in shock, what did you say? Ridiculous. How could someone like you help me and I will give you what you want? Back to Jae Rang. Otherwise I wouldn't have mentioned it. It's been a while since he came to Korea. I thought they just met to chat like acquaintances. Because CEO is very close to Kwon CEO Jae. Do-hun said no matter who it is, if anything happens to Go Eun-gu, that person will definitely die. Jang swallowed hard, his hands clenched trembling. I will remember that. Having said that, Do-hun left alone. Jang stood there suddenly bursting into laughter. Ha 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 ha. What the hell are you guys doing? At the same time Se-om said, I will contact you as soon as I find a solution. Se-young Jae said one more thing. Could you help me check the current condition of Eun-gu? That fox. I heard from Lee Jae Rang that recently some family member suddenly returned, then used shears to stab her or something. Was stunned upon hearing that. He crushed the glass in his hand, blood flowing from his hand. She asked what? You're bleeding. Are you okay? At this time Do-hun returned. Welcome back, young master. He went in and asked how is Go Eun-gu. Maybe she is still studying. Let me go check again. No need, I'll go myself. He went to the library and saw the door slightly open. He quickly went inside. Why is she sleeping here? He gently approached the chair and sat down. His eyes never left her. Suddenly he saw her hugging his picture. That was him. He put his hand over his smiling mouth. His other hand tapped happily on his thigh. At this moment she slowly opened her eyes and woke up. She drowsily asked, what is it? Lee Do-hun, when did you get here? Just now. You should have woken me up. I fell asleep for a while, huh? She sat up and accidentally dropped the picture. She stopped in embarrassment. She quickly covered it with her hand. Unbelievable, she awkwardly explained. I came to read and saw this picture. I've never seen you smile like that. So I was just trying to get closer to look. Don't misunderstand. Do-hun suddenly spoke up. That was before I realized that my power was exceeding its limit. That summer when I was 18. Right after taking that picture. It was the first time I noticed. My power was gradually going out of control, she thought in surprise. So before experiencing that pain he was someone who could smile so brightly. It must have been hard for you. Now who is worrying about whom? Thinking carefully, I could have met you earlier, during this time. There were a few times I went to Kwon Sung-yeon's house. She secretly thought Sung-yeon found out I was a fox and even prevented me from meeting you. Sorry Eun-gu, I'm busy at home. Then never mind, Do-hun said again. It's a good thing we won't see him anymore. Not a good thing. The first time I realized my power was going out of control, I became violent and sensitive. I was also very resentful towards foxes. If I had met you then, I would have done things that later on I am sure I would have regretted very much. He thought, if you had met me and made the contract at 18, you wouldn't have had to endure the pain tormenting you until you were 30. If in the end I hadn't met you, I might have died this year. She secretly said, what's so good about that? How much have I endured? Why? Did he speak as if happiness is more important? She looked down in embarrassment, aha. Anyway, I didn't draw blood today. Now I'll go to work right away and come back later, ha. He held her hand, no need. From now on I will drink blood directly. What? I've always wanted to do that. Just never said it out loud before. You are not an IMEI. You are a straight guy. If it's a master-servant relationship, then being misunderstood is normal. I guess we have formed a partner relationship already. Right. Then our positions will also be clearer. And we won't have to waste time doing anything else. She turned her face away, replying, after all, does he have to try to suck my blood by making my neck so much? He clarified. This is completely different. The excitement here is that you can feel the blood-sucking process. And the taste of blood is completely different. At first you might not notice. But recently, you've also felt many things other than just this pain. It is even more wonderful than the pain. Her words couldn't help but surprise him. If my nerves are becoming tense, then my whole body will react to his movements. And my strength is gradually fading. Will make me want to lean on the person standing in front of me, seeing him not respond. Actually, I want to do many worse things. But I am holding back. It's not like I am saying that. I will hold you right now. So what about letting this pass? Just a tiny bite on the neck. And you already mind. I noticed you look a little different from earlier. At this point her face was flushed. His words made her unable to refute. Du-hun slowly approached her neck. Suddenly she spoke up. Wait, doing as he pleases again. Feeling her hand push him away. He reached up to grab Eungu's hand and said softly, don't push me away. She thought to herself, if I push him away now, Lee Du-hun will definitely stop here. But when that waiting moment happens, I feel that I myself cannot refuse. Du-hun's passionate gaze. He slowly pressed close to her neck, then bit into it, making her eyes widen. The room was now steeped in silence. Du-hun was sucking blood while she trembled in pain. He hugged her tightly and slowly sat her down. After a while he finally let her go. Eungu still looked down with a flushed face. Right after sucking blood. Even with a gentle touch. From his fingertips alone. I couldn't handle it anymore. Like this I want to hold him back. Du-hun was a bit flustered. He covered her eyes. Don't look at me like that. If I go a little further, I'll probably be hated. It went a bit too far. The atmosphere fell into silence again. So much that you could hear the chest-pounding thud-thud. Suddenly Du-hun spoke up, asking, Go Eungu. He paused for a moment, looking at her with an affectionate gaze. Are you thinking of changing the contract? She looked up with her flushed face at him. She thought that she wasn't forced. Above all, I had a choice. What happened today was more than enough. Anyway, I still know what he wants from me. Thinking so, she asked, You mean you want to sleep with me? Du-hun lowered his eyes silently, thought she might have asked too much. That is impossible. He secretly thought throughout these past few days. There were a few times I sucked blood from her. Instinctively. My body must have been attracted to her. This can change over time. And I could have lost interest in her by now. Eungu explained confusingly. What about you? I don't know about this. But for me, I will only do that with someone I have feelings for. That's all. And I am not in any relationship with you at all. So changing the contract and spending the night with you is something I cannot do. After speaking, she thought. He must surely be very sad when I say such hurtful words. Du-hun turned his face away. He raised his hand to gently stroke his hair. Then unexpectedly said, This matter. Are you saying you want to date me? How did he come to this conclusion, good lord? Even after I said words like that, he still maintains that brazen face. As if nothing happened. Is he planning to provoke me or what? There's no way Lee Du-hun would date me. Or anything similar to that. Before she knew how to reply, he spoke again. He put his hand on her neck. Let's do just that. She widened her eyes in amazement. What? After saying that, Du-hun pulled her closer. The distance between the two completely disappeared. Without hesitation, he claimed her lips. Time seemed to stop. All surrounding sounds vanished. Only the warmth spreading between the two remained. He slowly pushed her down on the chair. The distance was once again erased. He paused, looking at her for a moment. Then continued to press his lips against hers. Unga thought to herself. His kiss is so rough and intense.
Just like him. It feels like I'm being devoured.
I can't even breathe properly.
Thinking of this, he looked at her and said,
You said that. You cannot do that with someone you have no feelings for. He used his finger to fondle her lips, stopping her from creating those feelings. Saying that he continued to claim her lips once again, at the same time on another side. Are you alright, making blood? Say it again.
No one else.
But that old fox Lee Do-hoon. I thought you would lose control. And die already.
But in the end you found a way to cure
yourself. The struggle for dominance has only just officially begun. Sung-yun thought to himself. I will just ask him to let me visit my parents for 4 days. The battle for the throne has only just begun. And the way to defeat the opponent
is to assassinate his fox. When the sculpture is complete,
the mark will automatically protect Ungu
from any threats. But before that,
everyone will try to kill her by any means. First of all, I must protect Ungu.
Returning to Do-hun and Ungu,
the two are still exchanging
Ungu's
a passionate
unconscious
kiss.
hands clung to his shoulders,
then hugged him as a response. She thought to herself. His ferocity along with the burning kiss
is so gentle. How can Do-hun let her go at this moment? I don't think I am the only one who has changed since the beginning. You won't be able to reject me for long. I won't force you into a contract anymore.
But I will not break the original contract. She thought even if rejected, nothing would change.
I just followed my heart.
Suddenly at this time a voice echoed outside.
She turned to leave when suddenly Do-hun spoke up. Don't skip meals when I'm not around. I will leave the schedule empty on Saturday. Hearing that, she smiled softly. The next morning,
the young master told us to draw blood starting now. Has he bought all the equipment yet? Please go into your room. I will prepare dessert for you. Ungu silently marveled at the exquisite treatment.
After it's done, Hyunjo, please go rest.
Ungu rubbed her eyes, wondering, by the way, why do I keep feeling so sleepy lately? Suddenly she saw a huge shadow cast on the table. We meet again. What is that on your neck? Did my brother do it?
Where did this bastard come from? J.E. rang.
Curiously peeled back the patch. You did
wow,
too, he didn't you that hard? I heard you made a contract with a fox. I switched from a master-servant contract to a mate contract a long time ago. She cried and confessed her feelings to me. She felt happy to be my fox. Good. If you two like each other, a mate relationship isn't bad either.
So you are already married?
To her?
No need to get married.
This is a contract. So it can be broken at any time.
If the guarantor is no longer needed.
By the way, let's have a meal together later.
You must have been very lonely these days.
Because there's no fox around. If you are so special, why not cancel the contract? She seems to not want to leave me. I think you are the one who doesn't want her to leave. Then why not take responsibility and marry her? J.E. rang asked through gritted teeth.
Who would marry a fox?
Ungu saw his expression and was surprised. Even though this guy is with someone who has feelings for him. And even though they've advanced to a mate relationship.
And have a physical connection.
But just mentioning marriage. He seems very displeased. This bastard treats foxes like disposable items. I will cancel the contract with her one day when the time is right. You don't have to worry. Unrequited love? You said she likes you. Seeing him hesitate,
Ungu continued.
If you still disregard others' feelings
and hurt them,
then one day you will get your karma. Who says that? God. I don't believe it. Ungu silently wondered. Why does that girl like this twisted guy? I don't know her name, age, or what she looks like. But this really annoys me.
Fine then.
Have a meal with your fox later. I changed my mind. I won't introduce you to her.
I think you'll say useless things to her.
You scammer, I'm curious about one thing.
You seem close to Kwon-sung J.E., don't you?
By the way, have you ever seen his mark? She replied, never, then thought to herself.
Should I go inside? So the mark has appeared.
As soon as he finished speaking, J.E. rang immediately froze because
Han appeared behind him.
He rested both hands on the table. And said in a cold voice.
Why are you so curious?
Lee Ji-yun. Ungu was also awkward, remembering that she had said, I'm sure I told you before. I've never been alone with him.
Then she hurriedly explained.
I was just on the rooftop. He naturally barged in like that. Do-hun, don't be mad. Do-hun. Do you think I want to harm her just because she's a fox?
If you're done, please leave.
Actually, I came here to visit Do-hun. Wait, let's talk a little more. I have a few things I want to say. Please get out of here.
Isn't this my room?
You two should be the ones getting out.
Hearing that, he froze for a few seconds.
Isn't it because you take care of Do-hun? Why is your personality so bad? She angrily asked. Who is saying that? Suddenly Do-hun spoke up. Hey, since when did you start caring? About those things, huh? Answer me. I already had dinner
and
with
took
dessert.
The nutritional supplements
you gave me.
Take good care of your neck.
Technically, I wasn't hurt. That seriously. It's all because of you. J.E. Rang interrupted. You really don't know anything. This is the time when the fox's scent makes an enemy become more aggressive. You guys are naturally aggressive species anyway. It's not to that extent. Like an unstable enemy. There is no special torture for a fox clan member with the same seal. But there will be times when he becomes ferocious. And there are also times he wants to leave a mark on you. Of course, there are also times he feels sexual desire and wants you. She asked blankly. What? Therefore, there are many Imi and foxes forming master-servant relationships, but still mixing together. Do you understand what I'm saying? Actually, I don't necessarily have to hold you back. But it seems Doohan really cares about you. Doohan pulled him away. Stop talking nonsense and let's get out of here. Before leaving the room, Doohan glanced at her once more. At this moment, Eun-gu sat down and shook her head vigorously. Of course, there are also times he feels sexual desire and wants you. Thinking about it made her face turn bright red. In the room, Doohan asked, what's wrong? J.E. Rang answered, about Kwon Sung J.E. Did you know my uncle supports his family? Tuition fees and living expenses. And what about that kid? Cutting ties with Imi and leaving alone? So what? An Imi who doesn't empathize with his own bloodline? Doohan calmly took a sip of tea and asked, so what? Doohan, do you know something? Why did you ask about Kwon Sung J.E.'s mark? It's strange. He has the power, but the mark still hasn't appeared. Have you seen his mark? It hasn't appeared, so of course, no one has seen it. J.E. Rang replied, disappointed. Is that so? Early the next morning so boring, in Eun-gu's room. She was still fast asleep. Doohan stood by the bed, looking at her thoughtfully. Lately, it seems like she wants to get out of here. Therefore, I need to return as soon as possible. A fox will normally donate blood. That is natural when there's an increase in appetite and sleepiness. My heart suddenly feels at ease with that breathing sound. Is that the reaction of stabilization? He gently lifted her hand with the mark. Then he remembered J.E. Rang asking. Have you seen his mark? He muttered the name Kwon Sung J.E. That day, on a stormy day, Doohan stood looking outside and thought. Has it finally appeared? At that time, Sung-yeon was scrolling through his phone, while Doohan stood out on the balcony. That was when he saw Eun-gu. When she was using her power, making everyone and everything freeze. Doohan stood there and silently marveled. How quiet. Obviously, even Eun-gu's power. He looked over at Sung-yeon. Was he also affected by that power? Scene transition. Sung-yeon is calling someone on the other end. Well then, let's meet again next time. Lee Se-young. Remember to contact me when I arrive in Korea. He held his forehead and thought. Eun-gu said she's fine. But the possessiveness of an Imi towards foxes is truly reckless. Of course, it is very dangerous. Even if I treat her very well, I don't know what she will do. If he feels desperate. Honestly speaking. Doohan, tell them your status depends on me. You said those words in front of me. I will save you. Back to Eun-gu's side. She said, you've only slept for 4 hours. He replied, that's normal, because your blood is drawn a little every day. If you feel sleepy, just get enough sleep. We are going out, so get ready. You came here early to do something for me, right? Tuition fees and living expenses. And what about that kid? Cutting ties with Imi and leaving alone? So what? An Imi who doesn't empathize with his own bloodline? Doohan calmly took a sip of tea and asked, so what? Doohan, do you know something? Why did you ask about Kwon Sung J.E.'s mark? It's strange. He has the power, but the mark still hasn't appeared. Have you seen his mark? It hasn't appeared, so of course, no one has seen it. J.E. Rang replied, disappointed. Is that so? He stood up early and said, the next morning in Eun-gu's room. She was still fast asleep. Doohan stood by the bed, looking at her thoughtfully. It seems like she wants to get out of here. Therefore, I need to return as soon as possible. A fox will normally donate blood to an Imi. That is natural when there's an increase in appetite and sleepiness. My heart suddenly feels at ease with that breathing sound. Is that the reaction of stabilization? He gently lifted her hand with the mark. Then he remembered J.E. Rang asking. Have you seen his mark? He muttered the name Kwon Sung J.E. That day, on a stormy day. Doohan stood looking outside and thought. Has it finally appeared? At that time, Sung-yeon was scrolling through his phone, while Doohan stood out on the balcony. That was when he saw Eun-gu. When she was using her power, making everyone and everything freeze. Doohan stood there and silently marveled. Obviously, even Eun-gu's power. He looked over at Sung-yeon. Was he also affected by that power? Scene transition. Sung-yeon is calling someone on the other end. Well then, let's meet again next time. Lee Se-young. Remember to contact me when I arrive in Korea. He held his forehead and thought. Eun-gu said she's fine. But the possessiveness of an Imi towards foxes is truly reckless. Of course, it is very dangerous. Even if I treat her very well, I don't know what she will do. If he feels desperate. Honestly speaking. Doohan, tell them your status depends on me. You said those words in front of me. I will save you. Back to Eungu's side. She said, you've only slept for 4 hours. He replied, that's normal. Because your blood is drawn a little every day. If you feel sleepy, just get enough sleep. We are going out, so get ready. You came here early to do something for me, right? Tuition fees and living expenses. And what about that kid? Cutting ties with Aimee and leaving alone? So what? An Aimee who doesn't empathize with his own bloodline? Doohan calmly took a sip of tea and asked, Doohan, do you know something? Why did you ask about Kwon Sung-jae's mark? It's strange. He has the power, but the mark still hasn't appeared. Have you seen his mark? It hasn't appeared, so of course, no one has seen it. Jae Rang replied, disappointed. Is that so? He stood up and said, early the next morning in Eungu's room. She was still fast asleep. Doohan stood by the bed, looking at her thoughtfully. Lately, it seems like she wants to get out of here. I need to return as soon as possible. A fox will normally donate blood to an Aimee. That is natural when there's an increase in appetite and sleepiness. My heart suddenly feels at ease with that breathing sound. Is that the reaction of stabilization? He gently lifted her hand with the mark. Then he remembered Jae Rang asking. Have you seen his mark? He muttered the name Kwon Sung-jae. That day, on a stormy day, Doohan stood looking outside and thought. Has it finally appeared? At that time, Sung-young was scrolling through his phone, while Doohan stood out on the balcony. That was when he saw Eungu. When she was using her power, making everyone and everything freeze. Doohan stood there and silently marveled, how quiet, obviously, even Eungu's power. He looked over at Sung-yeon. Was he also affected by that power? Scene transition. Sung-yeon is calling someone on the other end. Well then, let's meet again next time. Lee Se-young. Remember to contact me when I arrive in Korea. He held his forehead and thought. Eungu said she's fine. But the possessiveness of an Aimee towards foxes is truly reckless. Of course, it is very dangerous. Even if I treat her very well, I don't know what she will do. If he feels desperate. Honestly speaking. Doohan, tell them your status depends on me. You said those words in front of me. I will save you. Back to Eungu's side. She said, you've only slept for 4 hours. He replied, that's normal. Because your blood is drawn a little every day. If you feel sleepy, just get enough sleep. We are going out, so get ready. You came here early to do something for me, right? I understand that well. Hurry up, we will go there after dinner. So she quickly followed him. And both of them said nothing more. After that, they arrived at a restaurant. She said, this place is expensive. Have you ever been here? Oh, on my birthday. Kwon Sung-jae treated me to a meal here. Oh, speaking of Kwon Sung-jae. Your attitude changed immediately. What's wrong between you and Kwon Sung-jae? Aren't you two friends? Are you mad at each other? Suddenly he asked, what did he say to you? She recalled, I will look into it more. To see if there is any way to end this contract. With Lee Doohan, the contract will directly affect his life. I can't tell the truth. She stammered, this. She hurriedly changed the subject. Do you mind if I ask about your parents? Not at all. My dad doesn't care much about me. As long as I can sign a contract with my fox. So he probably won't pay attention to you either. My mom is resting abroad due to health issues. Really? Then I should go greet her when she returns. Does your mom hate foxes or anything like that? I'm a bit nervous. Thinking about meeting her for the first time. Hearing that, Doohan turned his face away and remained silent. Does she really hate foxes? Maybe I don't need to make a good impression on her. But, of course, being disliked by someone you meet for the first time. Doohan spoke up, my mom. My mom used to be desperate, searching for those who bear the same mark as me. She said even if that child wants to take away everything I have, bring them to me. Therefore, don't make that face. You are the only one who saved her son's life. How could she possibly hate you? Looking at this man. Yet he knows how to comfort others. Suddenly she asked, but what should I do? You are a scoundrel who ruined her daughter's life. Aren't you? Hearing that, he burst out laughing. I know. I said I would introduce Lee Doohan to my parents. But what if my mom doesn't like him? Lee Doohan in Eungu's imagination. We already signed a contract, so we don't need a matchmaker anymore. You should be grateful that I personally came to visit you. What do you want, huh? Want what? Eungu thought to this point and couldn't help but worry. Isn't this chaotic? Later, in the car. Eungu said, you can't treat them like you treat me, understood? He asked, how do I treat you? You what still do you ask? Mean? You talk as if people have offended you. Ah. Doohan leaned over and carefully unbuckled Eungu's seatbelt. He reassured her. I will try my best so you don't have to worry anymore, okay? His actions and words made her heart flutter a bit. You also thought about this. And got no information since that day either. I will find every way to cancel the contract with Eungu. To me, you are even more important than Doohan really is. Do you want your whole life to always be bound by someone else? Am I sure that he won't actually find a way to cancel the contract? No, her mother interrupted her thoughts. But just in case, just try to contact him and see. I will call him later. Do you want to eat anything? You need to draw blood every day, right? Mom, don't worry, I eat very well here. They even provide extra food rations, ending the conversation with her mother. She pressed to call CEO J's number. But the response was a message that he didn't pick up. So please leave a message. She worriedly thought, did something happen? She immediately typed a message. When you see this message, remember to text me back. Oh, it's raining, the sky is gloomy today. She quickly put on some warm clothes. Then sat in front of the door waiting for him to return. Lee Do-hun must know his personality by now. He probably forgot his umbrella again. It's so cold. A moment later Do-hun's car returned. She immediately grabbed the umbrella and walked towards the garage. Do-hun stepped out, looking at the pouring rain, when suddenly an umbrella appeared, followed by Eun-gu's voice. Were you going to go out without an umbrella again? I told you I wouldn't wait for you. You didn't lock the door. What if something happens while I'm sleeping? Then wait inside. Why did you come out here? It's very cold. I thought you didn't bring an umbrella. He blushed, secretly moved. She knew when I would arrive. And even waited for me like this. A little rain like this is no big deal. She handed him the umbrella and said, I have a big umbrella here, use it. But he snatched Eun-gu's umbrella. He put his arm around her shoulder and pulled her close. And one umbrella was enough for both of them. He said, a week feels longer than I thought. A week. She silently realized. The days leading to the stabilization period are not easy at all. And then the answer I will give. We'll start a new chapter for our relationship. A moment later, the two entered the room. Do-hun said, be honest with me. Didn't you ever think, she asked, that I would reject you after a week? Are you plotting to reject me? Haha. How can you be so confident? Do-hun took off his coat and approached Eun-gu. Suddenly, he lifted her up and placed her on the desk. She thought to herself. During the blood donation process, my legs have been getting weaker. I should sit down, but isn't this posture a bit too close? Thinking this, she asked, you are standing too close. What matters is standing this close to avoid danger, right? The desk is not that high either. He chuckled playfully and whispered into her ear. You want it this way. Let me take you back to your room. I knew you would have to wait for me like this. He kissed her lips. I told you that you would wait for me, just bear with it a little. I'll try not to hurt you, trust me. 3 minutes have passed. If he and I don't finish before midnight, it could be dangerous. Especially for Lee Do-hun. The one who made a contract with me during his losing control. A deadly kiss. From Lee Do-hun. She anxiously told him, you don't have much time left. Less than 3 minutes. You know, when we complete this contract, they say that a fox's life depends on an email, but in the end, my life is bound by you. So when you give your answer, I hope you will still remember that. He thought to himself, it doesn't matter how strong I am, but I might die without you. Scene changes. Lee Sung focused on aiming at the target. The sound of a gunshot rang out. The accurate shots hit the bullseyes. Suddenly her eyes showed surprise. Because someone behind her removed her headphones. Xiong turned around angrily and asked, who's playing dirty? It's none other than this guy. Long time no see, sister. So calm even after causing a huge accident. You are very lucky. What do you want, Lisa Zhang? I don't understand why you suddenly came here and started talking. Zhang reached for the gun. Can you stop talking nonsense already? It's hard enough for me to hold back from shooting you in the head. He came here again. Are you really crazy? If I ask, just answer. Why did you? Who hates talking to me? Come to see me. The fox who contracted with Do-hun is your childhood friend. He asked me to check if she's okay, is that all? Right, because I can go into the main house. Do you think he has any other reason to meet me? Zhang, like you. Put the gun down. Gwon Sunjian has been abroad reminded. Before. Anything related to Gwon Sung Jae, forget it. Don't do anything, and don't think about anything. Just live quietly like you always have. She angrily clenched her trembling hands. Live as you wish, you fool, is this true? Go back to the main house, there will be a surprise. It would be better if you go with me. Then, at the main house, Xiong and Zhang arrived. She saw Do-hun and ran over to hug him. How are you doing? His face darkened. He muttered to himself, get lost you bastard. Your mother said you've been back for a while. Welcome back. Thank you. Please send my regards to your mother. Eun-gu hid behind Do-hun, wondering who that was. Zhang understood and said, let me introduce. This is my twin sister, Lisa Jang. Nice to meet you, I am Lisa Jang. Nice to meet you, I am Ji Eun-gu. Eun-gu silently admired, she is really beautiful. She said, your mark seems very faint. It looks like the stabilization will be completed soon. Brother Sunjil said he misses you a lot. Eun-gu immediately asked, have you met Sunjil? I haven't been able to contact him. Is he still okay? He seems quite busy lately. If he's still okay, I'm very glad. Do-hun put his arm around Eun-gu's shoulder, making her eyes widen in surprise. This is the first time I've seen you like this. Normally you don't care about anyone. But now you worry about your fox like this. Luckily, I'm still alive to see this sight. I thought you would die before finding your fox. You two look great together. Eun-gu thought to herself, is she joking? A lot of things have changed. Do-hun said sternly, stop talking nonsense. Jijang, come out here for a bit. He lowered his voice to remind his sister. Don't you do anything. At this time, only 2 people were left in the room. She suggested, then have a drink with me. Eun-gu asked, how do you know Sunjin? I knew him when he first came to the main house. Although I'm not very close to him now. But we used to talk occasionally before. Eun-gu thought to herself. Does Sunjil have this kind of friend? Both Do-hun and Gwon Sunjil never told me. Wow, it seems Sunjil also has a lot of friends. Even without the mark. By the way, Sunjil Appa might be dying. Hearing that, Eun-gu panicked and jumped up. She reassured, calm down. One at the entrance, one in the middle of the bookshelf, one on the corner of the wall. There are surveillance cameras at the window and the desk too. Eun-gu asked anxiously, why would he be dying? What do you mean? My father is the one who records the history of the IME. I understand the contract between the IME and nobles better than anyone. Lisa Jang. Have many interesting things to tell you. Stop beating around the bush, talk about Gwon Sunjil then. Let me tell you about Gwon Sunjil right now, only once. That was the time when 2 brothers were born with the same mark. But only one noble family has the same mark. Why is she suddenly talking about this? Because they are brothers, they have the same mark. They had to divide the contract into 2 roles, master servant and companion, but the greedy younger brother didn't want to yield to his older brother. So in the end he killed the older brother. And that younger brother claimed the title for himself. The older brother placed a curse. Sometime in the future, your descendants will also meet the same fate. Hearing this, Eun-gu thought, I feel worried about this. She immediately asked, what does this have to do with Sunjil? It seems history is repeating itself in this unlucky way. A mark has appeared on Sunjil. And it's exactly the same as Do-hun's. What? Eun-gu cried out in astonishment. Fortunately his power hasn't increased excessively yet. That is even more dangerous. Because we cannot know the consequences. If he doesn't sign a contract soon, he will lose his life soon. Eun-gu was momentarily stunned. She remembered when Do-hun was in pain because of excessive power. Xiong touched Eun-gu's hand. You saved Lee Do-hun who was dying. Of course you will also save Gwon Sunjin, right? I know a way for everyone to be happy. That's something only you can do. If you want to save Gwon Sunjin, contact me when Do-hun is away. I will help you. Oh, and don't tell Appa about this. If he finds out someone has the same mark as him, who knows what he will do. Having said that, she left. At night, Eun-gu dejectedly called Sunjin. But the answer was still the same. The number you have called cannot be reached at the moment. Please call again later. She secretly doubted. No, maybe Sejang lied about the marks. In a million chances. If it really is the similar mark that appeared. We chose each other ourselves. Never let this truth be discovered. I'm so confused. They have started hunting foxes because of Do-hun. The next candidate for the leadership position has reached his limit. So this situation is very urgent. Finally, in front of the resolute Do-hun, a mutant with a similar seal suddenly appeared. It will never be a presence. Warmly welcomed by all. I'm Sunjin, what's wrong? You sold the house and Sunjin's mother also didn't answer, hiding in a place no one knows. Is he waiting for a painful death alone? Why didn't he tell me? Is he afraid of making me feel awkward? Sunjin always cares about me. I asked him to protect you. So no one else can touch you. Eun-gu, are you okay? She wondered to herself, me? How can I help you? She recalled Sunjin's words. I know a way for everyone to be happy. Of course you will also save Gwon Sunjin, right? When Gwon Sunjil has the same mark as me. I have to make a contract to save him. They will say that a greedy Imi doesn't know how to compromise. Sejang's words kept echoing in her ears. Finally, he took his brother's life and claimed the fox. While she was hesitating, suddenly Do-hun opened the door. What are you doing outside the door? Come in, she went in and said, nothing, I'm just bored. Oh my, that was fast, go Eun-gu. Have you decided yet? Eun-gu spoke up to answer. You can contact Kwon Sunjin, right? Let me verify the mark myself. Then I will help you. Sejang asked, Do-hun isn't there right now, is he? I will go to the main house. Then she texted, I've arrived at the gate, come out. Outside alone. Eun-gu told herself. I will only go to check Sunjil's mark. And just come back. And then discuss with Lee Do-hun. Hyunjo saw her going out and asked, Ui, miss. Before she finished, Eun-gu said I'm just going for a walk. Outside Sejang was already waiting for her here. You said you want to verify the mark yourself, right? I brought Kwon Sung-jae along. If he appears right now, it will become a rather troublesome situation. So I can't let him get out. The main house has many surveillance cameras. So we can't go there. If you want to verify his mark, you need to meet him in person. Eun-gu was silent for a moment, then looked at her and said, It's really hard for you to help like this. But I highly appreciate your effort. Sung Japa is also a precious friend of mine. It hurts to see him being bullied since childhood, and now he is in hiding. Without being able to tell anyone that he is dying. I really want to help Appa. Dying from a power outburst is more terrible than you think. Eun-gu thought to herself. Previously Lee Do-hun had mentioned a similar thing. Now all have died and my mother is all alone. She is the only one who knows well how a pure blood person, who couldn't find their clan, will die. Did Do-hun also lose someone due to a power outburst? No, he has the same soul. That's why. He knows how useless such a death is. So he wants to help even more. He is desperate because he knows the mark comes from the same decided to open the door, walking to the car while thinking, if I help, everyone can be happy. But when the car door opened, inside there was no Sunjil. She asked, Where is Sunjil? I knew. Sejang smiled and said, I thought you would fall for such a pathetic drama. But you did. Eun-gu was startled and told herself I need to go back right away. But Xiang grabbed her hand tightly. They say that Lee Do-hun, the one who loses control of his power, feels really pitiful. He stepped up and made the contract himself, huh? Eun-gu didn't answer her but demanded. Let go. What kind of crazy strength is this? She took out a vial of dark red blood. Do you know how to break the contract between the soul and the clan? The soul who owns that mark must voluntarily drop a drop of blood on the mark. To break the contract, both the soul and the clan leader must both read the agreement to terminate it once and for all. However, because the contract is not stable at all, so before it stabilizes, you can destroy the contract with only the soul's blood. After saying that, she dropped that blood on Eun-gu's mark. That drop of blood slowly dissolved. Eun-gu was shocked and cried out internally. The mark disappeared, she said again. I know your mark and Kwon Sunjian's are the same. Therefore destroying the contract is much simpler. Eun-gu became staggered, so dizzy. I can't hold on to my consciousness anymore. She softly closed her eyes and silently called Lee Do-hun's name. Then fell onto Sunjian and fainted. She proudly said thank you Eun-gu. If you didn't trust me, things would have been really difficult. As soon as she put Eun-gu in the car, suddenly a voice rang out, stop. 2 bodyguards ran over. You can't take the young miss away, oh my. What can you guys do now? She quickly got in the car and sped off. Swoosh, it's too late. On this side. Do-hun asked, why is everyone so hesitant? If everyone has nothing more to say, his mother said, Do-hun, stay for dinner. Do you have other plans? Maybe next time. I've been here too long. So restless. Suddenly she said, the fox you made a contract with is considered important to CEO J. You just need blood, right? When the time comes, I will cancel the contract for you. His face darkened and he asked, who are you besides just blood? Then what else do you need? Don't tell me. Do-hun interrupted. You told me to find my fox by any means, so I will do everything to keep Eun-gu by my side. She hesitated. Do-hun, there are things I must tell you. Suddenly Do-hun's phone rang. He had a bad premonition. Why from the main house? He answered the phone and asked, what's wrong? Young master, Miss Aang has taken Miss Eun-gu. She said she was just going for a walk, but checking the surveillance camera, it seems she was unconscious and taken away. Do-hun immediately looked at the back of his hand. The mark had disappeared since when? His face looked extremely stunned. He recalled what Jajang had said. Kwon Sunji is trying to break the contract. The other end of the line asked, are you listening, young master? Should I try to contact young master Jajang? He shockingly recalled. The problem is that Kwon Sungi went to find Lee Sungi first. Is this why he went to meet Dad? The people involved in this kidnapping must be Lee Sejang and Kwon Sunjian. And Sunjian asked me for a favor. I owe his family some money. You and Sunjian grew up like brothers, right? So they participated in this together. At this point, Do-hun spoke up. I have something important to tell you too. You mean I and Kwon Sung-yeon look like brothers, right? He squeezed his palm tightly, causing the phone to crack. Mom didn't intend to deceive you. It's just that I really had no other choice. You know, I lost all my siblings right before my eyes. So the thought of having my own child was terrible. But your dad needed a son. She recalled. Especially when pure blood is disappearing. How could she say that she couldn't give birth to an heir? For the clan? Do you know what that means? It's not in the records. But they say that children carrying human blood have a lower chance of dying from their uncontrollable power. Sunjian's mother was your father's student. And my friend. So with her consent, I pretended to be pregnant. I promised to raise him as my own child when he was born. But then eventually I got pregnant. Around that time. I told you everything. Do-hun, I swear. So are you too. Choosing between me and Kwon Sunjian? What are you saying? Sunjian only asked us to break the contract. When you are stabilized. That's all he asked us for. He was surprised. At this moment Do-hun's eyes became fierce. A source of pressure emitted from him, making everything shatter. He yelled, answer me. If you guys don't weigh us against each other, then why was my contract destroyed? Both were extremely stunned seeing that. Do-hun clutched his chest in pain. Right after, he spewed out a stream of red blood. The two called out loudly. Do-hun. Once the contract is destroyed, the unstable power is barely restrained. Starts to spread. What is happening? Why is this happening? Why did the contract suddenly? Lee Do-hun, are you okay? Lee Do-hun, what is? Why are you acting like you care so much? Isn't this what you wanted? Impossible. Even if your blood is mixed. How could your contract be destroyed? His body began to tremble. Ha, you guys better start praying right now. If I don't survive, you will lose the son you have raised, all this time. The two hurriedly let's get out of here, lock the door right away. Do-hun said again. If I survive, then Dad will lose another son that he is hiding. The two ran to the door. His mother looked back, then the door slammed shut. Do-hun leaned his hand against the wall. He fell to his knees, beneath him was covered in bloodstains. He remembered that day. If you make a contract, everything will be stable, master servant contract with me. He silently called Go-un-gu. The dark room. Only Do-hun's cries of pain could be heard. At the same time, somewhere in a secluded house, Song Jae sat next to Un-gu, couldn't help but worry. It's been 4 days. She still hasn't woken up. Is there something wrong? Zeong stood leaning against the door and asked, why don't you eat something? Some people have risked their lives to trust you. Don't worry, this little fox won't die. She will wake up soon. Sunjian said, when I'm not here, you have to protect Un-gu. That is the condition in our contract. Before that, he had whispered to her that I am the legal heir. After hearing that, I joined hands with one CEO J. Killings among emas with inheritance rights have long been tacitly accepted. If there is another Imi besides Kwon Sungri who kills Lee Do-hun, there will be punishment. And they won't escape the leader's wrath. You will take Lee Do-hun's life. Then yield the leadership position to Lee Jizi. Even if Lee Jizi claims he doesn't want to accept that position anyway. He won't stand by and let a half-blood child like Kwon Sunjian become the leader by taking Lee Do-hun's life. You said all you wanted was just that fox. Right? Just feed her something first. I'll bring the food right away. At this moment Un-gu opened her eyes and woke up. Sunjil immediately called Un-gu. Are you okay? Can you sit up? Is that Kwon Sunjil? Where the hell is this? Does it still hurt a lot? She startled, remembering the contract is gone. She said tremblingly, no, impossible. What have you done? Do we have the same mark? Sunjian didn't answer. He only showed his mark to confirm, making her inevitably surprised. She remembered what Do-hun said. Your power has no effect on Kwon. Sunjian, do you know that? If Sunjian does something wrong and you still cooperate with him, then the worst case scenario will happen. Lee Do-hun has also foreseen this situation? She asked, when did you realize it? A few days after my last call. After nearly 10 days of suffering, the mark finally appeared. Your power has no effect on me. So to be sure that the mark appeared on me is the same as yours or not. That is the reason why I introduced Do-hun to you, but the moment I realized your mark is exactly the same as Do-hun's. Even more terrifyingly, you are also the one who made the contract. But in the end, my mark also appeared exactly like yours. Suddenly Ugu trembled along with heavy breathing. Right after that she spat out a mouthful of blood. It's okay, it's okay. It's just a side effect of breaking the contract.
It will be gone in a few days.
A side effect of breaking the contract?
What about Lee Do-hun?
If something happens to me, what will happen to Lee Do-hun? Is he okay?
Jeong spoke up and said.
Do-hun made the contract while having an episode.
So he must be going through a rampage again. If this goes smoothly,
then we can easily end this, right? Eun-gu angrily yelled at her, but before she could say anything else, Sun-jian supported her.
Let
go.
Stop,
I
have to go back and save him.
He immediately raised his voice. If you go back to Lee Do-hun now, I will die, Eun-gu. Eun-gu immediately stopped. The atmosphere became quiet. A moment later she suggested. Promise me that you will share that contract with Lee Do-hun. Sun-ji gritted his teeth.
He won't let me live.
No, if I ask him. Even though we only share half the same blood.
But the two of us are still half-brothers. Right after the mark appeared.
I suddenly realized this. Eun-gu was surprised again and asked, what? She remembered what Xiong said earlier.
Every other older brother is born with the same mark. Before the eldest brother died.
He cursed that one day. Future descendants would share the same fate. At that time I already had a bad premonition.
But still hoped that curse was false.
Sun-jiol said again. Because I still have human mixed blood.
I was tormented by emas until I was 7. By the time I grew up,
without knowing who my parents were,
I was even tortured while living with them.
She explained, but that's not Do-hun's fault.
He immediately retorted.
Do-hun has everything and even though he knows I have feelings for you. I only need you. He has the whole company. And even sits in the director's position. Can't he give me anything?
Eun-gu brushed his hand away.
Don't speak as if I belong to you like that. What do you mean by stealing? What about the fact that you used tricks to break the contract?
And kidnapped me?
I received news that you were attacked.
If you were still in that villa,
things would have been even more dangerous. Right now there are tens of thousands of emas wanting to make a move to usurp Lee Do-hun's clan.
I sincerely apologize
for having to use force to break the contract like this. Even so, your actions are not justified at all. She thought to herself, why am I suddenly having trouble breathing? Immediately her mouth spat out blood again. It hurts so much. It feels like my body is being burned to ashes. Thinking of this, she fell down and fainted. CEO J hurriedly caught her. CEO said her condition will continue like this
for about half a month.
How is the situation over there?
Lee Do-hun is at the shelter now. If
we are lucky, sooner or later some emas
will come looking for us.
It's best to just let him die in that rampage. But if by any chance he survives, then we need to prepare the next plan. Sun-jiol told himself not to regret anymore. There is no turning back now.
This will only end when one of us dies.
A few days later at the main house, everyone in the clan gathered fully. They discussed with each other that 6 days have passed.
Shouldn't someone go check now?
What if the rampage hasn't ended yet? Anyone volunteer? That half-blood really dares to do anything.
Why would he do that?
Suddenly someone else spoke up. The one who kidnapped the fox wasn't him. Sun-jian's target is Lee Do-hun's fox. So let's put that aside for now.
If Lee Do-hun dies,
the best leader would be Lee Ji-jang.
Then it makes sense.
If Lee Ji-jang is behind the kidnapping.
Well, lucky for him.
He is the one who benefits the most from this. On this side, Ji-jang asked in astonishment. You said you would delay the punishment for Gwon Sung-jae? That is your uncle's decision, be quiet. Why isn't my dad saying anything? He thought to himself, Lee Do-hun is about to letting the instigator go? I know now.
Not long ago.
My brother gave me a toothbrush. And instructed me to do a DNA
test to match with Gwon Sung-jae. And the result was a match.
The test matched someone. And my uncle has given him tremendous support. They even had some secret conversations.
In the end, it turns out the half-blood is his hidden son. At this point, Ji-jang asked. So,
that's the reason my uncle didn't order the execution of Gwon Sung-jae.
Because he also has inheritance rights.
The strong becoming the leader is a matter of course. Lower your voice. Do you know what you are saying?
If something happens to my brother,
I will kill that half-blood myself, ha.
He is also just a victim.
Up to now he has sacrificed too much. If only we had realized sister-in-law was pregnant with
Lee Do-hun
is dying. Why do we have to pity Gwon Sung-jae anymore, ha? I guess my dad still considers him a nephew, right?
Where are you going? To my brother? Are you crazy?
Absolutely not. It's not time yet. Why? Are you afraid I will die like mom? Well, if I die that easily,
then I wouldn't be strong enough to become the leader anyway. Don't, I beg you, Ji-jang. If it's my fate to die like that,
then there's nothing I can do about it. He called out loudly Li Zhejiang, drawing everyone's attention. Spoke up and said, tomorrow makes it exactly a week, and no one knows whether my brother is alive or dead. Someone needs to go check, right? Can anyone go in my place? If so, why not raise your hand? That's why I'm going. Then, at the place where Duhan was locked up, Zhang arrived there to check. Looking at the bloodstains covering the room, Zhejiang thought to himself, still the same. Why, are you afraid I will die like mom? He closed his eyes. That was the first time a young Aimee went through a rampage. It was like a ticking time bomb. That day. Unfortunately, a friend of his mother's from the Fox clan got lost in the main house. To save that friend, his mother entered the forbidden area. It was a terrible accident due to sheer coincidence, and she passed away like that. That person was Jixiang's mother. At that time, Xiang had said she would take care of that bastard Li Dohan. I will tear him apart like he did to our mother. Zhejiang comforted his sister. I will do it. Later, Duhan went to the cemetery and saw Zhejiang kneeling there in pain, tears falling continuously on his face. Duhan spoke up, so Duhan stepped in front of Zhejiang and knelt down. I've been looking for you for a long time. I want to apologize, Zhejiang, I'm sorry. Zhejiang. He was surprised to see tears falling onto Duhan's hands. I am truly sorry. He looked up and saw that Du's face. Han was covered in tears. His mouth continuously said, I'm sorry, Zhejiang. And finally, I forgave him. But Zhejiang did not. Did you erase all of Li Duhan's memories? That is the leader's decision. The first rampage combined with the recent accident. He killed your mother. And now he gets to live in peace. Forgetting everything? No punishment. But he gets all the privileges? Dad isn't even angry? Then Zhejiang went to his dad. Dad, can we talk for a bit? He thought to himself, maybe we have to erase Li Zhejiang's memories too. But Xiang found out and said, don't even think about messing with my memories. If you do that, I will bite my tongue to commit suicide. I won't let it go. I will definitely kill him. Back to the present. Zhejiang thought to himself that. Back then I should have completely erased Zhejiang's memories. If it weren't for those stupid foxes, I would want to kill every fox I meet. Suddenly John appeared along with the words, I like you. Why did that face suddenly appear? Now. Come to think of it, it's been a while since I contacted her. Is she worried? Maybe she's even crying. This is not the time to think about this. Suddenly Zhejiang heard a noise. He immediately turned in that direction and saw Duhan approaching unharmed. But his face had become more haggard. Seeing that, Zhejiang sighed in relief and said, Good job. Are you okay? Suddenly Duhan asked, Did you know? Zhejiang lowered his face, avoiding the question and replied, Ha, of course not. Duhan warned, stay out of this from now on. I don't want your hands stained with your sister's blood. The messy room became quiet. Then Duhan said, Go back to the main house. At the main house. Everyone appeared extremely tense. Then Duhan appeared. When they saw him, everyone looked at him in astonishment. He thought to himself, it seems some people have taken Guan Sunjian's side. A man approached and called Duhan. I'm so glad. Go see your mother quickly. Let me talk to you for a moment first. Saying that, the two of them left. In a room with only the two of them, Duhan asked, if the contract is broken and everything becomes unstable, what will happen to the Fox clan? He warned, watch your mouth. He replied, they won't die, I'm not dead either. I didn't die. But I had to suffer a lot too. That small, weak appearance. How could she endure such pain? Do you know how they managed to destroy the contract? I have a guess. But I'm not sure what it is. He hesitated and didn't answer. Duhan warned angrily. Don't make me ask twice. If Li Zhejiang is involved in this, I won't be lenient with you anymore. He said that. There were 1 or 2 twin Emas born with the same mark. Duhan asked in astonishment. So Guan Sunjian's mark is the same as mine? Is that the reason? Why Go Eungu's power didn't work? Did my dad know about the 2 identical marks? If he knew, do you think my brother would have let Sungji? But in the end, he put my life on the scales? Yes, and I know that. Zhejiang has hurt you a lot. But the reason he did this, he gritted his teeth, feeling awkward internally. Li Duhan's memories were erased. And the gag order on what happened that day was issued. It's over. You don't need to make excuses. As long as Go Eungu is safe, I can overlook that girl's childish prank. But if anything happens to Ju Eungu, you should forget about ever seeing Li Zhejiang again. Then Zhejiang approached. He spoke up, brother. Here's the list of Emas that we've lost contact with. I told you to stop. I will continue to track them. You should focus on recovering. No one knows how far Guan Sunjian's power has reached. And they already know all our plans. Duhan thought to himself, this is the worst. Go Eungu is a hostage. Our subordinates have been exposed. And my own condition isn't even stable. In this situation, the only person who hasn't betrayed me is Li Jizang. Now he is my biggest ally. And my right-hand man. I need Li Jizang to find Go Eun-gu. Zhejiang said. The problem is if Go Eun-gu and Kwon Sunjian have made a contract. If we seriously break the contract again, the fox could die. Can you guarantee that Go Eun-gu won't abandon and make a contract with Kwon Sunjian before we find them? Isn't there something between the two of them that I don't know? A relationship built over 23 years, trusting each other. They were both hunters and prey in the power struggle. That's a completely different relationship from mine, where I only used force. Why would Go Eun-gu abandon Kwon CEO and choose me? I can't think of a single reason. Meanwhile, on Eun-gu's side, after being unconscious for another 4 days, but I'm still trapped within these 4 walls. Not allowed to step outside even for a bit. Sunjian said, eat something, Eun-gu. She asked, where is this? He let her know. A place far away from Seoul. Where's my phone? Maybe Lee Sejang threw it away on the way here. We could be tracked. What's with this room? Are you planning to lock me up here now? It's not like that. As long as you don't go down to the first floor, it's fine. She said, anyway, it's not like I'm going to run away. While knowing your life is in danger. How could I? So promise me we will share the contract. He turned his face and said, I don't intend to do that without you. Eun-gu, Lee Do-hun will find this place soon. Before that, make a contract with me. As long as you don't plan to abandon me. Eun-gu fell into a momentary silence. She lowered her head and thought. A moment later she pulled her hand away and said, no, let me make it clear for you to understand. Whether Lee Do-hun kills you or you kill Lee Do-hun, I won't make a contract with either of you, even if Lee Do-hun kills me and he is the only one left. You still won't make a contract? Will you hate Lee Do-hun for the rest of your life? She replied immediately. Yes, it doesn't sound very realistic, does it? You rest, Eun-gu called out. Just tell me one thing. It's been 8 days since the contract was broken. Is Lee Do-hun still alive? He held the door handle with a trembling hand. Then reluctantly replied. He is. Eun-gu lowered her face, silently thanking God in her heart. Her hand tightly gripped the blanket. What a relief, her tears unconsciously now that contract has been broken. Unless I reveal the mark, a contract cannot be made. If I can't leave here right now, I will have to endure until Lee Do-hun arrives. Wait, Seo-eung spoke up. That's enough for a 23-year friendship. It doesn't mean anything anymore. You should make the contract quickly. Before Lee Do-hun kills Kwon Seo-eung Je. Right? Eun-gu thought, maybe that's why they keep bothering me. Do you really see Lee Do-hun as a murderer? I don't. Ridiculous. You haven't even seen him deal with anyone. At you, look, hearing that someone is a murderer. And not even blinking an eye. She thought to herself, to be honest. I'm not confident that I can convince him. But Lee Do-hun has changed a lot over time. So, I will convey my feelings clearly. I will ask to establish a friendship with Lee Dong-hun and a master-servant relationship with Kwon Sung-yeon. I will never form a friendship with Kwon Sung-yeon again. I have never had any feelings beyond friendship for him. Suddenly Sung-yeon asked. Could it be that you like Lee Do-hun now? If not, then your trust in him wouldn't be so firm. Like that. Do you only see his good sides? Right? What about you? Why do you hate Lee Do-hun so much? You are his relative, right? She was silent for a moment, then approached and asked, why do you want to know that? She grabbed Eun-gu's hair and pulled it back, at the same time pointing a sharp knife at Eun-gu's neck. If you hadn't appeared, things wouldn't be so messed up like this. And so pieces of hair dyed red fell to the floor on this side. Zhejiang said to Do-hun, ridiculous. So childish, I can't even understand. What kind of backward thinking this is? Do-hun's face exuded coldness, not saying a word. Back to Eun-gu's side. A blood-drawing needle lay on the floor. Eun-gu raised her hand to tuck up her short-cut hair. Outside the door there was an argument. She hesitated a bit. Finally Eun-gu decided to go out. At this moment, Sung-yeon's voice rang out questioning. Didn't I say not to touch Eun-gu? Why did Sung-yeon ask again? I didn't torture or do anything. Did she yet? I just cut a little hair and took a little blood. But aren't you busy with work? This is all for the precious childhood sweetheart of yours. How could she not care about the contract, even when her life is threatened? I'm giving her time to think. She shouldn't be in any danger at this moment. For how long? Or do I have to hide here until Lee Do-hun dies? If you're still like this, what will you do if Go Eun-gu finds out you never went through that? Eun-gu was surprised and exclaimed internally. What? Zio continued, before that one of you two will die. He definitely has to die. While talking she stopped. Eungu suddenly rushed out and slapped Sunji. The atmosphere became quiet. I didn't expect you to lie to me. Go back to your room. At least explain yourself,
and
you
long
bastard.
to have each other.
I lied to you, so what? If I'm like that, I'll hide it
With
forever.
your soft heart.
You would never give up Lee Do-hun.
I also wish.
My power would go out of control. That would be better than now.
Why? Now you know I can live without you.
Are you going to abandon me again? She pressed her lips tightly. Listen carefully, Gwon Sunji, first. It's true that you saved me.
Because you couldn't live without me. But there wasn't just that one person. That day I wanted to tell you my true feelings. And now.
The contract is broken and the mark has also disappeared.
I am even more sure of this feeling.
Not just because of the mark anymore, she clenched her hands. I like Lee Do-hun, Xiang explained. XEOMRI gloomily demanded, go back to your room immediately.
Eungu immediately turned away.
Now there were only 2 people left. Xiam said, that's best for you. Now it's easy for you to use Go Eungu as a hostage. Don't call Eungu a hostage. Calm down, your enemy is Lee Do-hun. She tightly grabbed Sunjin's shirt. If you really want that thing, then use everything you have to keep it. Lee Do-hun is coming here alone.
If he doesn't come next time, I will send a finger to him. Of course Li Jiang will understand right away.
Settle your matters first. Otherwise everything will get messed up.
Saying that,
she turned and left, leaving Sunjian standing there deep in thought. Scene changes, Do-hun asked, where's the address?
Sunjian let him know, at a villa in Pyeongchang. I've been there before. That place is very deserted.
With Gwon Young there, Go Eungu won't be in danger. Even if I think about it, I need to see it with my own eyes to be sure. Zhejiang worriedly asked, do you really want to go alone?
To say you, Zhejiang interrupted.
No, I will go too, no buts.
Do you know how many of them are there?
Within an hour, if
I don't come out, then go inside.
1 hour later. If you go in too early, Go Eungu might get hurt. Of course she will get hurt. As long as she is alive, it's fine.
After the contract.
We just need to provide her with blood for 5 years. After that she won't to do.
Hun frowned and said, if something happens.
You can decide everything. But you must prioritize the safety of Go Eungu. If you can't guarantee that, then stay. Ha, what a cunning old fox.
He is not a person with a mark.
He wondered to himself, Lee Sung, what the hell are you doing this way?
I know what I am about to do.
Is reckless and dangerous. Every time I tell myself.
That face suddenly appears in my mind.
Am I hesitating? No way, thinking of this. Zhejiang knocked on the door, entered and called Brother Du. We are no longer the strong and the weak.
If it's not important, get out.
Suddenly Zhejiang requested, I will take my blood for you. In exchange, don't kill Zhejiang.
I know this is a difficult request.
While you fight, I will protect Go Eungu. No matter what happens.
I will prioritize protecting them, so.
Please spare Zhejiang's life.
I'm begging you, brother.
After saying that, Zhejiang bowed down earnestly. Do-hun looked at him thoughtfully.
Or the hunter and the prey like before.
Li Zhejiang's life is of no value to me.
I have no reason to do so.
But on the condition of bringing Go Eungu back
Going
without
back
a single
to
scratch.
Eungu.
Let me trim your hair. You look so sloppy. Eungu pushed her away.
Don't even think about touching me.
If you do, I will bite my tongue and kill myself, oh my.
I'm so scared. If you die, things will be simpler.
If I die now, no one will be able to control Lido's rage. Hun, that's why you took me hostage,
Has Lee
right?
Do-hun always been this cunning? How arrogant and annoying.
Is that so? Thanks for noticing, getting more insolent, aren't you?
Hey, should I poison
you and make you suffer like last time?
Here?
Eungu heard that and couldn't help but be shocked. Impossible.
The person who attacked me then.
I guess you figured it out, right? That's right, I sent that person. Honestly, I wanted to kill you.
But I missed the chance. Anyway, I have good news for you.
Lee Do-hun is coming here soon. She startled and asked, what? So I need your help from her hand on Eungu's shoulder. As you said, you're an excellent hostage.
Suddenly she pinned Eungu down.
Surely you didn't feel suffocated being here alone.
All this time, right?
Let's go downstairs. We have an important guest coming. You have to come out to greet him too. She carried Eungu on her shoulder and slowly walked down the stairs.
Seeing her people had arrived,
she exclaimed, gathered quite fully.
Eung put Eungu on a chair, with her body tied tightly,
her mouth tied with a cloth. Eungu thought to herself, where's Eung Dae? Zhejiang must have done these tricks on her own. Eomri could never do things like this. Just thinking about this, her eyes showed surprise when she saw Xeomre's figure with them. She cried out internally. She tried to make the sound Can't he hear? But the truth she realized was that it wasn't that he couldn't hear, but he pretended not to hear. At this moment he intentionally avoided her, but then hesitated a bit. Then suddenly turned to look at Eungu with a sharp gaze, making her inevitably shocked. Then he turned away without saying a word. The house stood isolated in a cold wasteland. Inside the house the atmosphere was silent. Only soft breathing and pounding heartbeats. Zoje and his accomplices got into position. Eungu asked herself, will Lee Do-hun really come? I'd rather he didn't. But before she finished her sentence, her eyes widened in surprise. Do-hun kicked the glass door open and slowly entered. To the surprise of everyone, Do-hun stood in front of a bunch of assassins. We love each other like any other normal couple. It's only been a few days. Why do you look so thin? I told you not to skip meals at this time. Zio pressed the knife against Eungu's neck. You arrived earlier than I thought. For a threat, that's really childish. It seems like that's the kind of threat that works best on you. This fox is not like a normal fox. Being sealed. It seems she has become an important part to you, am I wrong? Do you really love her? He was talking when she paused. Do-hun calmly took off his outer coat. Impressive, out of everyone. Only you use Eungu as leverage to threaten me. He turned to him and called Gwon Sunjian. He asked who was the instigator, putting pressure on me in the fox hunt. If it weren't for that, I would never have revealed Eungu's whereabouts. You were the one who came up with your own solution and dragged Eungu into this mess. Do-hun rolled up his sleeves. Is that so? How about now? Should I stand here and let you beat me to death? The series has ended. Do you think you will leave here alive? Saying that, he rushed over and punched Do-hun straight in the face. Blood fell to the ground. The strong punch made Do-hun dizzy. Eungu had a gun pointed at her head. Sunjian frowned, staring at Do-hun. Shaun smugly said, having fun watching? Normally you couldn't even touch me. But now, thanks to you, I'm standing here talking about these impressive events. Eungu secretly blamed herself. It's my fault. While Do-hun stood still taking the beating, she said, take some of my blood. Anyway, I can't kill him myself. Still, he is one of the candidates for the next leadership position. Who would have thought he'd die this way? Eungu could only helplessly watch Do-hun being pummeled by Sunji. He punched hard in the stomach, sending Do-hun flying into the wall. Then he collapsed, coughing up red blood. You just need to say you give up Eungu. If you say it, I will stop. Do-hun smirked and replied, this is how it works. Because you are not completely an enemy. At first you used Eungu's life to threaten me. And now you pretend to be a good guy. Do you expect me to thank you? 11ong spoke up. Why are you hesitating? Is he really hesitating now? Seriously, can't you do one thing right? Saying that, she pulled out a gun and aimed at Do-hun. Shoot him in the head and then smash it. And just say Gwon Sunjian did it. Eungu cried out in panic. What? Immediately a gunshot rang out. The bullet was fired by Sunjian. Just when the bullet was a few centimeters from Do-hun's head, Do-hun still stood still without suddenly moving. Everything froze. 11ong yelled, what is that? He realized it from the beginning. That ability, damn fox. How dare you act so arrogantly? Right at this moment, Zhejiang appeared holding the gun in her hand. He spoke up to remind his sister. Didn't I warn you earlier? Not to do anything? So what? Are you going to kill your sister? Jae-rang frowned. Used his hand to tightly squeeze Xeom's neck. She let out a cry, then fainted, fainting just like that. Exactly how much blood did you give to Gwon Xeom? How much exactly? He laid her down and asked, is it done over there? The girl wearing a hat replied, yes sir. Sunjian wondered to himself, since when? Did he suddenly become cautious? Do-hun suddenly rushed over and punched him. His eyes became extremely gloomy. Jae-jang told Eungu, go upstairs with Yeonjun. But what about Lee Do-hun? You being here will only get in his way. I will stay here to deal with Lee Sung. She is about to wake up. She hesitated, even so, watching the two fighting. She worriedly thought, if this continues, someone will die. She said, can I help you too? Listen clearly, the one who dies won't be my brother. Right at this moment, was knocked into the wall by Do-hun. He slowly approached. He raised his hand, the sound of cracking rang out loudly. Right after that, the wall collapsed and fell, burying Eungu. Could only turn her face away from that terrifying sight. After the dust settled, Do-hun approached and told her. Now go, Eungu. You really don't listen. She paused for a moment. Tears flowing down her face. I'm sorry, the mark appeared on Sunjian's hand. He said only I could save him. I just wanted to clear things up. I didn't want to break the contract or run away. He looked at the back of her hand. Do-hun thought to himself. Go Eun-gu has never made a contract with Kwon Sunjian. She has never abandoned me. He softly replied. I know. I thought about this on the way here. That if in the end, you still couldn't leave Sunjian, what should I do? I don't know. If it were the old me, I could easily give an answer. As long as I could bring you back, there is nothing else to worry about. She said Kwon Sunjian wouldn't have to go through the power out of control. Zhejiang scratched his head and sighed. This guy is really lucky. He tricked you and forced you to break the contract. I will never make a contract with Sunjiol. Suddenly a noise rang out. Do-hun startled and became alert. He turned around and saw. Sunjiol had crawled out of the rubble. He glared at them. Do-hun looked at her and said, you know, there won't be another chance if I don't say it now. He confessed, I love you. She froze for a moment. Then helplessly said, who would confess at a time like this? The contract is gone, so the feelings will be more sincere. When this is over, we can make a new contract. But I want to go through the process I told you before with you. Eun-gu was so moved she shed tears. She advised, don't get hurt. Do-hun smiled and turned away. Look who's worrying about who. Hyun-jun approached and told her, let's go. So she carefully protected Eun-gu going upstairs. Seeing that, Zhejiang raised his hand to wave, smiling reassuringly. Go quickly, don't worry about nonsense. She smiled slightly and quickly walked away. Right at this moment, 11 Ong's groans rang out. Thank you for following the entire series. Your last chance here. Lee Sung-yeojang approached and continued what he just said. When my brother is done dealing with Kwon Sung-yeo, you better apologize to him. She was shocked to hear that. Zhejiang continued, I gave my blood to him. 11 Ong shouted, that's the price I had to pay to save you. So please stop. And apologize to him for what you've done. 11 Ong gritted her teeth and asked, why? Why do I have to do that? Over here. Xeom Ri was panting and coughing. Do-hun coldly approached. He stomped hard on his leg. Then a sharp scream rang out, making Zhejiang and Xeom startled and turn around, looking at his action. She asked, you want me to beg that crazy guy? Why do I have to do that? Why do I have to beg that guy? Who do you think killed our mother? It was Lee Do-hun. Her words made Do-hun freeze. She continued, Lee Do-hun, you don't even remember. The day your power went out of control, right? Do you know why? Zhang tried to stop Li Xiang. Stop it. Because that day you killed our mother. And that damn council of elders erased all your memories. Du-hun was stunned, turned around and asked, what nonsense are you talking about? He's just joking. Let it go. Xiang continued. I will never beg you for anything. You should have died when your power went out of control. Go to hell, I'm begging you. Suddenly at this moment a scream rang out. Hyun-jun was knocked down the stairs. Eun-gu panicked and screamed Hyun-jo's name. You said there was still someone on the second floor? Suddenly S-Iong picked up a knife. You should also feel what it's like to lose someone you love. Saying that, she aimed at Eun-gu's position and lunged over. Du-hun called out loudly. Go Eun-gu, she raised the sharp knife, go to hell. Right after that was a stabbing sound. Eun-gu slowly opened her eyes wondering. What happened? Then she was horrified to realize the person stabbed was. He calmly said, damn it hurts so much. Eun-gu asked, are you crazy? Cough, so noisy. 11 Ong's legs staggered. Oh no. Why did you? I harmed you. Zhejiang thought to himself. Normally I would have recovered by now. But because I gave too much blood to my brother, I don't know if my body can take it. Go Eun-gu, can you pull the knife out? She tremblingly reached out. She gripped tightly with both hands and pulled it out forcefully. Blood sprayed up from there, making her terrified. Hey, was I supposed not to pull the knife out? Why is it bleeding more and more? Oh, will I really die this time? Don't go, Zhejiang. It's dangerous, you will die. I don't need anything. I just want you to be with me. You are everything to me. I would have looked at you a little longer. Go Eun-gu, my fox's name is John. John only has a name. Her family is gone. If I die, she has nowhere to go either. I have a few buildings and shares under my name. Let her have them all. What are you trying to say? A will. Saying this, he coughed. Eun-gu startled and called out, Li Zhang, don't die. I beg you. Zhejiang secretly remembered John. I used to really hate the noble class. So I treated them very badly. But you never blamed me. And always said that you liked me. You foolish fox, actually. You are also my first love. No matter how harsh I was, you were always by my side. Because you liked the way I treated you. But it was my possessiveness that pushed you to the limit. Countless times. I'm sorry, John, just one last time. I want to see you. Xiong screamed no, no. Why is this happening? It's impossible. Do-hun clenched his hands tightly. Outside the house, snow was falling heavily. Bloodstains dyed the white snow red. While Do-hun and Sanji were fighting a life and death battle, Eun-gu suddenly walked over. She raised the gun and demanded them to stop. Sunjian was stunned and called Eun-gu, she questioned. How could you threaten him with my life? You, of all people. Why did I lie to Lee Do-hun, the person who trusted me? Because I was afraid the power, out of control, would end up killing you. I can't treat you like before anymore. Even if I die. Sunjiel thought to himself. Even if I continue to live like this. We can't go back to how it was before. I can't be by your side anymore. Even as a friend. While waiting for a new series to be released. Do you really think he actually likes you? He is just using you. Because of the uncontrollable power of his own. He will throw you away like a tool. Discard you when you are no longer useful. I don't care. It doesn't matter either, even if Lee Do-hun is trying to use me. Let me tell you this, I love Lee Do-hun. Even if he disappears from this world. I will never sign a contract with you. He shockingly realized. That's right, now I know. I can never have you. Even if it kills me. Thinking that, he burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, I already lost right from the beginning. Kill me, please kill me. Suddenly a voice rang out. Fine, let's leave this world together. Sunjian's eyes panicked. A bright shadow flashed across Do-hun's face. Sunjian suddenly lunged forward and hugged Eun-gu tightly. Do-hun reached his hand out calling go Eun-gu. But he couldn't catch her hand. He became stunned. Shockingly looking at the scene before him. Sunjian dragged Eun-gu down the cliff. Do-hun quickly jumped down. Sun-yi also hurried over calling go Eun-gu. At this time Do-hun had landed. Seeing her lying in a pool of blood. His hands trembled slightly touching her body. No pulse. Go Eun-gu, answer me, go Eun-gu. He screamed, I said answer me. A feeling I have never experienced before. Please watch other series on 9 Muoi channel. Never in my life. Did I think I would feel this way? This is fear. Eun-gu. Please answer me, the fear of losing someone. The fear of not being able to save them. It is gradually appearing right before my eyes. He picked up a rock nearby. Then slashed his wrist. Blood poured out from there into Eun-gu's mouth. Sunjian stood behind in astonishment and said Lee Do-hun. Are you crazy? He screamed, don't touch her. Jio Eun-gu, wake up. Wake up, at this moment his tears unconsciously fell. Please, Sunjian was stunned and thought to himself. No one has ever given such a large amount of blood before. At this rate he will die. Do-hun suddenly spoke up. If you are struggling because you have nothing, take the leadership position. Take everything if you want. But I will not hand over go Eun-gu to you. Even if I die, I will take her with me. Saying that, Do-hun closed his eyes tightly and collapsed next to Eun-gu. The scene suddenly changed. To when Eun-gu fell down the cliff and Do-hun screamed her name. Go Eun-gu. At this point, she startled awake. Ha, again, that dream again. Later, at the hospital, Go Eun-gu stood outside the door thinking. He is being discharged from the hospital today, right? Suddenly a voice called out. Go Eun-gu, you're here? As expected. You shouldn't underestimate the vitality of an Aimee. Review to kill time. Can you believe you've been sleeping for 3 months? Hyunjo donated her blood to you. If it weren't for her, you would have died long ago. What were you thinking? Risking your life to save me. Zhejiang said thoughtfully. I promised my brother. Eun-gu thought to herself, when I opened my eyes again. A lot of things had changed. All of that to save me? I heard that Lee Do-hun, who donated so much blood, while his life was in danger, had fallen unconscious, but the main house was tightly sealed, hiding him away. And the memorial tablet of Lee Sung. The funeral has been held. I will take care of everything. So rest assured and recover. At this point, Eun-gu lowered her face and said, I'm sorry. It's not your fault. You almost died and yet you're still apologizing? The one who needs to apologize is Lee Jiang. Forget it, don't mention it again. At this time Jiang put down the patient's clothes. While changing, he thought, it's quite convenient, I really didn't expect. I thought John would be the first one to call. But she didn't call me. If she saw me, she would definitely run into my arms. Ask if I'm okay. Or even burst into tears, all right. I won't leave her again. Zhejiang opened the door, maybe she's at home. But when he opened the bedroom door, his eyes became surprised. John asked indifferently, you're back? John, your face. I haven't had a good night's sleep. The day you were taken away, I ran outside like a crazy person. It wasn't until I found out you weren't dead that I realized I was barefoot. At that time, just being with you was more than enough for me. Zhejiang, I can't stand liking you anymore. She raised the mark. Didn't you say it yourself? That you would cancel the contract whenever I want. Cancel it. Maybe I shouldn't say this. But we are not meant for each other. No matter what happens. Even if it's the moment. My life is threatened. I promise to cancel the contract if you want. So I must keep my word. Zhejiang pressed his lips tightly. John looked at him intently. Suddenly she was a bit surprised. Zhejiang bit his hand. Then smeared blood on the mark on John's hand. The mark quickly faded and disappeared. Should I force her to stay? If I hold her hand and drip blood on the mark. And sign the contract again. While thinking, John said, "Thank you, Jizong. Although being with a fox like me must be very difficult. But because of your condition you still stayed by my side." Finishing her words, she pulled her suitcase and left. Zhejiang asked in surprise, "What? How did you know that? Since when?" She turned back with tears streaming down. "I like you very much." At this point, the door closed. Zhejiang stood dazed wondering. Is this over? Is it really over? I thought this was a relationship. That would never end, unless I was the one to let go first. But now I realize that was just arrogance. Only now do I have the courage to confess my cowardice to you. But now you are leaving me. Later, on a peaceful day on the street. Bustling traffic at a high-rise building. Production team, manager Go Eun-gu. Manager, your boyfriend is waiting to pick you up. He is waiting in the hallway. Wishing you always happy and full of energy. He is not my boyfriend. What? He's not your boyfriend? But he dressed up and brought flowers? I thought he was a model. Seriously, he is not my boyfriend. Please explain to everyone for me, June. Alright, after that. Eun-gu went down to the first floor and saw that person was Zhejiang. After being discharged, he came to the office every day. Now everyone here thinks Li Zhejiang is my handsome boyfriend. Anyway, he is quite witty. She went up and called out, "Hey. Why do you keep coming here? It's all because of you that there's this nonsense rumor." "Hey, what rumor?" "That you are my boyfriend. Have you considered how much trouble I'll be in? If my brother hears about this? Then stop coming here. I'm really fine, and you'd better stop going to that house too. Weren't you just kicked out yesterday?" Many times I had to cry. Even fainting when watching Lee Do-hun sleep. And when his breathing suddenly stopped. Because of that, his family banned me from seeing him from now on. Hello, and see you again. Even though I can't see his face. But please don't take him away from me. Let's go out now. How is your health lately? Okay? I'm very well. What happened between you and that fox girl? I cancelled the contract. What? So what are you going to do now? Is the contract completely over? No, I was just going to ask her to let me stay by her side. Eun-gu thought to herself. I didn't know he could have this kind of expression. Now I know who those flowers are for. She spoke up teasingly to break the sad atmosphere. I thought that bouquet of flowers was mine. Suddenly he asked, "Are you not feeling well?" I told you. This is the price you have to pay. Go and beg her to forgive you. That's the only way. I won't give up. Yeah. If you succeed, introduce that fox to me. Let's go eat together sometime. Later returning home, she silently lamented, "Oh my God. Mom insisted I go home this holiday. So I gave up my precious holiday to go back. If you don't come back, Mom will go to your office." But what? A trip. She used the excuse that Uni Ion's mother has a free vacation trip to Jeju Island. Jeju. Mom, really, if that's the case then why? Did you keep nagging me to come home? Mom will be back early tomorrow, just stay home and rest. Mom thought you wouldn't be back until next week. Are you still healthy? Are you sick? I'm still healthy. I still eat and work hard. Do you want to eat anything? Tomorrow Mom will make you soybean paste soup. Just that? Yes, I really like your soybean paste soup. Mom will make it really delicious, so wait for Mom. Love you, my daughter. Me too, Mom. At night, I didn't eat much for dinner. Maybe I'll take a walk around the neighborhood a bit. Oh. There's a house that I don't recognize. Many things have changed a lot here. She unconsciously remembered. It's the house where Sunjian used to live. He texted me for the last time. I'm sorry for hurting you. Eun-gu then disappeared without a trace. It's suddenly getting dark. It's probably going to rain. Eun-gu quickly returned to her room. She lay tiredly and dejectedly on the bed. She unconsciously remembered Do-hun's words back then. I like you. If everything is settled well this time. I only wish that in the days to come. Even in the smallest things, you will be there. Her tears just fell like that. She touched her forehead, the scar was still there, idiot. Today I miss you more than ever. Outside, the rain fell pitter-patter. Eun-gu slightly turned towards the window. Someone called her phone but she didn't pay attention to it. I've rested for a while. And the fever shows no sign of decreasing. Should I be grateful for this? I can help the body reduce fever, quickly using my ability. But ever since I revived thanks to Do-hun's blood, all abilities flow out unconsciously. That was something that didn't belong to me from the start. Every time I realize that I am living on behalf of someone else, and that thought terrifies me to the point of suffocation. This is the first time I've had a fever since that incident. So I don't even know what will happen next. At least I have to try to get the fever down first. She approached the window and opened it. She looked outside and sighed. It's raining a lot too. Her eyes closed slightly and then suddenly snapped open. She let out a sigh. Now I feel a little better. Oh right, earlier I had a missed call, the screen displayed. Lee Ji-young, she called back and he hurriedly said. Go Eun-gu, something happened. She felt uneasy. There's only one reason. Lee Ji-jang called me so urgently. That means. At this moment he continued, my brother has disappeared. What? What do you mean he disappeared? Actually, he woke up 2 days ago. I thought it would be better to meet after he fully recovered. That's why I stopped him from rushing to you as soon as he woke up. But he disappeared. Right when I went out for a moment. At this point she lowered her phone. The image of Do-hun appeared on the balcony of the opposite house. Just like the first time they met. He stood there looking towards her with a slight smile on his lips. She kept her eyes wide open in bewilderment. As if not daring to believe what she was seeing. Images and words from their first meeting appeared in her head. Are you a fox? At this time Do-hun once again sprang into the air. His figure soared through the empty space between the two buildings. He landed right on Eun-gu's windowsill. She looked at him and he also looked at her. Both were silent. But in their eyes was an endless surge of emotions. After the days of being apart. Suddenly Ji-jang's voice rang out. Hey go Eun-gu. Are you listening to me? Do-hun took the phone from Eun-gu's hand. Then spoke up asking to hang up. Ji-jang immediately asked, where are you? You need to rest. Do-hun didn't say another word and hung up. And put the phone on the table. At this moment on Eun-gu's face, tears silently poured out endlessly. Do-hun gently raised his hand to wipe away every drop. He looked at her with affectionate eyes. Her tears did not stop, flowing out because of this happy moment. Do-hun asked, why is your face so red? Then what's wrong with you? Are you acting or doing something like that? What do you think? I'm trying to start over from the beginning. As soon as he finished speaking, Do-hun kissed her lips. The kiss deepened, more passionate. His deep voice rang out. Are you okay? Why are you still crying? She shyly answered. I thought I lost you because of my mistake. He comforted, if it weren't for you, I would have died a long time ago. Me too, I thought you wouldn't make it. I never want to go through that feeling again. The feeling of loss and terror. When holding in my arms the small, cold body of yours. On the way here I kept remembering those moments. Until my eyes went dark even knowing you were still alive. But I had to see you with my own eyes to dare to believe. And now finally I get to see you again. For the first time I feel grateful that I am an Aimee. Because I have the blood that could save your life. Even if I die tomorrow. As long as you live and love me. I am willing to throw away the contract or anything else. Go Eun-gu, maybe I am still selfish and impulsive. Because I have lived like that my whole life. There will be times you feel heartbroken because of me. But I cannot live without you anymore. Without you, I couldn't last even a year without breaking down. Give me one more chance, okay? As both your master. And your lover once again. He gently kissed the back of her hand. Her still wet eyes looked at him for a long time. Afraid that just by blinking he would disappear again. Without saying a word, she slowly raised her two hands. Pressed them against both sides of his face. Her soft lips touched his lips. A gentle kiss but containing so many emotions. Even without the mark. We chose each other ourselves. And longed to have each other. We are no longer the strong and the weak. Or the hunter and the prey like before. We love each other like any other normal couple. The series has ended. Thank you for following the entire series. While waiting for a new series to be released, please watch other series on 9 Muay channel. Review to kill time. Wishing you always happy and full of energy. Hello and see you again.